And
Wake up, babe. A new
hey,
CubeCon just dropped. It's day 3 of CubeCon here in Madison, Wisconsin, the second annual CubeCon. Andy Mangold here in the booth with the man, the myth, the local legend, J-Bro.
I'm local, national, international, intergalactic. Let's make it cube-tastic.
How you feeling this morning, J-Bro?
Great. This is one. My voice is a little hoarse. Of
You were doing
course.
karaoke last night, so what, 12, 1 a.m.?
I was out late, and then I had about 2 hours of work emails I had to take out. So
Work emails?
yeah, it's never ending.
When
But,
you're an important man like J-Bro, the work never stops.
never stops. But the cube never stops here. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for coming down. Thanks
Oh.
to everyone for participating. Thanks to our amazing judge staff. Oh my gosh, we have 4 L3s here.
I don't even know what that means, but it sounds great.
It is. It's a rare and impressive thing.
We've collected the rarest judges from across the
Yes.
lands and done it. J-Bro, get that mic up on there.
Let's see.
Well, there we go. I love that. Now I
Bang,
can hear
bang.
you a lot better. That's great. We're here for day 3. Everything's been running off without a hitch. The judging staff's great. The organizing staff is great.
Hell yeah.
We've been drafting cubes. How much have you actually gotten to draft, J-Bro?
Not a lot, but I have. My joy is just
The
joy-
curse of being an organizer.
Well, I'll tell you something. That's the awesome part about CubeCon, and that was the whole reason for the season initially. Is that as a cube designer, I've got 10 or 11 myself. One of the
You have
great,
10 or 11 of your own cubes you
Hell
designed?
yeah, I do, and I got more coming, baby. One of the most important things that one of the best things you can do as a cube designer is not necessarily to play it yourself, but the joy of watching other people play it. And so bringing together an event where we can have so many people just enjoying cube together. It's like, Superman got the sun to solar power him. I got cuber power. Like, the
I
cube
see,
is
I
my
see.
solar power.
You're absorbing the drafts locally. You're in the presence of all these drafts, taking their power on like the Spirit Bomb.
I'm on like 4.5 hours of sleep, but I got cube.
Exactly. What could
Cube's all
possibly
you
go
need.
wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
This event is a dream for a cube designer. A
Yes.
little peek behind the curtain, maybe. Gwen Decker of Cube Cobra and the rest of the organizing staff here, in part with Zelda Zach Halpern from MTG JSON, have built custom software to run this event to register all the cube deck pools. So at the end of the event, all the cube designers that have cubes in the main event, and there are 50 of them here, 50 unique cubes from all over the globe, are going to get all of the pictures of all of the pools and deck lists from the entire weekend with the accompanying records, which, as a cube designer, is priceless.
Absolutely.
To have your cube drafted by this many new people that have never played it before, that are from all over the place, and get to see what they're doing, what they're brewing in your environment, is an absolute dream.
Absolutely, and not only that, we have such a diverse array of cubers here to participate. We've got some of the literal best players in the world.
Yeah.
We had 2 Hall of Famers, Bob Maher and Reed Duke, going at it on Thursday. We've got Dom Harvey, Sam Black, Caleb Durward, and we've also got people who have never been to a Magic event before.
Yeah.
It's literally their first one. And having that, where can you get that sort of range? And people interacting together, hang out together.
And all
everyone
here for
having
the
a great
right
time.
reasons, right? All here for the right
reasons.
reasons. I got to play 2 days ago, day 0, with a friend of mine from online. Shout out to DSB.
DSB.
Who lives in Idaho.
Idaho.
Small town, little small community. Has a cube that he's been curating for years. Never once fired a full 8 pod. Just can never get 8 players in the same place.
The Idaho curse.
I got to participate in the first full 8-player pod of this draft, and it was amazing. It was such a fun time.
History made.
History made. History made.
Cube Street made. Well, that's fantastic. And how was it?
Oh, it was so good. So good. It's
Was it
it's
worth the
also,
wait?
now interestingly, I didn't do this on purpose, but it's a perfect segue because DSB's cube is also an old border cube. And this morning,
Oh my.
we have a very special cube queued up for you. It is
okay.
Jeff Green's, a.k.a. GLHF Games Old Border Foil Cube. The most popular cube last year at CubeCon for sure. I don't think we've gotten the stats in this year, but it's on track to be the most popular cube this year.
That's where my money's at. It is amazing. And not only that, it is a beautiful, beautiful cube as well. He's done a great job curating it. It was his idea. Fine, all good. It was his idea completely. And yeah, it's so awesome. And I will say that not only do we have an amazing cube to show you, but it is stacked with wonderful
Ooh,
players.
this pod, I would not want to be in this pod. It's
I
a
would.
murderer's row. You like the challenge. You're a much more competitive player than I am. I'm here for the fun. I'm not trying to get run over. But
the
yeah,
competition is my ignition. Let's go. Vroom, vroom, baby.
we got some big names in this pod. I had the pleasure of drafting this cube last year. It was hotly contested. Everyone wanted to get in there, but I had the pleasure of getting in and drafting this cube.
And your experience?
Well, I loved it so much that I, in the intervening year, have built my own cube
Hell
directly
yeah.
inspired by the Old Border Foil cube.
This
Mine's
tr-
not all foil, but I actually play mine on sleeves, so I couldn't have foils anyway. And yeah, I was so inspired by the difference in how old school Magic actually feels.
Hell yeah. Yes.
You know the saying about boiled frogs. The water temperature
Yes.
slowly changes. You
Yes.
don't realize you're getting boiled.
You just did a little frog hot tub for a while.
Well, I feel like what happens is I've been playing Magic for a long time, not as long as most people here, but a fair while. Exactly.
Boomer life.
And
I'm a
every
boomer.
year we get more cards, we get more mechanics,
Yep.
more things, and the texture of Magic really has changed a lot over the years.
Planeswalkers. That's the big one.
Well, I mean, Planeswalker is just it's the big, capital P,
Yep.
proper noun, but just the way that cards are designed now, the way that
Yep.
power manifests in cards.
Back
it's
in
totally
my
different.
day, a 2/1 for 1 mana was a rare. I think it might have been banned at one point, and you were happy with it.
Well-
now you got Ragavan. What is going on?
Well, yes, that's the thing, right? Because yes, the threats, the mid-range threats, especially the ones that generate value, those cards are better than they have ever been.
It's unbelievable.
Like you look at Fable the Mirror Breaker, and you're like, what is this card? How
Fable
can
the
this
what,
exist?
what?
Now every set we have a green 4-mana 4/4 with like 4 upsides on it, right?
Yeah.
That's just like par for the
We
course.
have some green mana 4/mana 4/4s that you don't even know about because they've got too many abilities. It's too many. It's too
True.
stacked.
But if you start looking at old school Magic, it's not like the cards were universally less powerful because there are some huge power outliers in a list like this. Cards like Parallax Wave,
Tradewind Rider.
cards like Tradewind Rider, cards like Opposition, cards like Upheaval, cards like Living Death. These cards are powerful in a very different way, though, right? You're
Recurring
not just
Nightmare.
You're not just your Recurring Nightmare is a great example. That one's not in this cube, though, not available in foil, so we won't see any Recurring Nightmares today. But these cards are powerful in a very different way.
I did not know that.
Yeah, no foil. Exodus. Never got a foil printing, and it's on the reserve list, so we're never going to get one. But the old border cards, their power manifests totally differently. These
Totally.
cards are powerful in a way that requires building around. You don't just cast this card and get to win because it's Oko or Fable the Mirror Breaker. You have to draft your deck in a way to really take advantage of these narrow, powerful, synergistic cards.
And it was right around the era when they started stapling cards to creatures. When you had Boomerang and you had a Grizzly Bear, and then you got Venser. When you had Necrotal.
I mean, Mana War.
Mana
We're
War.
not going to have this is Mana War Erasure. You're going to go right
Yep.
to Venser?
Well, I'm just giving an example. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Mana War Erasure. I will not
Hashtag
have any Jellyfish Erasure in the booth this morning.
Hashtag remember Manowar. Yes, I agree 100%. So it was at a time when when the power creep wasn't too steep. But we see the beginning of the event happening now. So everyone's getting seated. The pants are getting pleated. We're ready and steady. I will say that one of the other things I wanted to point out before we start the coverage is how cool it is not only to have the diversity of players from all different spectrums, but also from all over the world.
How many continents do we have? Have we actually counted?
Oh,
I
don't
know we have Indonesia,
might-
New Zealand, France, England.
Dominaria, pretty sure. Does that count?
Sure, exactly, yes.
Yeah. We have people from
The eighth
Bali.
continent, the rare eighth
Yeah.
continent.
Oh, you never been to Dominaria?
Exactly, yeah.
Fantastic place to dine. I will say that we got Bali, yeah, like I said, England, France. We got, I think, New Zealand.
Mm-hmm.
I think Singapore. We got Holland. Did you say
And also, I
Holland?
got to say, just the nicest people I've
Canada.
ever played Magic with, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, this event, everybody's here for the right reasons. Everyone's here because they love Cube Draft. They want to experience a variety of limited formats that are totally unique that you can't experience anywhere else. Every single cube in this room is singular. It is completely unique, and it only exists in this room this weekend. So if you want to be playing it, here's where you got to be.
If you enjoy having fun, come to CubeCon. If you're against fun, this might not be the place for you.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy having
If
fun,
you're against fun, right out. We don't
yeah,
even want
this
you.
is not your place.
Take a
But
hike.
if you like having fun, if you like meeting new people and enjoying yourself and having the best time of your life, highly recommend CubeCon. Get here next
All right,
year.
Jay, bro. That's a good ad read. But now let's talk about this draft. So we are looking at this old border foil cube.
Yes.
Old Border is already a relatively small pool of cards compared to the rest of the history of Magic.
Correct.
And when you also limit it to cards that are Old Border and also had a foil printing, you are looking at cards from Urza's Legacy to 7th edition.
Yep.
And it's a very narrow block. Now, we have gotten some new retro foil printings of cards in recent years.
Which is your favorite of those?
My favorite of those?
What's your favorite new old?
I'm really excited that we got an Old Border Goblin Rabble Master.
Oh, the Rabble Dabble.
That's a card that I love in a lot of contexts, and I think the Old Border foil looks great.
Is that in here?
That's a great question. I doubt it. So here's the thing. So Jeff does include some of these Old Border foil cards that have been retroactively Old Border foiled. No Goblin Rabble Master.
Okay.
Because Jeff is very careful about it, right? I think because we talked about how the design of the cards has changed
Rabble
a lot.
Dabbles.
If you were to take just Rabble Master and just stick it in here, it's going to feel totally different. It's
Yeah.
going to change the texture of the draft. This
You
is
gotta
the cube.
watch where you stick your rabble dabbles.
This is the cube. All right, watch it, buddy. This is the cube
That's
where
a fact.
Siege Gang Commander is the card you want to shine.
Siege Gang is Goblin King.
If I know Jeff, I know that he does not want to outshine Siege Gang Commander, and Rabble Master would probably do just that. So
Yes, that's right.
we're leaning here on the old school Goblin King, and that is Siege Gang.
We got the OG Squee, not the Snowball Squee. We got OG Squee from back in the day. The Squee that back in my day was the standout all-star we had. What was it? What's that 4-mana 4/4 that pings for 1?
4 mana 4/4 that
Four
pings for
mana
1.
4/4
You lost
artifact.
me.
Let's go to the artifacts. We had Survival of the Fittest with Squee.
Survival of the Fittest. Talk about a card that is powerful in an old school way.
Mastercore.
Oh,
Squee
Oh,
All-Star. Master Squee. Squee Decor.
your log line for Mastercore is a 4 mana card that pings for 1.
Yeah, 4-mana
All right.
4/4 ping for 1.
There we go. So here's what we're looking for in this draft. There's a couple of archetypes that I think are really strong in this cube. One of them is just mono red. You know, Burn is an iconic format or iconic archetype in Magic, going all the way back to the early days.
Yep.
The red deck in this cube, not fully committed to burn. We're not going to have as many burn spells that we can just go for lethal, but we're going to combine that with a couple of cheap creatures,
Some
a
goblin
ball
buck.
lightning, stuff like that, and you can definitely play aggro in this cube and
Yes.
get your opponent dead real quick. On the other side of the table,
You can do fun stuff,
well, I mean,
which is also cool.
don't you love aggro? I feel like you draft aggro all the time on your stream.
I like aggro, but burn is one that's not my. It doesn't tickle my fancy.
Okay, well,
I'll
you
say
know, we
that.
each have our own special proclivities. On the other side of the battlefield, you could be doing something more complicated and synergistic.
Oh yeah.
The Reanimator decks are quite good here, but they're quite good in a way you might not expect because, you know, like we said, the types of powerful cards in old school Magic are very different. So you get the best enablers.
Yes.
You get Entomb. You get Animate Dead. I think Reanimate is in this cube as well. You get all of these cards that are the best possible enablers for the Reanimator deck.
But what are you reanimating?
But what are you reanimating? Well, you're going to reanimate Sylvos Rogue Elemental, perhaps.
Yeah, you are.
Or you're going to reanimate a Chroma, Angel of Wrath. Cards that, if you are new to Magic, you may have never even seen before because the threats, that's where the power creep has been in recent years. You're not just going to reanimate a Griselbrand or an Archon of Cruelty and end the game on the spot. You're just going to get a big creature, and then you got to actually grind out the rest of that game by swinging in. Maybe you get a Ray of Dawnbringer back, one of my favorite cards from when I was a kid, and just keep the reanimation train going.
How do you feel about the Verdant Buck, the 7/7 makes 1/1s?
Verdant Force never had an old border foil printing either, so that's not in this cube, and I know for a fact that Jeff has specifically wished that it existed because that is, in constructed pre-modern, Verdant Force is one of the reanimation targets of choice, which I think is so charming. It tells you how fun pre-modern can be.
Hell yeah.
No old border foil printing,
Pre-modern
though.
is the cube of constructed. If you've not played pre-modern, do yourself a favor, savor that flavor. And we have one of the best pre-modern communities in the whole world right here
I
in
think
Madison,
you do have
Wisconsin.
the preeminent pre-modern community here in Madison.
And we've got BK, who's one of the top pre-modern minds, Sam Black.
Absolutely.
We've got some amazing pre-modern stuff going on. So, but there's a lot played online, too. So get yourself a Moto account, play some pre-modern, fantastic. But we are getting ready to start now. Now, for the viewers or listeners and viewers who can't see what's going on here because the camera's facing us, can you describe the sea of amazingness that's in front of us?
Well, there's about 400 beautiful nerds sitting in front of me, each in little groups of 8, around a table with a judging staff spread between them, and they're all getting ready to draft the first cube of the day.
Yes.
The way the way event is structured here, we have 3 main event drafts, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening. A beautiful system that the organizers have built where you can go in and rank the cubes you want to play most.
And
pods are built.
And we have an opportunity to promote ranked choice voting once again, which is always a good thing. That's why we chose it.
We do not stand first past the post here in Madison.
That's right.
We're going to get deep. J-Bro and I could probably talk about voting systems for a while, but we're not going to bore you with that.
But fun fact, that was a reason why we incorporated that into this, was specifically to increase people's awareness and to have them use a ranked choice system.
Are you going on the floor in Congress and showing off CubeCon as an example of a successful ranked choice voting system?
I want CubeCon to be the national event of the year. We have national birds. We have this should be the designation.
You want on the Wikipedia page for Wisconsin for it to say the state event CubeCon.
It should be the national event.
Okay.
It should be the federal holiday.
The federal holiday.
A 4-day holiday.
A 4-day holiday.
That's the next step. Hashtag save CubeCon.
I'm never turning down a 4-day holiday, so I like that. So, like we said, we've got a really good mono red deck in this cube. We've got really good Reanimator style decks. The other thing you can do in this cube is play one of these not fully committed capital C combo decks. There are a couple capital C combos. We may talk about them here, but mostly there's these cards that build like a kind of one card combo, like making your entire deck about a specific card.
Can
This
you
is where I'm
give some
talking about cards
examples?
like Opposition.
Ooh.
If you have Opposition in your deck, you can pick up an Enlightened Tutor. Then your entire deck becomes about, let me play some cheap creatures, some token generation, some Battle Screech, and Opposition, and lock my opponent out of the game.
Yep.
And that's not a capital C combo. You're not going infinite or winning on the spot, but that is what your entire deck is heavily focused on.
It's the type of combo that takes really, really long and is absolutely like your opponent can't win, but they also can't really concede because
they can concede.
They can concede, but it takes so
if you're
long
me,
to actually
you
win.
can concede.
Yeah.
I have a motto in Magic, which is I don't play miserable games. Even
Yes.
if I've got my 10% chance to draw my out, I'm not that spiky. I'm here to have fun.
That's right. Less misery, more history. So, also, can we talk a little bit about what the archetype you would be drafting if you could be in a pod right now? What would be your Jimmy Jam?
If I'm in this pod
Yes.
with the stacked people we got, we have Caleb Durber, last year's CubeCon champion.
That champ is back.
We have Sky,
champ is
a.k.a.
back.
Mythic Bebo in this cube, actually going to be our featured drafter. We'll be watching over their shoulder to see what they're taking.
2 of my Cube for Charity teammates.
We also had 2 more people Justin mentioned whose names I've forgotten. This is a stacked pod, though. There's a lot of really competitive players in this pod. If I was playing against these players who are better than me, I'm drafting mono red. I'm almost forcing it because that's what I need to win. But if I was a more inventive player, I'm looking at these combo decks. I'm looking at these reanimator decks.
Hell
or
yeah.
what I played last year in this cube, just counter burn.
Counterburn
You
classic.
can just play burn spells, card draw spells, counter spells, and get your opponent dead that way because, again, the threats are not that efficient.
Yeah.
So you can afford
Ooh.
to hold up some counter magic and go late.
And we have Lynn in this cube as well. Lynn was amazing. She created these incredible homemade DIY boxes.
Yes.
Or cubes, excuse me, for CubeCon that are kind of like our unofficial mascots, and they're right here featured. I don't know if we can bring. We'll see if we can get them on coverage. But she's the creator of those amazing cubes. We also have. Oh, we got Sky looking back at us. She's asking a question. I'm not sure. I can't hear you, Sky, but whatever you're talking about is correct. Yes.
Sky's
we
not talking
agree.
to you, Jay, bro. Sky's talking to the coverage team. I did remember the last person that's in this pod. It's a big name. Just off camera, all the way on the left here, we have David McDarby.
David McDarby.
From WotC. Fantastic player. So the cube is stacked. The pod is stacked. The other kinds of decks I really like drafting these cubes. You got Burn, you got Reanimator, you got these sort of singular like build around cards like your Opposition, your Living Death. There's also a couple actual combos in this cube. Do you know about the card Sapling Burst?
Of course
J-Bro?
I know. Oh, do I know Sapling Burst?
Now, do you know about the card Pandemonium? Okay, so J-Bro, if you're worried about J-Bro waking up this morning, the Thraben Inspector right on top of this pack is going to get him real excited.
She knows.
This is one of the new retroactively old border foil cards that Jeff has chosen to add to the cube. We also see a Caller of the Claw
And
here.
a Sky Diamond. Sky
Pulling the Sky Diamond to the front, perhaps a little bias.
A little Skyus. Okay.
Now we see some original duels in this pack, not foil obviously. So that is the one exception that's made here in this otherwise entirely foiled out cube.
So we also have Trade One Ride, which I'm definitely 100% taking out of this pack.
You're not taking Thraben Inspector.
There wasn't Thraben Inspector. Goblin Bombardment's the other big one. I would say those are 2 most powerful, aside from Thraben Inspector, White Ancestor Recall. I think, we're taking the ramp. Okay.
Yeah, taking Sky Diamond.
How do you feel? Sky for the Sky. What do you think?
Yeah,
How do you
I
feel
mean,
about
there's
that
definitely a lot of things to do with ramp in this environment. You know, one way that cards have gotten more powerful is pound for pound, the curve has gotten lower and more efficient, and threats have gotten more efficient.
Yes.
Here you got to play some number of 3, 4, 5, 6 drops.
Speaking of combos.
Now there's the Pandemonium on top, which I
Hachi-machi.
was about to mention is the sort of splinter twin of this cube is Pandemonium into Sapling Burst, which basically allows you to make a bunch of Saplings, immediately kill your opponent. Academy Rector, another card that's kind of a,
it's combo
one
adjacent.
card combo. There is a powerful Enchantress combo deck here.
Yes.
Which leans on the Pandemonium, the Sapling Burst as one of your combo wins. It also has access to Replenish.
Ooh.
Prophetic Bolt, a favorite of mine.
I think we're taking the Bolt here. I'm going to predict that the Bolt gets taken.
You know, I know Sky is a fantastic drafter. I know very little about their drafting proclivities. I don't know what Sky likes to draft, so I'm not going to speculate. But if it were me, I think I'd take the Prophetic Bolt just because I love playing that kind of card so much. Looking at Solitary Confinement here, one other aspect of this cube that is unique, I think, to it relative to other cubes here at the event this weekend is there are a lot of like prison elements. Academy Rector is the pick.
Rector.
Sky looking to do some rude stuff, it looks like.
So Rector is a combo enabler. There's lots of really good enchantments in this. We mentioned a couple, but it can go. It can be pretty versatile. But definitely one of those powerful picks. Exploration, okay. If you want to go the enchantment.
Here's Aramancer. Aramancer is another card that makes a lowercase c combo with Parallax Wave particularly. And based on our first 2 picks here, I would love to end up with a Parallax Wave in this deck. So Arm Answer allows you to, Parallax Wave away some stuff, and then including the Arm Answer, and then when the wave leaves, Arm Answer comes back, put the wave back in your hand. Do it forever and ever until the rest of time, until your opponent concedes. A lot like opposition. Pulling that Tundra to the front of the pack here, we've got a Sky Diamond and a white card, so yeah, let's get our fixing in line.
Makes
I like that a
sense.
lot. I like taking the fixing here. Nothing else really
Eat your
blowing us away
vegetables.
in this pack.
Eat your vegetables. It's if you can't play your cards, it doesn't matter how powerful cards you draft. So we want to have consistency among our mana base. We're looking at some Azurus, Buck, and what will we want to hope to get? Let's pull up some of the white blue cards. What are we looking for in this cube now?
Well, if I'm Sky, I'm looking for Parallax Wave above all else.
Yes,
I think that
that's a
card
good
is really
one.
fun to play with and quite powerful.
And probably if the Parallax Wave comes, the Ormances come back. Ooh, now
Now,
there's
Mirror Entity, there's a card that definitely has that sort of new Magic power level, even though it's all the way back in Lorwyn. The other thing we see in this cube, like I was mentioning, is there are some prison elements. There are a couple cards in this cube that if you don't draft an answer to, your deck might just fold on the spot. I'm talking about things like Form of the Dragon. Here he got Impulse.
We're taking
We got Impulse pulled to the front here, along with Spirit Link and
I think
Seal
we're
of
taking
Cleansing.
the Impulse. Yeah, this is pretty good.
Based on the cards that it looks like Sky is considering, I feel like maybe Sky has done their homework and watched last year's drafts and seen. We got the Impulse now we're taking, nice little card selection.
Yes.
And seen what this Enchantress deck is capable of, because it can be really powerful if you get the cards in the right context.
Yes. We also might be going for a little bit of a control-y shell. There's Decree of Justice, there's Wrath of God. There's a lot of stuff you can do with a blue-white shell in this format, but I was just going to look that up.
I'm just confirming, yeah. So one of the other cards here that really works nicely with Academy Rector is Decree of Silence. This is a big, expensive enchantment that you mostly cycle, but when you have the Academy Rector, you can just go put this thing in play, and what it does, well, it counters your opponent's next 3 spells. So good luck beating that.
Let's see what white-blue cards we got in here.
We got Sky considering Brain Freeze here, a potential mill win condition. Mill is a real win condition in this cube, whether you're a control deck, a counter deck, Rorik's Bladewing, Rotlung Reanimator.
We've got Teferi's Mode in this. That's a good one.
Teferi's Mode, one of the prison cards I was mentioning. It's entirely possible that you draft a deck that just can't beat Teferi's Mode if you don't know that it's in this cube and know you have to pack your Naturalizes, your Disenchants, because if you don't have any flyers and your threats are all one color, then you just can't beat Moat.
Okay, so we're looking at Seal of Cleansing.
Seal of Removal, actually, and Circular Logic.
Seal of Removal, which is interesting, and Circular Logic. So I am curious the logic behind Seal of Removal here. I'm not as familiar
I
with
think
this.
Sky is maybe a little bit forcing this Enchantress deck, or really feels strongly about the enchantment deck in this cube. We've prioritized enchantments really highly, and we already have that Academy Rector.
And there is Replenish.
So I would say that probably the card that Sky wants most is going to be Replenish, based on the picks we've seen so far.
Now that is a banger. That is a good pick.
Order Migration here, just to make a bunch of tokens. The kind of thing it was harder to do in old school Magic.
Yeah, and that is for the domain deck. If we want to go 5 colors or 4 colors even, that is a really, really good one. We already have Add Dual Land, so we're bringing it to the top. We're thinking.
I think it's to be a bit of a speculative pick. I mean, so far, Sky has been pretty disciplined, only taking white and blue cards. Taking this Order Migration, you don't want to play this in just the white-blue deck. You want to be more colors, so...
5 mana for two 1/1 flyers, not exactly where we're at, but...
I know cards have gotten more powerful, but even that's not going to hang in old-school Magic.
That's right.
We've also got some iconic cards here that maybe you don't see in a lot of cubes these days, like Fling. There's another combo here that I really want to see someone do this weekend, which is just Fling plus Sarah Avatar.
Oh, wow.
Sarah Avatar, one of those cards that I feel like if you were... Ooh, Wasteland. I really like a Wasteland pick here.
Biorhythm, another classic kind of combo-y deck.
We got Symbiotic Worm sneaking in the back of that pack. One of your best Reanimator targets in this cube for sure is Symbiotic Worm.
Now, what is that?
We're also considering a card that I do not recognize. Let's pull it up in the spoiler here.
Starts with W.
That is Words of Worship. So that is part of the words cycle where you can replace your card draw with some other ability, in this case gaining 5 life. Now, that might seem not that exciting, but I did mention that the mono red deck is one of the scariest decks in this cube, and if you want to beat that deck, just turn your next couple card draws into gain 5.
Arid Mesa, good for Tantra.
A very late Arid Mesa, I think. I think. Ooh, but the Replenish. Oh.
The Replenish is hard to
We have to take the Replenish,
There's
I think.
nothing else
the reason that we're drafting this deck is for the Replenish, I think. The one thing I could maybe see Sky thinking here is perhaps we can just wheel this. We've been taking enchantments.
I don't think you risk it.
I wouldn't risk it personally,
You
but
can't risk it for that brisket. We got to
this
take the
pack, I
replenish.
gotta say, this pack must have been stacked to still have the Arid Mesa,
Yeah.
still have the replenish in it. You know, people were taking. Whoa.
Wow, Hachi Machi.
Wow.
Well,
Sky taking a bold line here.
bold line, bold line.
Now, how many
Captain.
cards were left in that pack? I think we're only wheeling 1 or 2 cards out of it. So getting that replenish back feeling not that likely. Perhaps Sky just going to lean on playing the enchantments fairly and not worrying about bringing them back from the graveyard.
Sky's a very good player. They know what they're doing. Completely trust in the judgment here.
Well, that's what I always say, Jay Bro. There's a reason I'm in the booth, and it's because I'm better at talking than I am at playing. And Sky's a better player, so I'm curious to see the direction this draft ends up going.
Yeah, we'll see how this ends up. But I also think that it's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
it's really good.
7,
We are in
8.
a direction now where we can also pivot if that prophetic bolt
That was
comes
our last
back.
pack, yeah. So yeah,
We can pivot to a control-y shell of white, blue, red still, and maybe do something else in that. And
given that we took Order Migration, I'd really want to see the Prophetic Bolt come back, but I'd be
Yeah.
very surprised to see that card table.
agreed.
I think it is really strong and also the kind of thing that a lot of people like to do.
Yeah. So Snap is
Mishra's Factory still in this pack. I think that card is quite good. Intuition, Palancron. Palancron also a part of a number of infinite combos.
yes.
So not sure exactly how we're going to make that work yet, but I would be happy with
Well,
a
the-
speculative Palancron here and then
The
figuring out.
intuition coming back is tough because we missed that replenish. Intuition
Intuition Replenish is
good with
great. We're going to take
replenish.
this. Now, there was a High Tide that was going around the table. If we get that High Tide back, that's one of the cards. It's going to go infinite with Palancron and just give us access to infinite mana. So, assuming we have enough islands. So, we'll see if that comes back, and then we got to figure out something to do with that infinite mana.
There is a
Looking at
Stroke of
Grafted
Genius.
Skullcap here. Really interesting
Okay.
card that you really want in a low curving deck where you're going to refill your hand every turn and get to cast all your spells. There's Pandemonium for the enchantment combo deck.
which we have the Rector for.
And the Yavimaya Coast if we're looking to maybe play some green spells. Plus this,
wow.
the name is escaping me. This cycling card that allows you to go get a basic land out of your deck being pulled to the front.
The Behemoth.
What was the pick there, Jay Bro? I was looking at the spoiler. Crows and Tusker
Crows and
is his
Tusker.
name that was escaping me. I don't think we took the Tusker, though. I think, did we take the Pandemonium? That would
I
be.
missed it. Chat, what do we take? Thank you very much for the sub, Thunder Labs, and congrats, Escura.
Jay Bro interacting with chat, a natural. Me, I can't be bothered. I'll get distracted. Incinerate still in the pack is
Wow.
very fascinating to me.
Okay,
There's also, I believe, an exploration back there.
took the Tusker. We do have an enchantment.
Mirari, classic card here. I don't think we are
have Opal-
right now the deck for Mirari, but we could become the deck for Mirari in the next 2 packs.
Okay. Did we take the Opal Champion there?
We did take the Opal Champion.
So, when one of your opponents successfully casts a creature spell, if Opal Champion's enchantment becomes a 3/3 with first strike. That's the type of power level that we had back then. Now our 3-mana enchantments are a little bit better.
Oh, this is the kind of card that works really well with Replenish. Here we have
Yes.
Wonder still in the pack. We have Ravenous Baloth, a great card against those aggro players. Taiga.
I think we take the Taiga here with our
I mean,
fetch.
I love taking the Taiga here just because we have that ordered migration. We can speculate a
Oh.
little bit. Wonder pulled to the front of the pack, though. This,
I
if it's in our
wonder-
graveyard and we control an island, we'll give our entire team flying, and that's what the pick's going to be.
Well, you can also get it out on turn 3 with the Sky Diamond, I suppose.
Red.
Um,
Red being disrespected at this table. That's a Rorik's Bladewing. That's the 6-drop of choice from back in the day. It's either that or Kamal Pitfighter. That's what you're going to do in this cube on 6 mana. Blazing Spectre still in the
Blazing
pack,
Spectre, the
along with
disrespect.
Phyrexian Reclamation.
Love Blazing Spectre. When that card first came out, I was rocking that constantly. That's such a good card.
All right, Jay Bro. After pack 1, how are you feeling?
This is gonna come together, I think, in pack 2 and 3. I'm not sure what the plan is. I think we might have pivoted and pivoted back. We might be going towards the domain strategy. We might be going towards the enchantment strategy. We might just be going towards a value control deck, quite frankly. Ooh,
We've
Memory
got some
Lapse.
flexibility. There's a fetch land on top there, Memory
Oh,
Lapse.
wow. There we
There
go.
is a blue dual land, which we've got to be pretty excited to pick up. There's our exactly on color fetch land. We're mostly white-blue at this point. Quiet speculation in here. There is a flashback deck, which I know for a fact
There's the
that
Stroke of
BK cleaned up with earlier this weekend. So relatively recent addition to Absorb, one of the best counter spells for the control deck in this cube because,
Yes.
again, your life total is going to matter against those aggro opponents. A lot of great options for us
And
here.
Absorb-
A little bit of a heartbreaker to see so many great cards in this pack, though. We're going to get something great and hopefully wheel something great out of this pack, too.
I suppose we're taking the fetch, but The Absorb is a good example of just stapled cards together. Healing Salve, Counterspell, let's get an Absorb. Let's
It's going to
see.
be Tropical Island
Okay,
here
so
for Sky.
So we're leaning towards at least 3 colors.
And right now, if I'm not mistaken, I don't believe we have any green cards. So that's, you know,
We took the Tusker, right?
I don't think we took the Tusker.
Oh, do we not take the Tusker? Okay.
Maybe chat can confirm, but
Chat, confirm, was Tusker taken? I also think that we are... Oh, they're moving the box. Where's the box going? The cube!
don't get distracted.
Don't
Focus,
get
J-Bro,
distracted.
focus.
So we're hopefully going to... Let's see, what do we want for this, like, 3-color domainy type stuff? There's a lot of really good blue-green interactive cards. There's Trigon Dargon, Temporal Spring is fantastic, Mystic Snake. Oh, there's a Birds of Paradise.
Birds
Okay,
of Paradise,
that looks
Thundering
like
Titan, Karmic Guide.
Birds of Paradise looks like a windmill slant. Oh, wait, is there?
There are 2 copies of every original duel in this cube, so there's another Tundra.
Okay. Oh, we took the Yavimaya coast before. Excuse me. Oh, and there's another. Okay.
Yeah, we have the Yavimaya Coast. We've taken some green lands.
Oh, there's the Opalescence.
The Opalescence, another part of one of these enchantment combos.
Sadly, we did not take
This one's a little complicated, but if you combine Opalescence with Parallax Wave and you understand the stack and how
Yes.
layers work, you can basically lock your opponent's creatures out of the game and keep them from
Opalescence
ever coming down.
is a 4-mana enchantment. It says every other global enchantment, meaning not an aura, is a creature and with power and toughness equal to its converted mana cost. It's still an enchantment.
The pick
So
is going to be Sundering Titan here, it looks like.
I think we go for either
Or just maybe another
yeah, I was gonna say either
Tundra.
a duel or birds, but I would love to see birds here with what we've taken so far. I don't know.
You know, we have a little bit of green fixing, but we're not
Okay.
unlikely to have it on turn 1.
So that's curious. So Sundering Titan, if we're going multiple, okay, so maybe we're
You
going.
know, who needs lands if you have a Sundering Titan in play is what I like to say.
I suppose so. And in a format like this, there's going to be less artifact removal. There's going to be less ways to kill a Sundering Titan. There's no Ravenous Chupacabra hanging out.
Well, you know, we've got Flame Tongue Kavu, and we've got...
We do have Flame Drum Kavu.
I'm actually not
but
sure if we have Necrotal. I don't think it was ever printed in a foil printing.
But that does not deal with a 7/10.
Now, in this pack, we see this...
Waterfront Bouncer.
We see Waterfront Bouncer, Frantic Search, Careful Study. All of these cards, incredible if we had that replenish.
Yes.
We could just be discarding our great enchantments that cost a lot of mana, or even off color. We could play a Pandemonium in a deck with no red mana, just plan to discard it to get it back with replenish. But we didn't take the replenish, so here it's going to be Waterfront Bouncer, which is also just good for interacting with your opponent's board.
And unfortunately, you know, as Cube goes, you don't know what the cards are coming as drafting is, but we did have the Intuition, we had the Replenish,
Sigil of
we had
the Empty Throne.
Opalescence, we had Sigil,
This
which
is
also great with
probably
it.
the best payoff for a deck
Ooh.
with a lot of enchantments in
And
it.
there's a Decree of Justice. Now here is I think this is a pivotal moment in the draft. Is they gonna go for the Sigil and go lean into the enchantments? We have the Rector, or is they with this opposition?
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
This pack
Two of
must
the-
have been absolutely stacked.
2 of the best. Okay. Or Sky is sending really good signals. And Temporal Spring, like I said before, fantastic.
So I
tempo
will say
card.
this. We are in blue. As of right now, we are not an opposition deck. We have very few cheap creatures. We have our Order Migration, which is a really great curve if we have enough basic lands.
I think it's early enough to take opposition.
I
but
agree. We could become an opposition
I
deck.
think
We're not
you take
one
the
right now.
opposition and try to wheel one of the 2 white cards, but okay, we're taking the opposition.
That's definitely the pick for power. That's definitely the most powerful card in this pack if Sky can make it work.
Well, now that we have opposition, things really open up. We can still go enchantments. The Rector gets way better. We have opportunities
Looking at
now.
Funeral Pyre here, there's something that'll make you a token to tap your opponent's lands down with. Pristine Talisman,
Pristine
Eternal
Talisman's
Dragon.
great.
Eternal
Eternal
Dragon, a
Dragon's
personal
great.
favorite of mine.
Both these are great. These are both important cards for card advantage and for playing the late game. Pristine Talisman will let you ramp and gain some life and do some silly things. Oh, there's another diamond. I think we're probably taking the diamond. Yep. I was going to say, I think we're taking the on-color ramp here. And that's what
I'm
I think.
wondering what Sky is looking to ramp into so far. So far, our curve not super high. I mean, we do have a Sundering Titan, so that's probably the biggest thing that we're trying to get out.
Well, in a format like this, even getting a 4-drop turn 3 outs, really valuable as is in many formats. Ooh, let's take the
yeah.
dual
Let's
land.
get that's a real
Nice.
nice underground sea. Nothing else for us in this pack, so easy pickup. Get those basic land types to make that Order Migration even better.
So we have a lot. If we're into green, as long as we're opening up our colors, we can do a lot with our. Oh, there's an Oath too. Wow, we could be an
Now,
Oath deck.
we actually
We
could be an
deck.
Oath deck. Right now, we have Sundering Titan, very few other creature cards,
I think we windmill slam.
but
the
we
Oath
do have
here.
cards like Order Migration that make tokens. Will be really cool to see Sky try to make Oath of
So
Druids
look,
work here.
and we also have the
Enchantress's presence pulled to the
Enchantress
front here. That's just a payoff for the Enchantress deck.
So we did pass some of the most important enchantment cards, but this pool is deep enough. This cube is deep enough where you can do lots of different enchantment type stuff.
I wonder if Sky is really hoping to wheel that Sigil of the Empty Throne, but we didn't take the replenish, so somebody else here is probably also doing enchantment stuff. I would not expect that Sigil to come back.
I could see a scenario where someone just took the replenish because there weren't a lot of other good cards. It's such a powerful card they don't want to play against. I could see
There's a
someone just
Triskelion recently printed in old border foil. I know Jeff was excited to get that one in his cube finally. Great for the Welder deck.
What does Triskelion do for our unaware viewers?
Triskelion is a 6-mana card that says, I'm walking Ballista, but a lot worse, basically. Though it is actually interesting, way better, specifically with Goblin Water. It's pulled up on your screen now. Comes in with 3+1/+1 counters, and you can take a counter off to ping something for 1. This card actually really good in old border cubes like this. Actually more efficient than it looks.
It does a lot of work. It quietly does a lot. Okay,
we're taking Arcanus the Omnipotent here. This is a big source of card advantage and late game win condition for a control deck because you can bounce it. Suffocating Blast Wield. Another Underground Sea. Memory Lapse came back around.
Fantastic for us. We're windmill slamming that right here. That is great. We're trying to set up. We're trying to get up while they're doing all their shenanigans. We're getting our mana fixed. We're, and that's the other thing. With the enchantment deck, if we want to go that route, we want to ramp and we want to replace our hand. We want to get a lot of stuff out quickly and start drawing cards. So we are in a pretty good position here if we can. And we also want to wheel that talisman.
Who's this strange man? I don't know who that is.
Oh, we got former champion, the reigning CubeCon champ, Caleb Durwood, another one of our Cube for Charity teammates. This last year was me, Sky, and Caleb and Gob Nassif. So we're going to be running it back. Check us out. It'll be December 26th and 27th, I believe, this year. And we're taking on Jim Davis's team. We've got the Wisconsin hat trick 4-0. Okay,
there's
we're back to
the Attica Waste for us, more mana fixing.
Yep, Windmill Slam the
We also got
here.
Sterling Grove there. Sterling Grove is definitely a payoff for the enchantment deck.
Yes.
Still unclear to me how much Sky considers this deck to be an enchantment deck.
Well,
in some ways, you would think that they're really pushing the enchantment theme, but passing Replenish, passing Sigil of the Empty Throne makes you wonder what their overall strategy is. Do they consider themselves more an enchantment deck or more just a many-colored sort of value control deck?
Yeah, we're kind of half-half right now.
This is Wall of Wonder, I believe, that we pulled to the front right here.
Yep. So, yeah.
Sorry, Wall of Deceit. My mistake. Wall of Deceit, which is this interesting morph card and a great anti-aggro card. Just a 2-mana 0/5. Pretty good.
Ooh, we got the Temporal Spring back. One of my favorite cards from back in the day.
They don't print them like this anymore.
Don't print
this
them
is
like
the kind of power you don't get where you get, just put your land on top of your library. How's that feel?
The first cube I ever played was a green, red, blue deck, a teamer deck, and it was infinite turns, and it had Temporal Spring was one of the. I had Temporal Spring, and I had what's the 5-mana sorcery? Lets you put 2 lands on the top of their land.
Plow Under.
Plow Under, and I had Time Walk was my pack one, and it was an infinite Time Walk deck basically.
So sad to see Psychotog still in this pack.
Yeah,
that card has the potential to be utterly broken, but only for the right deck for it. And the fact that it's still in the pack tells me that nobody's the right deck for it. We're going to take that Spectral Links.
We'll take the Links.
At the very least, a really good sideboard card if our opponent's playing black. Maybe a main deck card.
But the very first cube I ever played
Silvos Rogue Elemental is the last card in the pack, which honestly, we got that late Silvos. We didn't take the Oath of Druids, did we actually? Yeah, we didn't take Oath of Druids, so we're not going to be playing that Silvos. I got excited for a second there. Maybe we could actually take advantage of that card, but we're not the Oath of Druids deck. Sky got a very interesting brew coming along here. What do you want to see out of pack 3 for this deck?
I think we want more enchantment. We want stuff that draws cards when we play enchantments. I think we want is Argothian Enchantress, right? I think we want
Argothian Enchantress is in the cube.
I think that's our best.
There is Survival of the Fittest.
Survival's good. We're pulling up we don't take in Blastoderm. That was a. Oh, there we go. Hobble's quite good, actually.
If you like to look at that foil Survival of the Fittest at home, don't look up how much it costs.
Swords to Plowshares.
You probably can't have one. Swords to Plowshares here, really good removal spell.
Yeah, we're taking Swords. That is the most efficient, one of the most efficient removals ever played.
Polluted Delta, though.
I think we Windmill Slam Swords here. 1 mana.
I mean, Brainstorm also kind of messed up, though we're not going to have as many shuffle effects here, so its power level a little bit tempered.
I think we just Windmill Slam the Swords. There's very few cards as powerful. What? We're taking Brainstorm?
Looks like my Brainstorm. We'll see.
I think we're taking Swords. I can't imagine possibly.
We do have currently not that much interaction for creatures, but to be fair, Sky might not be worried about that. Sky might just have made the assessment that my deck's going to go over these creature decks, do something synergistic that I'm not going to have to worry about removing my opponent's threats.
Yes, I think that I,
Tough
th-
choice here.
I can't possibly imagine
Sky definitely
blasting the
feeling
swords
pained
here.
by this pick.
I don't know how. Yeah,
There
there
it
we
is.
go.
The
That's what I'm
pick is
talking
Swords to
about.
Plowshares. That brainstorm almost certainly
No
not going to
matter
come back around.
what cube you are drafting in, swords is almost always the best
There's a
removal spell,
scrub land.
unless it's a free swords. Oh, there we go. There's a
Thran Dynamo, Future Sight,
Ooh,
really good
Future
source of
Sight's
card
good.
advantage. A great thing to get off Academy
Okay.
Rector is Future Sight.
There we go. I think we're taking the Mystic Snake here. Yep, going to the top. I think Mystic Snake is exactly the sort of value payoff card we're looking for. We could also grab that elf, and the birds did not come back to us, so we know that someone's picking up that elf if we don't. But I like the Mystic Snake here. The Scrubland is also good for our bird maker, but I think we just windmill slam the snake here. Yep. Seems good to me. So now we're going closer towards a just bat value deck.
Yeah,
Where
I think we've kind of given up a little bit on the enchantment theme and are just focusing on playing, good Bant cards. Speaking of a good blue card, Windfall. That one's banned in quite a few places.
Entomb quite good as
Factor
well.
Fiction also, just as good as it was in the past in a cube like this. Maybe it's been outshined a little bit in modern card design, but this is an old school cube, and Factor Fiction is just as good as it ever was. Also looking at Words of Wind here. The way to turn all of your card draw into putting permanents back in people's hands. There are some interesting combos here with Words of Wind if you have your own permanents that you're interested in bouncing, like a Mana War or something. And we're taking the Words of Wind. So right now, I'm trying to think of things we have in our deck that we are actively want to bounce. And it's escaping me, but it can also just be a way to control your opponent's board if you need to. Maybe we'll find something great. That's a late Lightning Bolt. So pretty safe to say nobody passing to us directly on our right is playing red. Hard to imagine what you take over Lightning Bolt.
Oh, there we go. There's that Decree of Silence you talked about. So if we
gotta take Decree of Silence here. I think one of the ways you win with this deck right now is
we also don't have a way to sack our Rector yet.
We don't have a way to sack it.
We could take the Trigon Dargon. I would probably okay. So we're going for the high power pick. I would have probably taken the Trigon Dargon there. So Decree of Silence, 8-man enchantment that of course works well with our Rector. We can block it. It dies. We get this right in play. It's a whenever
deep analysis here.
Yep. Whenever an opponent plays a spell, that spell gets countered, and you put a depletion counter on it. And if there are 3 or more, then you sacrifice it. So it counters the next 3 spells they play. It's really hard to win around, and you can also cycle it to just counter something.
And you can see a little portrait.
Oh,
you can see
there's
a little.
The moat.
Teferi's Moat will just
moat.
win some games on its own. Like that.
And a great pickup for us. Wow, that is amazing, and also fantastic with Rector.
Yeah, well, so now we're seeing, I think, a little preview of the deck we maybe could have had because we passed that Replenish. We now have Decree of Silence.
Passed the Intuition.
We passed Frantic Search, Careful Study. There was a chance we could have basically, milled a bunch of cards into our graveyard, replenished our giant Decree of Silence and a couple of win conditions. Dissipate and Compulsion here being pulled to the front of the pack.
Yeah, we were very close to getting the enchantment deck, but there's a couple different ways you can always go.
Dissipate is the pick.
So Dissipate is blue 1, counter target spell and exile it.
Little cancel with upside, still quite good in this environment.
It was a big deal back in the day when you had Shardwing Phoenix to deal with, other threats with Panza. It's a good way to get stuff out of the graveyard. But this enchantment deck is now coming together. We have also Sterling Grove, which can search up our Teferi's Moat. And again, Teferi's Moat can just win the game against it, like a Goblin deck.
If these opponents are not expecting cards like Teferi's Moat, Form of the Dragon, the Ensnaring Bridge, then they might just lose on the spot. That's a very late Misty Rainforest here, which is a fantastic pickup for Sky's deck. Also looking at Psionic Blast, maybe giving a little chuckle.
I think we just grab. Wow. Collective Restraint. I didn't even know that was in here. Fantastic. That's got to be the pick. Collective Restraint playing into the 3. It's so let's pull up Collective Restraint.
And nobody in the Upheaval deck. We first picked a
4-mana
diamond.
enchantment, and creatures cannot attack you unless their controller pays X for each creature attacking, where X is equal to the number of basic lands. I think we just windmill slam this here. Fantastic. Upheaval 2, good call. That's great. What do you take here?
It's tough because I don't think I know how to draft the kind of deck Sky is going for. Me in this seat, I think I would have been much more committed to the enchantment theme probably, in which case I'd be all over this collective restraint. This draft also could have gone a little differently, and we would end up with a bunch of ramp. We passed the Thran Dynamo earlier. We passed a couple of diamonds. With those picks, we could have been some kind of upheaval deck, though. We still need somebody to win after the upheaval.
We took it. We got the collective. Okay, I am happy now. This deck is good.
So now the question here is, how are we winning the game? We've got some ways to stifle our opponent. We've got Decree of Silence. We've got Teferi's Mode. We've got Collective Restraint. We're going to make it hard to be killed by creatures in typical ways. Are we just Ordered Migration?
We got the birds.
Is it just get to 8 mana and cast Sundering Titan? Is that our plan?
Nerds love birds. That's what I'm saying. We got the birds. The birds will carry the day. We don't have the we did miss out on the Opalescence, the Replenish. We missed on the classical win conditions for a deck like this, but
the Sigil of the Empty Throne. I'm just thinking of how good that Sigil would be in this deck.
Absolutely.
Turning all of these prison enchantments into 4/4s.
Yes.
Quite good.
Yeah, would have been great.
Very late Memory Jar there. Somebody is not respecting the power level of that card.
I think we Windmill Slam Plateau here.
I like Plateau a lot here, though. There's a couple playable cards for our deck. I wouldn't be upset with some of these other cards. Memory Jar, you can absolutely just play fairly.
Yeah.
You do not need to have a broken combo deck
Sometimes you just want to draw 7.
Just pay 5, and then you get a fresh 7 cards the next turn with all your mana available, and your opponent doesn't get to use theirs.
Also, I suppose there is a win condition. We have cards that make us not draw cards to like gain life or do other stuff.
Yes,
so
the words of enchantments are great ways to never die to mill, because you can always just replace your card draw with something
that's
else.
a win condition. If we can lock our opponents out of it, we can just win by
now
just
look,
gaining
I
5 life.
really like this disenchant here. There are a lot of really powerful artifacts and enchantments. I think disenchant is extremely main deckable in this environment. If Sky's not played a cube like this before, they might not realize exactly how powerful some of these artifacts and enchantments are. That's the pick I really like personally, and Sky agrees.
Also, disenchant is good not to get played against us. Like
sure, yes. If you're taking the hate draft into consideration, then that is also a factor.
Yeah, they don't want disenchant. This is also a card that's really good to sideboard against Sky's deck, so they might just say, I don't want to play against this. Let me grab it. It probably is main deckable in this deck because
I think it's main deckable
we're a little bit light on interaction, but we also are like. Yeah, we've got to figure out the win cons besides just decking our opponents and birding our opponents. I'm trying to think what else we could be doing. I mean, it's if we can get
City of Brass here.
City of Brass does not count towards our collective.
If we want to talk about hate drafting, we got to take this. Oh, we're not taking the white-green enchantment removal spell with flashback. Okay, that's partially in here. That card is Ray of Revelation.
Yep.
Which that will 2-for-1 us if we get it. Windfall still in the pack.
Okay. I think
so Windfall, if we're talking about that words of win condition where we're trying to mill our opponent out, then Windfall is a great pickup here.
Yes, Windfall can in that corner in a very specific scenario could be quite cool.
Call of the Herd still in the pack here. Not sure what the I'd say Call of the Herd here. I think
you definitely take
or Grizzly Fate. Either Call of the Herd or Grizzly Fate can definitely be a win condition. Both of those honestly are going to be more consistent and putting more power into play than our Ordered Migration. Looks like Call of the Herd is the pick.
Both are also good with our opposition. Putting multiple creatures into play is always good.
I'm wondering if we're even going to be main decking this opposition. You know, we talked about how we weren't really an opposition deck when we took it, but we could have become one. I'm not sure we became one.
We might not. We might not have became it.
Glorious Anthem and Nightscape Familiar, last 2 cards in the pack. Take an Anthem. Here's the thing. Okay. Here's the thing. If we had taken the Replenish, if we had taken the Opalescence, if we had taken the Sigil of the Empty Throne, we could maybe play that Glorious Anthem, even though we don't have a lot of creature cards, because it's just going to turn on proc all of our Enchantment Matters cards. But Sky going a different direction, playing a Bant value deck with, I would say, a slight enchantments theme, not a committed enchantments archetypal deck. No combos in the deck. We don't have any combinations like Parallax Wave Opalescence or Pandemonium Saproling Burst. We have the Palinchron, but no ways to go infinite with it. We don't have Sneak Attack. We don't have High Tide. We don't have. There's one other way to go infinite with Palinchron in this cube, but it's escaping me right now.
I guess Palinchron could just be a win con. Like
Palinchron is definitely a win condition for a control deck.
Having it come into play, and you can, because again, sometimes Palinchron just protects itself, and that's just what you need.
Right. I mean, if you read the card fairly, if you don't have your degenerate goggles on, then what Palinchron can be is just you got a bunch of mana. It's a very difficult to interact with flyer that can close the game out and win for you.
Yeah, sometimes you just want a 4/5 beatdown, and at the end of the day, it does protect itself. It can bounce it. So this deck can definitely win. We have some. Yeah, it's not the most powerful version we could have had seen, but with such a good person piloting it, I think we can definitely see some victory here. What's your prediction? What do you say?
If you're making me predict it, I don't see this deck going through the first round, to be honest. I think I'm not sure how much Sky has drafted old border cubes before, but these cards, they're all mechanically simple compared to newer cards, right? There's less text on them, but there's this kind of invisible layer of knowing what they do, you know, with interactions with other cards, right? Knowing that you can replenish back your Opalescence and your Parallax Wave and basically lock your opponent out, or, you know, do something like that. So we're actually going to get a little look here at Sky's opponent building their pool. We didn't watch them draft, but we're going to get a little look at what they are playing. And what we're seeing here is some reanimation, it looks like.
Oh, wow.
I see Dread Return. I see a lot of black.
This is a cool deck.
A Scrubland.
Okay, so
Clone.
So what? So let's walk through. It's kind of hard to see with the foils. Is that a squee? Let's walk through what we're looking at here. What kind of
We'll get a better sense in a second here. Right now, Jeremy is registering the pool, so the cards are just in a random order. But pretty soon, we're going to get our sideboard cards pulled out, and we'll actually start deck building.
Is that a?
We're definitely going to be heavy black.
Yeah,
Duress is going to be very good against Sky.
And that looks like a Phyrexian arena.
Yeah. So
a powerhouse in this format.
There's the Dread Return.
That's, we also want to also real quick
Bone Shredder.
Give a huge shout out to Corey and the Nerd Rage Games team. Thank you very, very much. You guys are doing great.
Gerard's
Thanks to Bryce and Norman.
Smother, Charcoal Diamond, Vampiric Tutor, Visara the Dreadful. We are a Reanimator deck, confirmed. So there's Cabal Therapy. There's Grim Monolith. So we are a Reanimator, maybe even just ramp out our reanimation targets. Life Death, we're going to be playing the death side of that. Sign of Darkness, one of the better cards that we have in the Reanimator deck.
Fantastic. And what is your Reanimator target of this cube? What's your favorite thing to get here? What would you like to be doing?
I think one of the safest things to get is a card like Symbiotic Worm. There's not a ton of exile running around, so you get your Symbiotic Worm back, and unless they have pretty much exactly Swords to Plowshares, you're going to get 7 1/1s out of the deal, and that's going to close the game out if you don't just win the game with a 7/7. Here, Visara the Dreadful, Sign of Darkness, also really good reanimation targets. So up against the Reanimator deck, we don't have any Grave Hate. We passed a Funeral Pyre in the draft, which is a card that looks really unassuming, and I don't think you would pull out of a pack. I see a Pernicious Deed here in Jeremy's pool, really, really powerful card.
Pernicious Deed is quietly one of the best cards in this format. It does so much and asks so little, and you're able to. And then remember, we're not playing Planeswalkers here. This is Old Boil, or I have a problem saying this word.
Hey, you know, it's a tongue twister.
Foil cube. So no Pernicious, no Planeswalkers. Pernicious Deed is king. We also have a really
there's Animate Dead,
and we also just have like a good value system here, right? Gerard's Verdict. We have Ravenous Rats. Although the Ravenous Rats, I don't think we have a way to really juggle it, like with Recurring Nightmare, for example.
Right, no Recurring Nightmare in this cube, so we're not going to be looping that Ravenous Rats, but
it's still just a good value card, especially if you're the Reanimate deck and you don't care about your opponent discarding a big creature. Or
yeah, I mean, you could have them discard their big creature. I mean, we could honestly see in this matchup a turn 2 Ravenous Rats with no other information given to Sky. Sky just pitches the Sundering Titan that they're nowhere near casting.
Boom.
All of a sudden, Animate Dead, and that's going to be GG's.
Boom. Is Jeremy playing Sky first round?
Yes.
Okay.
We're watching Sky. We're watching Jeremy build because we're going to see them play. Ooh, Necropotence Dark Ritual. So we are.
That's a treat.
We are mono black. I see. I mean, it looks like maybe Pernicious Deed and Gerard's Verdict are the two splashes sneaking in here. Vindicate as well.
Yeah.
But we are
fantastic.
Essentially mono black, and this deck looks pretty scary. I gotta be honest.
This is a fantastic deck. We have some good disruption. We have some good eruption. We have some powerful things to be doing, and also just with Necropotence and Phyrexian Arena, a lot of really good card advantage engines. This is a great deck.
This deck looks
we've also
really
got
strong.
Spiritmonger. Woo! You know about Spiritmonger?
I sure do know about Spiritmonger.
Let's pull that up. Can you why don't you describe your experience with Spiritmonger?
Spiritmonger is this is the old school beef. 5 mana for a 6/6 was ridiculous back in the day. Plus it has Regenerate. Plus it grows more as the game goes on. So what we're looking at here is Reanimation as the primary strategy. We also do just have Dark Ritual and Grim Monolith, where there's very realistic games where we could just turn 4, turn 3, cast some of these big spells.
That's true. That's a nice thing about having so much threat density with these beef, right? Sometimes you can just cast it.
Absolutely. It looks like Jeremy is currently considering just how much they want to splash these non-black cards. So that's going to be a decision that they're going to have to make in their deck building here. Let's talk about the advantages Sky has in this matchup. Number one, mono black, no answers to enchantments. So
Well,
Teferi's Moat is going to eat. Collective Restraint is going to eat.
we have a little bit of interplay here because we do have duress, we have rats, we have the mesmeric fiend, but we also
Right.
have
No answers to resolved enchantments. There are ways to deal with them out of our hand.
but we do have pernicious deed,
Pernicious Deed, that's true. If we do play a Pernicious
and
Deed,
we have vindicate.
that'll give us answers.
So we've got to
We got to splash outside of black to get those answers. Because
Yeah.
black's not going to have a mono black. So,
That's right.
so Jeremy may not know that right now the decision of whether to splash or not is really key in terms of this particular matchup.
True.
Here's another advantage Sky has in this matchup. Jeremy's got a fair amount of removal. You know what's not going to find a target against Sky most of the time? Bone Shredder. Diabolic Edict. Smother.
What are you gonna do? Shred a bird?
We
Block a bird?
We
What's
don't
going
really
on?
have targets. And Bone Shredder is interesting. If there's a legal target, you must choose one. Now, luckily, Jeremy's not going to have any non-black creatures on their side of the battlefield either, except for maybe Solemn Simulacrum, which you don't mind killing with a Bone Shredder.
Right.
But they don't print cards quite like Bone Shredder anymore. Nowadays, that would be a May.
Yes.
You may destroy. But back in the day, you had to do it. If it enters the battlefield, there's a legal target, you're going to have to destroy something. So
Good catch.
I think that we're going to see some heavy sideboarding out of Jeremy once Jeremy is aware of what Sky's doing, taking some of this removal out and just kind of going all in on being a fast reanimator deck and disrupting Sky's plan. And also, if Jeremy ends up not main decking this Pernicious Deed and this Vindicate, which it currently seems like they're going to do, but if they end up not main decking those cards, we are certainly going to see them out of the sideboard if Jeremy sees Teferi's Moat or Collective Restraint, which are going to be ways that Sky can get a quick answer here.
Yeah, this is a really, really good deck. This is exactly what I want to be doing in Cube in general, especially when I'm drafting black. I want hand disruption. I want hand refillment. I want a really powerful thing to be doing like reanimating or something of that nature. And the nice thing is we've also got Vampiric Tutor. So we don't just have
Right.
Vindicate and Pernicious Deed. We've got 2 Vindicates, 2 Pernicious Deeds, 2 Necropotents.
Whatever we need for the given situation, Vampiric
Yep.
Tutor is going to go get it.
Yeah, it's great. And also because there's kind of like a diversity of the types of threats here. In other words, we can sometimes just ramp out a 6/6. Sometimes we can just discard it and reanimate it. Sometimes we can just play a long value game with all of our cards and draw cards. And another important feature of this deck is that Pernicious Deed may answer cards that we want to get off the table. There does come a point against a burn deck, for example, or in other aggressive scenarios where we might want to get Necropotents off the table and just draw our cards normally, or we might have to get Phyrexian Arena off the table and save that life. There's a lot of heavy lifting here being done by Pernicious Deed. This is a really, really cool deck, but you're right. There's a lot of dead cards here. We've got Smother.
Yeah.
We've got, I can't remember that.
Smother, Bone Shredder, Chainer's Edict.
Chainer's Edict.
These are all looking quite
What's
bad
the-
in this matchup.
What's the card immediately above Chainer's Edict?
Immediately above Chainer's Edict, that's Animate Dead.
Oh, that's an Animate Dead?
That is the new old border printing of Animate Dead.
Oh,
I
good
believe it's
eyes.
Rotting Regisar in the art that's being reanimated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so a little bit of new border flavor there.
I like it. Very good.
I mentioned in the draft how main deckable I think disenchants are in this environment, and we are seeing that here with Animate Dead,
Yes.
Necropotence, Pernicious Deed. Really important cards for Sky to get off the table if they
Absolutely.
resolve. So hoping Sky ends up actually main decking the disenchant like we talked about, because it's going to matter in this matchup for sure.
Yep, and we've also got a Life Death. So interesting about Life Death. I play in a lot of online cube leagues and do a lot of.
Oh, do you play a lot of Cube Online, Jay, bro?
play a lot.
I had no idea.
When I can, in between, when I have the free time.
In
play a lot.
between raising your 45 children.
Yes, in between the 45, I keep it live. And interesting about Life Death is, it's not just the reanimate spell. There are scenarios where you just come across the board with 6 1/1s, where
Hey.
making your lands 1/1s is relevant.
If we are splashing green for Pernicious Deed and Spirit Monger, yeah, there's not impossible that we see a life cast here.
We've got Solemn Simulacrum to grow us. And by the way, I love that they kept the old art for this, that it's the Jan's, the original
Yes.
creator of Solemn Golem, not
Yep.
the sad robot, not the other robot.
So-
Fantastic.
There's a couple interesting interactions I'm noticing might come up here based on Jeremy's list. Academy Rector is going to be really interesting because Academy Rector is a card that Sky is going to actively want to die, and of course Jeremy is not going to want to die.
True.
That's going to mean that if there's Academy Rector in play, Bone Shredder is just literally uncastable because
Can't
there's not going to
blow
be
it
another
up.
target, so Bone Shredder is just an actual dead card as opposed to a 1/1 which you could play if you really need to in a pinch. Living Death, also going to be interesting with the Academy Rector. If Sky can get Academy Rector down and Jeremy's building to a big Living Death play,
Can we pull Living Death up on the screen?
Yeah, Living Death is 5 mana, and what it's going to do is essentially swap all the creatures in play and all the creatures in graveyards on both sides of the table.
Does it? I just can't remember the wording. Does it actually trigger the death, or is it
Yeah.
remove it?
So it exiles from the graveyard first and then returns to play, but all the
it does
creatures
say
in play are
okay.
sacrificed. So
I'm thinking of All Hallows Eve. Do you remember that
sure,
one?
yeah. But all these cards are slightly different. The rules interactions are important, but
yeah, that's a good
what's
call.
going to happen there is we might see a Living Death that Jeremy's going to get back a couple of huge heaters, a Spirit Monger, Ivysaur of the Dreadful, something like that. And Sky just goes, okay, fine, I'll get Teferi's Moat. Let's play this game.
Let's play this game.
So, and Teferi's Moat, really good here because Jeremy is, all the threats are black.
Yep.
So all we got to do is name black, and we're going to lock Jeremy out of the game unless they find their Pernicious Deed or their Vindicate for that Teferi's Moat.
Gotcha. So who's your pick for this one? Who do you think wins it?
You know, for my money, I
Which
think
deck is
Jeremy's deck is favored here in the long run.
Why is that?
I think Jeremy's deck is very consistent and has everything that they need in this matchup to get around the answers that Sky has. I think we need Sky to get a little lucky here in order to basically lock Jeremy out of the game. I don't see a sort of sequence where Sky is going to be proactively beating down Jeremy and reducing their life total to 0. I think Sky wins by locking them out, getting Teferi's Moat in play, and having their Pernicious Deed and Vindicate no longer in their deck. Then you might get there.
Well, I think if there's a scenario where like,
because here's the thing. Even in the face of that like Living Death line with Academy Rector play like I talked about, normally your best thing to get with Academy Rector is Decree of Silence, but what good is that if your opponent's just getting back all their big stuff, right? That's not going to help you at all. So, I mean, nothing's impossible, right? I mean, this is Magic. Crazy things happen all the time, and these old border cards have really swingy interactions, right? In a good way. I think it's really interesting that, you know, a game where Jeremy starts on Duress into his Merrick Fiend, I don't see how Sky can possibly compete. Well, there's so many good non-creatures in our deck. Taking Sky off their curve by taking 2 of their best non-creatures, that's probably GG's right there. I can also see situations where Teferi's Moat just takes over the game entirely. So we're going to go to a quick break. Then we're going to be back here with round 1, Sky, a.k.a. Mythic Bebo, going up against Jeremy. Bant value with an enchantment sub-theme against Mono Black Reanimator with a couple of splashes. Stay tuned for the action.
Thank you guys very much. CubeCon!
CubeCon.
See you soon. Hey!
It's like you're surprised every time you see yourself pop up on screen.
There's you.
Welcome back to CubeCon Day 3. We are here taking a trip down memory lane with Jeff Green's Old Border Foil Cube. We just watched Sky, a.k.a. Mythic Bebo, draft a Bant value deck with a couple of lock pieces, maybe a prison deck. It'll be interesting to see how Sky built that main deck with the card pool available to them. And they're going up against Jeremy, who is playing a mono black Reanimator deck with a couple splashes.
Absolutely. And let me riddle you this. Before we get to the draft, what has been your highlights of CubeCon so far?
My highlights of CubeCon so far. So I did... you know, I feel bad to say it, but I got to beat Sam Black yesterday, and you know, I know
that's a pretty big accomplishment. He's a pretty good player.
Oh, of course, but you know,
despite popular opinion,
he's
hot takes.
Such a nice guy.
Good at the matches.
You know, it's got to feel a little bad to have everybody just being like, I want to beat that guy so bad, so I can say that I beat Sam Black.
Trust me, he's used to it.
I know he is. But so I got to do that yesterday. Sam's a delight. He's been on our podcast before, so I really love Sam. But I got to take a match off of him.
Which cube did you beat him in?
That was in Emma Partlow's Peasant Cube, which I was specifically drafting because we're going to be covering that tomorrow morning here on stream. So don't miss that. That's going to be for the top 64 draft. We're covering Emma Partlow's Peasant Cube. I wanted to have some personal experience.
Getting it done.
I wanted to know what those cards do, so I drafted that cube for that reason.
Absolutely.
That was definitely a highlight for me. The other highlight is just being here with the homies.
Hell yeah.
Seeing friends from all over the world. We're going back down to the table, though, for our first match here.
Okay, so we got, who do we think is on the play?
We're going to find out in
Body
1
language.
second.
What do you say? I'll call Sky.
Looks like they're both keeping 7.
Oh, nope, it was Jeremy. Okay.
That's a Grand Coliseum there.
If you're going to start with land, that's a pretty good one.
City of Brass, but it comes into play tapped and can produce colorless mana without damaging you. That is the kind of card that Jeremy is splashing those green and white cards off of. I see a Forest Vampiric Tutor in hand there. Just going to fill in the gap where we need. It looks like Visar of the Dreadful, one of the animation targets drawn here. No black mana so far except for off that Grand Coliseum. Weird not to see a swamp yet, but maybe that Coliseum will go the distance.
If Sky is... Okay, so no ramp. If Sky is going to win...
And here comes Vampiric Tutor. Let's go ahead and set things up. That will take a damage. Going to 19 here.
I think... what
and
do we get?
17 after you take the 2 damage off Vampiric Tutor. I haven't seen the rest of Jeremy's hand. I'm not sure what Jeremy's going to get. We have a reanimation target, I'm pretty sure. We may be getting a reanimation spell. We may be getting a discard outlet. Thinking back on Jeremy's pool, I'm not actually sure how many discard outlets we have. That might be the choke point for this deck, is ways to actually get these big creatures into the graveyard.
Yes, absolutely. And although I couldn't see from the hand how much mana there actually was. It's possible we're pretty light on mana here, but it's also a deck that doesn't necessarily.
There's
need
an
a lot of
Animate
mana.
Dead off the top, so we got Animate Dead
Oh,
with the
never mind.
Vampiric Tutor. So we were looking for our reanimation spell. Already a forest and a plains here, so Jeremy drawing those splash basics hopefully has enough black mana to execute their strategy. I do wonder what the discard outlets are here, thinking back on that deck. There's
Okay.
City of Brass across
Actual
the
City
table
of
from
Brass.
Sky. You know, a couple interactions we talked about when we were on break. We have Memory Lapse in our deck, and one of the ways that Sky's deck can answer a quickly ramped out threat, like if you Dark Ritual and Grim Monolith to commit to a threat and it gets Memory Lapse, that's kind of a blowout.
Or you can cycle.
Now, here's one way to get a reanimation target into the graveyard, just by cycling Sign of Darkness. Call of the Herd there from Sky, so making a 3/3, and next turn with another land drop can do it again. But
so here's an interesting question: how big is Sign of Darkness?
a 6/6.
And how big is 2 elephants?
I believe it adds up to 6/6.
So we might be okay here. We might be okay for a bit. But
Bloodstained Mire going to go and get a basic swamp, I imagine, though there is a scrub land, I'm pretty sure, also in Jeremy's pool. I expect we're going to see an Animate Dead on this Sign of Darkness here. But like you said, J-Bro, if Meebo has a basic land or land drop and can flash back that Call of the Herd, that's going to put a stop to that Sign of Darkness getting into the red zone until one of those elephants can be answered. A great example here of how the reanimation threats in Old Border are just quite a bit worse than the new ones, right? Like, you're going to get you to reanimate your big thing here, but it's going to just trade with Call of the Herd. And actually, because of Animate Dead, that's going to be a 5/6.
That's
so
right.
it's not even going to kill both elephants,
Good
which
point.
just means we're not going to see an attack into a 2-elephant board from Jeremy. Jeremy's going to need an answer to one of those elephants. We talked about how those removal spells, Smother, Diabolic Edict, were not going to be at their best in this matchup, but this is one situation where you're really going to want them.
Absolutely. And as we all know, the bane of demons everywhere, elephants. Ooh!
All
Ooh,
right.
doggy.
Opposition,
Ooh, doggy. There's another
opposition,
way to
a
deal with
very
it.
good answer to a reanimated threat.
Ooh,
I will not.
machi,
I
machi.
won't bother making another elephant. I will simply just tap down your Sign of Darkness for the rest of time.
Wow, that is spicy. Okay, so the opposition did make it in. We got token producers. We got the lands for the hands. We are in shape. We just need to pull. Now we're just looking for our 5-mana bird-making sorcery.
Yes, we are only going to make 3 birds off of that, but you
Okay.
know, 3 birds is 3 birds. Smother on your 1 creature. In response, I'm going to tap your Sign of Darkness. We do have flashback on that Call of the Herd, so the opposition is still going to be locking down that Sign of Darkness. Memory Lapse off the top here for Sky, so an answer to the next spell out of Jeremy, at least a temporary answer.
And we also see a Dissipate, which is wonderful. Dissipate can do a lot of work against this.
Flashback Call of the Herd here. Yep, we're going to make that elephant again. Keep this 6/6 at bay. Now, another thing about this matchup is Sign of Darkness is a 6/6 with trample. Its upside is that it gets to steal creature cards from your opponent's graveyard. Sky's going to have very, very few of those. So
True.
really, we just reanimated essentially Colossal Dreadmaw.
Yes.
You know, which
Which?
is okay. Here comes
Ooh.
the Bone Shredder. We tapped out of our counterspell mana in order to make another creature, which we kind of had to do, but that's going to mean that our Call of the Herd has been answered. But Call of the Herd here, 2 for 1. You just
2
made
for
your
1.
opponent discard 2 spells in exchange for your 1 card, so not the worst.
Although the Bone Shredder also 2 for 1. So we're at a little bit of parity there, but we.
Well, I'd be surprised if we see Jeremy pay the Echo cost of this. We'll see.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
The
That's a
Echo
good point.
cost on Bone Shredder to keep a 1/1 around is pretty steep. Also, is a reason Jeremy might want it in the graveyard, turning future reanimation spells into removal spells
Good
if
point.
need be.
Or Living Death. Yep. So we.
Arid Mesa and Pass. We have 2 counterspells up, Dissipate and Memory Lapse. Not sure what else is in Sky's hand, but we're going to find out. Looks like this Scion is going to get to eat, though.
Yes.
And by eat, I mean get in for 6. Colossal Dreadmaw style.
Yep,
Not going to steal anything out of the yard.
Gonna get to.
Oh, I'm sorry, just 5. I got to remember the Animate Dead does, in fact, make this less good than Colossal Dreadmaw.
Yep.
We have Life Death in hand from Jeremy, I can see.
Which might
As
be
well as
relevant.
Visar the Dreadful. No way to get that into the yard as far as I can tell. We're still 1 mana short of hard casting Visar the Dreadful. Spiritmonger. We can cast that if that is in fact a Spiritmonger, and here it comes.
Nice.
This is almost certainly going to eat a counterspell.
I think we're getting dissipated
The
here.
question is it Dissipate or is it Memory Lapse? given that we don't have any pressure, I expect Dissipate. There it is. Let's just exile that. Exile, very relevant here, given the reanimation spells in Jeremy's deck. We cannot just simply Life Death that next turn because it is gone for good. Arid Mesa going to go get another land. I can't remember. Do we have another basic land type from dual lands in our deck? Did we get a scrub land or something? It looks like no. Looks like if we do have Order Migration in the main deck, which we're not sure we do, we don't have access to Sky's main deck here in the booth. If we do have a Order Migration, though, it's going to be just for 3, which still fantastic for the opposition deck. We've got word from production that Sky's mom is watching. So, Sky, do your mom proud. Here comes a Palinchron. Would you like a 0 mana flyer? Untap all those lands. Still have that memory lapse up. And Words of Wind here. This is going to have the opportunity to replace Sky's draws with making both players bounce a permanent to their hand. And that can, in fact, include lands. So, I think what Jeremy really wants right now is a way to get rid of that Palinchron. And we know for a fact that they have Life Death for that Bone Shredder in their graveyard. However, there's a memory lapse on the other side of the table. So if we do attempt to death that Bone Shredder to put Palinchron in the graveyard to potentially give Sign of Darkness a target when it hits, I expect to see a memory lapse on that Life Death. Looks like instead we're just going to get into combat. And by that I mean, let's just tap your creature with my Palinchron. Jeremy now in the tank. Access to 6 mana. Do we have the 3 black we need for Visara? We do. Here comes Visara the Dreadful. And there's the memory lapse. Let's at least put that off for 1 turn. Visara would take over this game. We do have Swords to Plowshares in our deck on Sky's side of the battlefield. That's going to be a great answer to any one of these threats. Activating Words of Wind. So the card draw is in fact replaced with returning a permanent to each player's hand. Looks like Sky is saying, I'm hitting my land drops, you are not. Let's put you under a little pressure here and start making you bounce those lands to your hand.
Okay, so we're paying 6. Oh, wow. Oh, my. Now, that is a banger. We need an answer from Jeremy. Toot sweet.
One thing sorry, yeah, the Arcanist is definitely going to be powerful. One thing I'm not sure of, it seemed like Sky drew a card and also activated Words of Wind, but that does replace the card draw. Maybe I didn't see what happened there, but Sky should not be drawing a card if they're activating Words of Wind for turn. They should just be making both players return a permanent.
Maybe we can have our production. I don't know if we have access to a judge, or we can ask.
Our judging staff is great. Judging staff
on.
is watching this game play out, so I trust the judging staff knows what's going on here. This is a very pivotal turn here, so.
Yeah, being able to get back the Bone Shred is exactly the play we talked about. Now we've got Palinchron on the other side, which is harder to kill, but more important to take out the card that's drawing 3 a turn, which also is interesting with, it's kind of a nice little combo piece with the enchantment we have on the table, being able to replace those draws with bounces. And again, with the stuff that we've seen from Sky so far, that might be the direction she was going, they were going. So we are.
Looks like we were actually getting. Looks like maybe the judging staff has caught the Words of Wind interaction. I'm pretty sure I saw Sky draw a card in addition to bounce something.
And that's why we wanted to double check.
So we might roll this back.
Yeah, and we have.
We'll see what the judging staff decides.
We'll see what the judges said. This is not actually the highest REL that we have. This is a little bit lower on the REL scale. So we'll see what the judge says because it's going back so far. But
yeah, Sky's saying I drew this Plains for turn, which we saw them draw.
We also have an opportunity to interact with the staff that's down there because we have, I think it's Corianne on site, so she can maybe relay some information to our production booth and let us know what's going on here. But
while the judges are sorting this out, interesting that we're seeing opposition here not playing its brightest role in locking your opponent out completely, right? When opposition is broken, you have a bunch of cheap threats in play, and you just don't let your opponent cast any spells.
Yep.
Every upkeep, tap all your lands. How's that feel? Here, though, we're seeing a very fair opposition that is still doing a ton for Sky, keeping those reanimated threats from getting in. All Sky needs is a string of creatures, any creature at all, to keep that Sign of Darkness tapped down. And so far, they've managed to keep those creatures flowing so that we can actually keep opposition locking our opponent out.
Yeah, opposition looking more like kind of a soft removal spell than a lockout card at this point because we don't see too many big, squirrel makers or something like that. While we're waiting, I'll give a quick story about City of Brass since we've seen two different iterations of it. Years ago, there was a back for us boomer magicians who,
Back in my
back in
day,
my day, we had.
you'd kill somebody with an icy manipulator.
Yeah, so we had City of Brass. There was a deck that was the top deck at the time. It was Mind Over Matter. Do you remember that card?
Oh, that is one of my favorite combo enablers in my own old border environment. I've had so much fun playing with that.
Yeah, so it's Mind Over Matter, Tolarian Academy. You just draw 7 cards, untap your lands, make them,
Yeah, for those that don't know, Mind Over Matter is 2 blue, 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 blue for an enchantment that says discard a card, untap or tap target permanent, which
And
can do a lot of degenerate things in the right deck.
yeah, so the long story short is this is what was happening. Stroke of Genius is how you killed, and the way around this, what the tech at the time was Jester's Cap. So basically being able to remove all the win conditions, which there weren't that many of, the Stroke of Geniuses from your opponent's deck, and there was a match between, I believe it was Turbo Bob and Jacob Danger, where it was the end of the turn, at the end of the round. We're all sitting around watching. It's going to turns, and at the very end, Turbo Bob was like, "Hey, I beat you. I removed all your threats. You have no win conditions." And Jake kept playing, and he started. So he accumulated all the cards he needed, started going off, doing the thing where he draws all the cards, untaps, taps, gets all the cards in hand, but he can't win, except for one line he found that no one else thought of. He accumulates all cards, so like 100 cards in hand, goes, activate Mind Over Matter, untap your City of Brass.
Ooh.
Activate Mind Over
Mwah.
Matter, tap your City of Brass.
Chef's kiss.
For 20 damage.
You just don't see
Or
that kind of win
18
condition
damage
anymore.
rather. Yeah.
That is beautiful. Yeah, for those that don't know, City of Brass does damage to you no matter how it becomes tapped, whether you activate it for mana or whether it gets tapped in some other way, and Mind Over Matter allowing you to do that. Jester's Cap, man, Surgical Extraction used to cost a lot of mana, huh?
That's how life was back then.
Turns out, back in my day, Surgical Extraction cost like 7 mana, 4 to play, 3 to activate or whatever.
And incredible art. Can we pull up the original Jester's Cap? I just want to show off this art. This is one of my favorite cards. This is an Ice Age staple from back in the day, and
It's got that old school drip.
yes,
I think the kids would call it drippy or
yeah.
something.
Or what do you say, busted now? Is that some public transit? Okay, so that's
Jester's Cap be bussin'.
yeah, that's. I don't know if we can actually pull up with this. I don't know if we have the ability to pull up the old version. I think it just pulls up whatever's the newest one. But that's the Jester's Cap. It's fantastic. The old art is something of beauty.
Big thank you to our judges staff here while they are sorting out this situation in this game. They're judging this event is a particularly unique challenge because there are thousands and thousands of specific cards and unique cards in all of these cubes in the room here today. And interactions, I know for a fact some judges have told me that they have never seen before in any competitive Magic event because we get to play with all kinds of cards that are not viable in constructed formats. So outside of EDH, you're not going to see these cards played in any sort of judged situation. Getting word now from the production booth that what we're going to do is return the drawn card back to the top of library, but keep the current game state. So as far as we're concerned from watching the match, Sky just downed 1 card, the card that was accidentally drawn off Words of Wind, and now the Bone Shredder eating the... Why is the Bone Shredder going to the graveyard? Bone Shredder is eating the Arcanist the Omnipotent. Here's Swords to Plowshares on the Sign of Darkness.
Bone Shredder was blocking the 4/5.
Oh, we're back to Sky's turn now. Okay.
Correct.
I didn't realize we had already passed the turn again, so...
Yes.
Okay.
So now we are going to see what's popping, but... Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
There's a Mutilate that's just rotting in Jeremy's hand here. We talked about some of these cards that are bad in this matchup.
There's also a Living Death.
There's also a Living Death, though the best targets have been exiled. Spiritmonger is exiled. Sign of Darkness is exiled. We have
but you know what's
Visar the Dreadful, and we have Bone Shredder.
You know what's funny about this, though? Because, again, of the cool ability of Palancron, this does not kill Palancron.
No, Palancron going to get bounced right back to Sky's hand in response.
This is maybe one of the one of the most lackluster Living Deaths we've ever seen. Does give some time, give back the 1/1, but Sky is given a run for the money
what
here.
happened to Visar the Dreadful? Did that also get exiled?
Yes, there was a...
Oh, it got memory lapsed. It never hit the yard.
No, there was a Dissipate and there was a Swords to Plowshare.
No, the one that got dissipated is the Spiritmonger.
Yes.
The Swords of Plowshares is a Sign of Darkness. We also saw Visar the Dreadful, but that got memory lapsed, so I think that's back in Jeremy's hand.
Correct, right. And because the other cards aren't in the graveyard, it's harder to cast.
Yeah, I see the Visar in hand alongside that Mutilate. Mutilate, Pretty much a
Mutilate,
dead card in this matchup. Not
can-
looking good here against Sky's Creature Light deck.
yes.
Almost certainly going to get sided out if Jeremy has anything else that has text in this environment.
Well, Mutilate is good against the birds, and it can be good against the herds.
If Sky's playing them, here comes
Oh,
Visara.
wow. That's
Now,
a big mama bear.
Sky's down to 1 card in hand. This is going to resolve. There is the ordered migration off the top for Sky.
Wow.
The opposition is also gone. What happened to the opposition? We missed a little bit here while the judging staff was sorting out this game state.
What did happen to the opposition?
I don't know what happened to our opposition, but
did it get vindicated?
that's going to make this order migration quite a bit worse. I mean, we still
Well-
got some chump blockers for that Visara, and Visara Visara's not going to be able to actually remove Palancron. It's going to be able to force Sky to continue to bounce Palancron back to their hand and recast it.
Correct.
But again, Palancron untaps all your lands when you play it, so that's not even a big cost, really.
And also, it is smaller. So it's actually not really great to try to run through because we can block and tap. So we can be binking a bird every turn now. Can we? I don't know in that graveyard if we can see, but it must have been a Vindicate, right? What else could it have been?
Only a
So
Pernicious
it must
Deed,
have
I
been
guess.
the last
but
turn must have been Vindicate and pay for Echo, right? That's the turn we missed. Because
no, I don't
that's-
think Echo was paid for. The Bone Shredder came back off the Living Death, and then...
No, the previous turn, because that's how it blocked, right? It must have been.
Well, but you can... I think Jeremy brought it back on their turn, and then passed the Sky. Sky attacked, and then it blocked. So there was
Gotcha.
never an opportunity to pay the Echo, I think.
Okay. So again.
The Mutilate, which we said was a dead card in hand, now just eating all those birds.
We did not say. I said for this
Okay,
exact
fair.
scenario.
You're right. You did say that. You did say that.
I said this is exactly. Oh wow.
There's a Waterfront Bouncer, but Sky, no
Not-
cards in hand.
Yeah, and unfortunately we played the Plains last turn, but also not technically that great against Visera in this situation. But it's a pretty. Yeah, this is pretty rough. We're gonna bink it, bounce it.
So now we get to untap and kill the Waterfront Bouncer if we choose.
Well, and remember, Sky is at 10, so we're in the danger zone.
That's 2 hits from Visara, but Visara's got to get through this Palancron somehow. And
So the way that Visara is going to get through it is play it, end a turn, bounce it, swing, play. So we have basically 3 turns to live at this point, unless we can draw something.
yeah, and this turn's not going to count because we're already tapped out from killing that Waterfront Bouncer. So
Right.
it's going to be a couple turns here, and we are both
Ooh.
our players are good. Impulse, pretty great draw.
Impulse is good. Although the moat does not stop
Teferi's
flyers,
moat.
correct?
Moat does not stop flyers.
So it's not actually the
There's a
answer.
collective restraint, which not so great at this point of the game when Jeremy has access to this much mana.
And we still have to keep the 4 mana open.
So our 2 prison pieces here, but neither of them looking good in this exact board state.
Yeah, this is tough.
We've exiled the 2 big ground creatures, the Spiritmonger and the Sign of Darkness, but the one that we didn't have an answer for is the Visara.
Well, and that was actually pretty lucky of Jeremy because he doesn't have that many Big Daddy Fatties, right?
No, there's I think only 1 left in Jeremy's deck, which is the Havoc Demon, which is also pretty bad in this matchup because, again, I mean, we've seen, I think, one of the most creature-heavy draws out of Sky's deck based on the pool we saw them draft. Again, not sure how the main deck was built, but Call of the Herd into Palancron, into Order Migration, that's almost all the creatures that are in this deck. So Sky drawing the creature side of their deck this time, but overall, those cards are not going to be so great in this matchup.
Now, my question is this enchantment that each player bounces a permanent. I guess it with, yeah, I'm just trying to think. Maybe there's, because we got.
Usually you want to play that alongside a permanent you specifically want to bounce.
Oh, no. Did you see what he drew?
I did not see what he drew.
It is a 2 mana sorcery that sacrifices a creature, Hachimachi. Now we're going to be able to
So
get.
now you pay 4. In response, I try and kill it with Visara.
Yep. That is.
Which does Sky have access to 8 mana? No, 1 shy of 8 mana.
That's pretty
Palancron
rough.
hits the bin. That is the answer.
Good grief, Gavnasif.
Now we've got Temporal Spring off the top, I believe.
I think that was a Sterling Grove, but I
It was,
might be
the art is pretty similar. You're right. It could be either of those. You're right. Sterling Grove.
Okay, but it's also just
So
not.
Sterling Grove can go and get what? What matters as an enchantment in our deck?
I don't
Our
think
prison pieces don't do it. We don't have a pacifism or an O-ring or anything like that to actually answer this Visara.
I don't know if we have anything relevant left. I think there's. I mean, we can get the.
Visara getting in 4-5. This is likely how this game is going to conclude
I
unless
think
Sky
Visara
can
gets
pull
in
something
for
off the top.
6, right? Is this 6-5?
5-5.
Oh, it's a 5-5. Okay, gotcha. Well, either way, yeah, this is.
If it was printed today, it'd be like an 8-9. But back in the day, no, that's just a 5-5.
And it would have Delve.
Exactly, and it would have Delve.
All right, this is pretty tough at 4 life. What could we possibly draw here?
It's hard to say because we don't know exactly how Sky built their deck, but we've seen a lot of our answers for creatures.
And
We
have
do
no way
have
to,
Sterling Grove.
we did not get the Eternal Witness, right? We didn't draft that,
No,
so there's
didn't.
no
I
way
don't
to
think we
get back.
saw Eternal Witness in the draft.
We did. We just passed it, but that was the card I would have taken. But there's no way to get back the. We can't get back Swords to Plowshares then.
Now, importantly, Sterling Grove doesn't actually put the card in hand. You can sacrifice it to put a enchantment on top of your library.
Right. So that's where the.
I think maybe, if I'm speculating, I think maybe Sky is asking right now with his judge call if they can fail to find, even if there are enchantments in their deck. And if I'm not mistaken, you can. Your library is a hidden zone.
Correct.
So just in the same way that you can Gifts Ungiven and only get 2 cards instead of the full 4, Sky could choose to activate this Sterling Grove,
Correct.
look through their deck and say, are any of these enchantments going to help me? If not, fail to find, shuffle, 1 live draw to possibly answer this Visara.
And you said that's because of hidden information. Why is that exactly?
Well, because your library is a hidden zone, there is actually, like, your opponent has no way to verify that you, in fact, don't have any enchantments in your deck. It's a little, it always struck me as a little bit of a weird sort of loophole almost in the rules that you could Gifts Ungiven for just 2 cards, because you could say, well, I couldn't find 4 cards of different names in my whole deck, and, you know, we know that they're there. Seal of Removal. We forgot 1 enchantment answer based to this Visara.
Answer is a strong word here.
I mean, it is an answer. It's not a great answer, but it's an answer.
I don't know how we can possibly win from that point after seeing the deck. I will say that
can we top deck
in,
Sundering Titan after this Seal of Removal? Is that a
Lynx,
possibility?
The Pro Black Lynx's main deck, which is good
Lynx is going to be really good in this matchup.
Deck.
Lynx will be really good.
So that's good, but at this point in the game, I don't know how we can possibly do this. Yeah, so pay for that. Yeah, if there's a Sundering Titan, I don't think Sundering Titan's in here.
I'm not sure. We're not sure how the main deck was built. We do have enough mana to immediately redeploy. You don't even have to wait a turn. So
yeah, I don't think I
bought you 1 card draw. Honestly, at the end of the day, it was basically the same as failing to find, right? I guess you thinned your deck a little bit. You got 1 Seal of Removal out of there, but essentially a fail to find. That's the scoop from Sky. First game going to Jeremy in here at CubeCon. Old Border Foil Cube. Real quick, while we're in between games, want to thank one of our sponsors for the day. CubeCon is brought to you by our great, fantastic sponsors. And right now, I want to talk about Magic the Gathering Online, which I believe you have some familiarity with.
I'm a little familiar. It's one of my claims to Buck. But yes, Magic Online is fantastic. We really appreciate them sponsoring us. And I have to say, since Daybreak has taken over, they have been incredible.
I've heard great things
to the Daybreak team and specifically to Ryan Spain for the latest iteration of the Vintage Cube. It is incredible, and it is completely one of the best, 2 of the best Vintage Cubes I've ever got to play, and I played a lot. So, what do we say about MTGO?
I don't know. I think all our viewers probably know what MTGO is. What you should know is that you can actually qualify for regional championships on Magic Online. You don't have to put pants on, go out of the house, and go to an event to actually qualify for the highest levels of competitive play.
True.
There's cubes on MTGO,
Hell
perhaps
yeah,
you've heard of. Right now, Frank Lepore's Horror Cube is up on Magic Online. There's a cycle of cubes. There's up most of the time, so lots of different cubes you can draft there.
Not only are there cubes up, there are now new 64-person drafts of cubes, which incredible payout, and it's super fun. So I would highly, highly recommend doing one of their 64-person drafts.
What even is that? I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, they just started it. It's a 64-person tournament where if you win the draft, you get to draft again.
So it's basically a top 64, top 8.
Yes, that's
back to back.
That's exactly what it is.
Awesome.
And if you win that, you get incredible. You get like 50 treasures, a ton of tickets.
Treasures.
Yes, it's points. It's incredible, and I've had some success with it. I've enjoyed it quite a bit, but it's basically the best thing. It's cubing, but then if you win, you get to cube more, but you get to cube more than you normally would if you win. So it incentivizes winning. So I'd recommend winning one of 64-person drafts. It's
hey,
awesome.
I heard you like cubes, so I put some cube on your cube so you can cube while you cube. Check out mtgo.com.
It's basically cubed.
Oh,
yeah.
There we go. We're going deep.
I'm not a mathematician, but it's basically cubed. And I will also say that if you want to get on the Pro Tour, now MTGO has a route for that. So you, like I said, qualify for the regional championships, do that, and also the Champion Showcase. Visit mtgo.com for more details. And a huge shout out to Daybreak Games. You're doing an amazing job. And we could not do CubeCon without you guys. I will also say that their sponsorship has included a free cube draft for everyone participating. So everyone here is getting...
Yeah, there's a QR code floating around.
Yep. So you get a free cube draft, and also they are doing an incredible job with our prize support. So if you are here and you have not registered yet, make sure you register for the CubeCon MTGO cube draft stuff, but they'll hook you up. It's awesome. And I would also just say... it's been really helpful for me personally during the pandemic and also with a family and everything else. Being able to play Magic on demand is incredible. So thank you very much to all the programmers, all staff, all the designers. Appreciate you. Back to the action.
So
So
our players have sideboarded. I don't know actually, based on the cards that Jeremy happened to see out of Sky's deck, if they will have taken out their removal. I do think, pound for pound, the creature removal spells are not that great in this matchup. I'm not sure what other options Jeremy has access to, but in that matchup, we saw them actually matter because Sky happened to draw basically all of their creature threats.
that's right. And
Turn 2 Skydive in here for Sky, and we see a nice stacked hand. Ooh,
ooh,
Duress, one of the
that's
cards we
tough.
talked about being a real nightmare for Sky's deck here.
Okay, so we've got
Ordered
a
Migration, Dissipate, Sterling Grove, Disenchant, and a Marble Diamond in hand. No more lands.
no more lands, although it's interesting because we've got the threat here with the Order Migration. We've got the answer with the Dissipate. We've got the answer to Animate Dead with the Disenchant. Sterling Grove is probably not the pick. Okay, take the Dissipate. Interesting. I would have
A lot of
not
interesting
guessed
choices
that.
there. We could have taken the one threat. We could have also taken the mana. You're stuck on lands. Maybe you're not going to draw another. Let's keep you off that Marble Diamond.
Good
Now
plays.
you've given Sky a free opportunity to play that Marble Diamond next turn because you took the Dissipate, which they may be tempted to hold up
Right.
instead of deploying that Mana Rock.
And we also are it probably means there's something Jeremy wants to force through soon.
That
But
was not a land off the top. That was opposition.
so interesting here. Jeremy has the Vindicate in hand. Do you go for the land? What do you
I
say?
think I do, honestly.
Now, going for the land when someone stumbles is really, really hard not to do. I am disciplined. I usually try not to go for the land because you have so.
Me, personally, I'm a man of class. I wouldn't vindicate a land.
I try not to. I try not to vindicate the lands, but
I mean, does Jeremy have a land drop? We haven't seen a land come down yet.
I think there's
Maybe
a,
slow rolling it. Here we go. We do have a land drop.
Yeah. Oh, we've got Necropotence. Oh, wow. Well, this game is essentially just going to be over here if we get the Necropotence on the table. But we're going for the Vindicate, taking out the white source. So
Choosing the Marble Diamond. I guess it is the one white source.
we don't want to get the birds on the table. I think I probably would have gone for the forest
Oh,
because
planes
exactly.
off the top.
And also it adds to the count for the
Jeremy laughing,
birds.
feeling a little bad about that Vindicate probably, not feeling great.
Yeah,
I think gonna slow roll that Necropotence until they are out of cards in hand and they can immediately refill with it.
I mean, even with especially with the Disenchant on the table, I definitely like going for the Necropotence right here and just filling up and just taking advantage because you're not being pressured. You don't have to worry about anything else. And if you ever do get the birds on the table, you're just going to draw answers to them.
Okay, so
Can't
actually
do that.
deploying the Necropotence. We do know Disenchant is in hand.
Yes.
I probably would have slow rolled this a little more, waited until I had
Okay.
fewer cards in hand so I could refill completely, but maybe Jeremy doesn't have anything else that's coming up the next couple turns on curve and just needs to draw more action right now.
But even if that is the case, why not? Why would you not want to get all the cards right away? Like, don't we want to just fill up our hands and have an optimal situation, even if we have to discard or exile some?
Yeah, I guess it depends what else is in Jeremy's hand.
Right,
if there's
right.
nothing else, like it looks like I see a Chainer's Edict. That Chainer's Edict, we've seen Sky's hand, not going to do anything anytime soon.
True. I personally I like just going for the cards right away since we're not under pressure and getting our job going. But on the other hand, I think there's a question: do they go immediately into hand? This is not a card people play with. So basically, how Necropotence works: you for 0 mana set aside a card from the top of your library. And you can do that in 1 life. You can do it as many times as you want, but at the end of your turn, you get them all back, but it's not before you have to discard.
Yes,
But when you
gotta
discard,
go to cleanup afterwards.
they don't go to your graveyard, they go to the exile zone. So it's it's kind of a weird dynamic card, but it is a powerhouse.
And I actually don't know how this works. You probably do. What happens if Jeremy pays life to Necropotence and the Necropotence is disenchanted in response?
You
You
still-
still get those cards?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And Sky doesn't have white mana available right now, so that wasn't going to happen, but
But that's an important piece. That's also why you want to get Necropotence down, because the disenchant's not actually a threat. Because as soon as they disenchant, you can just set aside a bunch of cards.
yeah, and also
And
more
then
importantly, there is a downside to Necropotence.
Yep.
You do no longer have a draw step.
Correct.
So now we've already seen Jeremy draw, I think it was 4 or 5 cards off Necropotence there. You can disenchant it and just give Jeremy his draw step back
Yep.
if you want, but doesn't feel good either way.
No, this is Jeremy's in the driver's seat. I'd say it like that. I'm also surprised Sterling Grove made it back after we saw what we're up against.
Well, so here's the thing. I still think that Sky's best chance to win this game is essentially lock Jeremy out. We can exile your 1 flyer with Swords to Plowshares, we can play Teferi's Moat and hopefully counterspell any answer like Vindicate to Teferi's Moat.
True.
I think that's our line to win. So
Okay. So it's a
Sterling
way to
Grove lets
protect-
us find that when we need it.
It also lets us protect it.
Also
because
lets us protect it with the Hexproof, or Shroud rather. This is old school Magic. We had Shroud back in the day. Here comes an Order Migration, making 3 birds.
3 birds.
And we do know opposition is in hand. So opposition going to come down after these 3 birds.
Oh,
4.
4. Right, because we have the plateau.
Oh, all right, Plateau, you're right. Sorry,
Which
4
again
birds.
is another argument. If you're going to blow up a card, blow up the forest, not the artifact. And also another reason not to blow up the artifact is that you have Pernicious Steed in your deck. Now,
Exactly,
there
yeah.
might have been the mentality of, well, Swords to Plowshares or something like that, so I can
Yeah,
see
it
blowing up the white, but
It seems like Jeremy was just trying to keep Sky off of white and not trying to think about the future where Sky just draws the planes off the top.
which is, again, why I don't love vindicating lands, because there's so many lands in someone's deck. Even though it's tempting, they're eventually going to catch up, and I would rather keep it for something better. But that's just me. I'm just JB. So we are probably going to see Sky winning if we don't see a Mutilate here. Because that four creatures plus opposition means locking out the mana, and that is really, really, really good. Are there any enchantments we can get with the Sterling Grove that make creatures? I don't believe there are, right?
Don't think so, no. We didn't get Sigil of the Empty Throne in our deck, so I'm pretty sure
Right.
there are no token-generating enchantments.
Wow, with the quickness, Sky is getting that opposition and windmill slamming it. Let's go.
Now,
Oh
Vindicate
my.
already spent, and
Yes.
no way to get that Vindicate back in Jeremy's deck as far as I know. So we are on Pernicious Deed or Bust here, I believe.
And even if there were, Sky is able to lock out the land situation pretty quickly.
Not
1,
fully, because we do have to worry about this 6/6
2,
Trampler, so we can lock out 3 lands.
and then
Really
4.
wishing that Coliseum right now was, in fact, a City of Brass, because we could
Yes.
actually just City of Brass Jeremy right out of this game.
Yes, and also, you know, we do have...
And you'll notice that Sky has not chosen to answer his Necropotence, saying, sure, keep paying life to it. That's fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not giving you that draw step back.
Absolutely. I don't mind that. I do... Oh, interesting. Okay, so instead of... Interesting. I probably would have liked to see Wasteland here for the land and then fetch up land for the Vindicate, but there might be a 1-mana spell we don't know about, such as a Reanimate or something like that. But I guess maybe you want to keep mana up for... I don't know why you would, but for the Spirit Monger? Is there a reason to keep mana up for that?
I mean, we saw
Wrath.
no way to destroy creatures in the first game, and out of this color combinations in this cube, I wouldn't expect almost any way to destroy Spiritmonger specifically. We have ways to exile it, but regeneration is not going to help you there.
Right, and Wrath of God... Oh,
Here comes
Are we
the
not gonna-
disenchant on the Necropotence.
is
So
there no responses here?
Sky opting to give Jeremy back his draw step. In response, Jeremy going
Okay.
to exile some more cards.
I like that. I like that. Although, now we're getting to a life total at 8, where that's just a couple
Looks
bird...
like we're going to be at 7 after this
Oh, it's 7.
4. We're taking 4 on our 11
Oh.
life total right now.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so we're actually getting close to bird range, where the birds are near. And we don't...
Though, I mean, Sky's going to have to make a really hard choice. Like, these birds right now are helping to both lock Jeremy out of the game, and now Sky opting to say, you know what, you can have your mana.
Well, actually,
I'll let you cast spells. I'm just going to keep your 6/6 tap down and get in for 2.
I don't love that in this situation. I actually probably would like to I would probably like to get in for 1 more damage here, because if that land gets cracked, or if the city... Yeah, so we're going to go down to 4...
And Sky's at 19. They could afford to take a hit from a Spirit Monger.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So trading, and when you're at 19-6, is very different than 4 for 3 or 4 for 1. So I would have probably liked to actually see 1 more bird get in there at this point. Unless it's also possible Sky is playing to tap down a land here, and there might be some reason why...
Maybe Sky is just trying to keep Pernicious Deed from coming down.
Right,
But we actually
exactly.
didn't see that in game 1, I'm pretty sure. Ooh, an upkeep Vampiric Tutor.
Wow.
Gonna go get Mutilate if it's still in the deck, one must imagine, and just
Either
Plague
Mutilate
Wind.
or Pernicious Deed.
Pernicious Deed will also
would-
do it if we do have access to green.
Which Pernicious Deed would also knock out the Diamond and the other enchantment.
Pernicious Deed kind of messed up right here.
It's pretty good.
So I think
it's-
Sky, in response to this, should be tapping down that
Yes.
Grand Coliseum if
Yes.
Sky knows that Pernicious Deed is an option.
Which might well be why they left up the bird.
No, we're letting Jeremy
Wait.
go to the main phase. Looks like Mutilate. That's 4 mana.
Wait, why is the thing tapped?
What?
Oh, it is a mutilate. Okay, so it's just mutilate. Oh, didn't get tapped yet. He just didn't untap it.
Yeah, he didn't bother untapping it because
Got
it was
it,
very
got
clear
it.
that that bird from opposition was going to be tapping down that Spirit Monger.
Well, Jeremy getting all the cards back, now at 2, now taking away. Oh, but there's. Oh, wow. They're the elephants, each one as lethal as the other. Hachimachi. And Jeremy still does not wasteland the land here.
This is a great time to draw Call of the Herd.
Wow. Wow, that is good. Now,
Is that Sarah Avatar in Sky's hand?
that's what it looked like to me, which
Is that a 1919 in Sky's hand right now?
for now it is.
I would not have expected to see that main decked and looking okay right now. But
I mean, sometimes you need a big creature, I suppose, and you've got the ramp, you've got the mana.
okay, now Jeremy's still not untapping the Spirit Monger. I'm getting a little confused. There we go. Thank you very much.
Yes,
All right,
much
so interestingly,
Okay.
we're going to have to wait to make that second elephant before we can actually present lethal because that 6/6 Spirit Monger is going to brawl with those elephant tokens, giving Jeremy a window here to find another removal spell. And we did draw a whole lot of cards off of our Necropotence, or just another threat.
Yeah, I probably would have liked tapping a land here a little bit more, but Sky is very good at the magics and knows what they're doing.
Sky opting to protect their life total at all costs.
That is rough.
That is some brand of removal spell. I actually don't recognize it. Let's see if we can figure out which one that is.
That is rough. Oy vey. Also, I think we still have the flashback spell, don't we? Couldn't we have just flashbacked the Chainer's Edict? Or was that another game? I'm also on no
Chainer's
sleep.
Edict is in the graveyard. It is a full 7 mana to flash it back, so
But
I
we
may be
have-
keeping that option available to us now.
Wow.
Well, Arcanus, I mean, this is into a face-up Chainer's Edict, though.
Unless we tap, which we did not. Okay. Oh, wow. Well, it didn't
Yeah, we
matter.
could have tapped down a land to tap Jeremy out of the Chainer's Edict mana unless they have a land for turn.
Now maybe realizing the Chainer's Edict is there. Wait. How did Jeremy go up to... Oh, was that a Drain Life?
It might have been a Drain Life, actually, on that elephant.
The old Drain Life Necropotence play. I like it.
Pretty
Okay.
good Brain Geyser there that also kills a creature.
That's how life was back then. Ooh.
Here comes the
Here
Chainer's
comes-
Edict, maybe something that Sky forgot about in the graveyard
we
there. It can
go.
be so easy to forget about these flashback cards in the graveyard.
Nice.
Jeremy's got card advantage from that Necropotence. Sky has not been hitting land drops. Let's take you off a color of mana just in case.
Well, Sky can still get the elephant of the herd, or the herd out. So we can
Has
still make an
Call the Herd
elephant.
flashback. Also has kept this Sterling Grove around. Has the opportunity to go get any enchantment
Oh.
they want.
I'm sorry. It is corrupt, not Drain
That
Life,
was
excuse
corrupt,
me.
we saw. Okay.
Yes, and that's corrupt as well. Pretty good with
Right, thank you,
Necropotence.
yes.
Fantastic. Okay, so we are at kind of parity right now, but it's looking really good for Jeremy. Jeremy has got so many cards, and Sky does not have a lot of card advantage opportunities.
Ravenous Rats. Let's take that last card. Hope
Boy,
it's not any
default.
good. It's Sarah Avatar, which
Ugh.
is going to go back into Sky's library when it hits the graveyard.
So we might, and actually, interestingly enough, that Wasteland, quite relevant here.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think Sky's actually pretty happy to shuffle away that Sarah Avatar and draw anything else.
Yes, at this point. We are, we're in rough shape. Now there's a flyer, so we can't even Sterling Grove away to get something to deal. Although, we might still Sterling Grove because the flyer can be dealt with the, yep, there we go. That's what we're doing. Can still be dealt with. So,
We've got Seal of Removal. We've got Collective Restraint.
no, we're going for moat, right? We got to go for the moat.
It doesn't
Oh, wait
deal
a
with.
second.
You're saying play to
Moat
Fairy's
doesn't
Moat?
deal with Spirit Monger because we have the green mana. Let's pull up Spirit Monger. Can we pull up Spirit Monger on the channel? Let me walk us through something pretty cool here. This is a unique interaction. Sky is already on top of it. So Spirit Monger, 3 black, green for 6/6. When it deals damage to a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on it. For 1 black, you can regenerate it. But for 1 green, Spirit Monger becomes the color of your choice.
The
until
ability
turn.
everyone forgets about.
Yes.
Color really mattered in old school Magic.
Color mattered. How do you get around to Fairy's Moat? Somehow, I don't really know the physics of this. How does that actually work? What's the Spirit Monger
You know,
doing?
yesterday we were talking about the flavor of a Regal Bonicorn wielding an Ember Cleave or being imprisoned in the moon. So Magic is all about being imaginative. We chose to get the Seal of Removal here to take us off the Visara for 1 turn, tap down the Ravenous, get swinging in, I guess, with the Elephant. Swing in with the Elephant, block with Ravenous Rats.
Oy.
We're just never bothering to untap our Spirit Monger anymore. We don't care about it, apparently.
Yeah, the Spirit
There we
Monger.
go. Thank you. Let's
If it's-
respect the Spirit Monger.
If
Getting
it's
it for
not in the
6.
red zone,
Sky now using their life total as a resource.
yes. Okay, so Viscera. So it's interesting because the previous line we identified probably would have mattered because of their
Here comes a
tutor.
smother on that Call the Herd token.
Oi. All right, it might be all over but the singing at this point. I think that's pretty much
Visara redeployed. Remove your creature. You
Yeah.
are in full top deck mode, and you might draw Sarah Avatar. It'll be Academy Rector.
interesting.
This
That
makes
is
makes the
actually-
attack. I mean, Jeremy does not know all the cards in Sky's pool. This might make them second guess an attack with the Spirit Monger and just send with Visara, which will buy Sky time.
Well,
We know Sky's pool, and we know that you should just send with that Spirit Monger. You could also surmise this by the fact that we activated Sterling Grove, and all we got was Seal of Removal.
That's true.
So how good of an enchantment can we actually really have in our deck?
I don't mind just swinging. I don't
You
mind
just send here. You fully
yeah,
send,
although
in my opinion.
it's also possible. I don't mind just swinging with the flyer because they can't because if Sky taps it down, then he's swinging with the ground guy. So I don't mind this.
Okay, so Sky choosing to just tap down the Spirit Monger. We'll get in for 5 with Visara. The Dreadful puts you to 7.
All right, we are getting close to the danger zone.
Here
Oh,
comes
wow.
a Triskelion.
That's
And here we're getting a picture of just how good this card is. Go ahead, play Teferi's mode. Play whatever you want. I will just ping you to death with
Yep.
this thing eventually.
next. This is death next turn. Trike on a bike. What did Sky draw? It was not a land.
Blue
Is
card.
that's not a treachery, right?
No, Treachery is not in Sky's deck. That is going to be the
Okay.
match. Congratulations to
Good
Jeremy
games.
on pulling it down with a mono black reanimator list.
Yes. Your prediction was true. We are happy to see the first round. What'd you think?
I thought it was a great game. Necropotence really showing off its power level there.
Necropotence, pretty
I mean,
powerful.
drew Jeremy, I think, 9 or 10 cards over the course of that game, which definitely made all the difference. And their life total was under very little pressure there from Sky, so free to draw all those cards. And then actually just got their draw step back anyway, so
Yeah.
did everything you wanted to do.
And this was not the top 8. This is just a feature match. We are going to be going through today, and then we'll be cutting to the top 64 tomorrow. That will bring us to the top 8. So this is just a feature match. We're just happy to show some awesome magic.
Yeah.
Highlight some great players. We will.
So that's your round 1 behind us.
Mhm.
We're going to follow Jeremy in the next round and see who Jeremy's playing in round 2. We're going to follow the winner right up the tree until we get to the finals here of the Old Border Foil Cube.
Follow the winner, get the dinner.
Follow the winner, get the dinner. He's rubbing off on me. I'm going to start saying all sort of Ned Flanderisms. Stay tuned here in Madison, Wisconsin. We'll be back soon.
CubeCon, the best 4 days in cubing. See you soon.
CubeCon. Hey, welcome back
Hey.
to Madison, Wisconsin, the
CubeCon.
Alliant Energy Center. I'm here with the one and only Jonathan Brostoff, Andy Mangold. We're in the booth. You got my sweaty hands. You know, it's kind of warm in here. We're in the booth to talk about the Old Border Foil Cube. We just watched Jeremy playing a mono black with a couple splashes.
Yeah, we did.
Reanimator deck. Take down round 1. Now we're going to go down to Caleb Durward. We don't actually know what Caleb's playing. Caleb, last year's CubeCon champion.
The champ is back. And Caleb is playing Lewis Kaplan, another local pro here from the Madison area. Fantastic player. Both great people. Is there any particular predictions you have for the types of decks we're going to see? What archetypes would you like to see?
What I'd like to see. I mean, I love me a counter burn deck. I'd love to see that.
Ooh, we did see Prophetic Bolt.
Yeah,
So-
Prophetic Bolt was at the table going around, so maybe one of them got it. You know, I feel like Caleb is a very versatile player, able
True.
to play anything. I don't know anything about Lewis. I would guess a very versatile player too. So
Lewis, we call him Papa Bear. He's a Papa Bear
there you
player.
go. So they likely drafted whatever was best for their seat, and I'm excited to see how they
What do you think
match
would
up with
be,
each
of
other.
the archetypes of this format, what would be best for coverage?
Best for coverage.
Yeah.
Well, so the thing about the counter burn deck is that very few permanents in play, so much less work for me, the play-by-play
True.
commentator. All we do is count down from 20 and get those best spells counter. I see a lot of red and blue cards in Lewis's hand.
Okay, maybe he got the Bolt.
Here comes an island from Caleb Durward, and we're off to the races. We do have Jeremy's match on backup here, so if we have extra time, we'll break Jeremy's match and see how the match is going.
Okay, so we're starting off with a Grim Lavamancer. Again, to your counter burn spells, this is a great card for it. Caleb is also on blue. We're seeing 2 islands. Interesting. Okay, getting in for 1. Nice.
The walk
And-
of shame here for the Grim Lavamancer.
Hey, every damage counts, right? What
That's
is
a Brainstone right there.
Oh, wow.
Retroactively Old Border card.
Can you describe to our viewing audience what Brainstone does?
Yeah, it's basically a artifact that does a brainstorm. It costs you 3 mana, but it is colorless. And if you have artifact synergies in your deck, then it's got some upside there. If you got your Goblin Welder or something, you can you can really go off with a Brainstone.
So if we see Brainstorm from Lewis, I assume that there is something to do with it. I think we're going to be good here. It's interesting, though, a blue deck playing Brainstone, when normally Brainstorm is a blue card.
Right. Yeah, I think the virtue of the Brainstone is that you can play it in your mono green or whatever, and you get
Exactly.
access to an effect that is rare for your color combination, but opting to play it in the blue-red deck right here.
And it also is a card for the graveyard for a good Loudmancer if it comes to that. Every point counts.
We now see Caleb adopting the Rishadan Port plan, tapping Lewis out of red mana, tapping that Volcanic Island down on upkeep. So Lewis just continuing to chip away here with this Grim Lavamancer. We've got untapped blue mirror here. Just both islands untapped on both sides of the battlefield.
And how do you feel about this particular island art? Is this your jam?
I love them all. I love all the old border foil lands.
Okay.
I think they're so beautiful. I don't actually
These
have a
are
particular island I love. I believe this is the
These are
beta
the
art, right?
Yeah, the Mark Pools. This
Yeah.
is. I think this is B. Back then they had A, B, C art. I think this is the B Mark Pools.
We've got a Deep Analysis on the stack, and that just resolves. So 2 cards for Lewis Kaplan. Deep Analysis, a great mirror breaker in a control matchup like this.
Yes, drawing 4 cards is huge, and it is a 4-mana sorcery that target player, so you might be able to draw your opponent out, draws 2 cards, you can flash it back for 1 blue, 3 life, and 4 cards is a lot. So we have we see Ophidian. Oh, that's one of the OGs, one of my favorite cards in this era. Did you play a lot of Ophidian? It might be after your time.
No, so I that's a little bit both before and after my time.
Your time is after Ophidian, I should say.
Well, yeah, I played when I was a real little kid before
Okay.
Ophidian, and then I quit.
Oh, you were pre-Ophidian.
Yeah,
Okay,
then I quit.
so you're
then,
pre
I,
and post.
then I came back and played since. So that's a Mana War from Caleb to bounce the Grim Lavamancer. We saw Caleb opt last turn not to tap the Volcanic Island down on upkeep with Rishadan Port, but instead on end step, which is going to perhaps make it harder for Lewis to hold up interaction for Caleb's spells, using the port a little more defensively than proactively.
And we see the Prophetic Bolt in hand. Was that a Brainstorm? That is a wildly powerful card. Okay, so Prophetic Bolt on the Mana War. Do we have a counterspell here? That's my question. And it's interesting.
We have
which is why
exactly
we didn't
counterspell.
Rishadan Port. So that counterspell is like a 10 for 1. We're not getting to search through the deck for like the Impulse. We're not getting to bink the Mana War.
Tundra here too, so up to 4 colors now. I'm sorry, we just not red yet. We've seen out of Caleb. Up to 3 colors, Esper at least for Caleb.
All right, so we're in a 3-color kind of looks like value control deck so far, and Luis is up to something, but being able to counter that Prophetic Bolt is huge. What is your first Prophetic Bolt experience?
Oh, I don't remember my first Prophetic Bolt experience, but I'll say I love about this cube that this is the kind of cube where A, you try to Prophetic Bolt a Mana War. That's just a 2/2.
Amen.
Like, it matters. It matters that you are going to Prophetic Bolt that Mana War, so you're trying to do that, and then it matters enough that Caleb is bothering to counterspell it. This is what happened. Like, this is a cube where a 2/2 in play really matters. This is what these old school threats are like.
That's right. Every single point of life, all the interaction, no planeswalkers. It's all about that. So I apologize. I was saying Lewis Kaplan. I'm thinking Luis Salvato, who could not make it this year, but I believe will be coming next year.
Big mana.
Wow.
We are seeing a cycled Decree
doggy.
of Justice, making a couple soldiers on end step.
Caleb's favorite card in the whole cube, Decree of Justice. What can you tell us about this card?
So this card is a classic control win condition, and it's really good in the control mirror in old school Magic because you're going to cycle this and pay X to make some soldier tokens, and that is uncounterable.
That's right.
You can't counter the cycling. You could stifle it if you wanted to. So really hard to interact with, and I actually won a match of an old border cube this weekend with exactly this in the control mirror. Just cycled it, made a bunch of soldier tokens, and got in there.
And that was your main win condition?
In this particular matchup, yeah. In other matchups, I have won other ways, but in the control mirror, that was my win condition. That was all I cared about.
Nice. And yeah, we see some really powerful stuff. Basically, I would say Decree of Justice is the Prophetic Bolt of white. That's like, it serves like a very similar purpose to me.
That's one way to put it.
It gets you so much and asks so little. Now, Ophidian, of course, the 1/3 body is a house here. Going up against 2/2s, 1/1s. What can you do? It does so much and asks so little. The snake on the take.
Now, I bet you have a lot of stories with Ophidian
Oh, yeah.
from back in the day.
Back in my day, Ophidian was all you wanted to do was mana war your opponent's creatures back and get in with Ophidian, draw more cards. It was a big part of the counter burn deck because you could wipe out your opponent's threats, get in for more cards, and you didn't have a lot of reliable card draws like that. It was a one-sided Howling Mine that can sometimes block. Okay,
I actually am trying to figure out what happened to this Grim Lavamancer. Did it swing in and just trade with a soldier?
sometimes you gotta trade, or else you get played.
With the graveyard starting to get filled up, I'm really surprised to see that choice from Lewis, but of course not sure of what all is in his hand. Mind Stone now for Caleb.
And that Phyrexian Rager is an awesome card. A really good, again, in a format where every single life matters, every single body matters. A 2/2 that replaces itself is wonderful. So
Flashing back the deep analysis here. So going to take 3, but draw 2 more cards. That's a clean 4 for 1
Nice.
from Lewis, which that card advantage looks like it's really going to matter in a matchup like this.
Okay, so what happened is it did interact. It did get blocked by instant speed soldiers.
Oh, this was on attack. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the update there.
Yes.
That makes a lot more sense.
So so again, Ophidian doing so much work here. It can block, it can attack, it can provide a really important threat. Why you might want to keep 2 creatures back just in case. That card draw is huge, and now with trying 4 for 1 here, Lewis is in the driver's seat. Is that a Brainstorm in his hand? Did you see Brainstorm there?
I don't know. We just saw a cycled Renewed Faith from Caleb. Great example of a card that is totally fine to main deck. You can just cycle it,
Yep.
you know, draw a card, gain a little life. But if you come up against mono red, you get to gain 6 life, and that's exactly what you want to do.
And it's another example of this sort of incremental advantage that we're seeing over and over and over in Caleb's deck. Now, most powerful example, of course, Decree of Justice, but Mana War, Phyrexian Rager, like, this is all just things that incrementally are putting him in the driver's seat and have a lot of flexibility. But also, Lewis's deck is all about card advantage.
Yeah,
So,
full grip over here for Lewis. Exactly 7 in hand. Can't quite tell. It looks like maybe just 3 on Caleb's side of the table, 3 or 4. This is the kind of match where, you know, the advantage is not necessarily going to be on the table. Even though we've got just an Ophidian and some lands, I would say Lewis kind of firmly in the driver's seat right now.
yeah, and
With all those cards in hand.
another interesting thing, we see Caleb with a Mishra's Factory in a 3-color deck, which probably means the fixing's pretty good, but it's also another example of why of the flexibility you want in this format. You want cards that can do lots of things, and every single piece of value is good. So we also have Fire and Ice in hand. Interestingly enough, Lewis is not choosing to block and do the extra damage and wipe out a soldier, instead just taking the 2 every turn, which is going to add up. We see a Morph creature. What could that possibly be?
My guess is Exalted Angel. I don't know Caleb's pool, but
His second favorite card in this format.
but that is probably the best thing it could be, and my guess for what it is.
I agree. I think this is an Exalted Angel, and I think it is going to do a significant amount of harm this game. This is pretty good. How much mana are we holding up?
We've got exactly, well, no, we got 1 more than flipping
more,
Exalted
just in
Angel.
case.
Yeah, you need just white 2 to flip Exalted Angel into a 4/5 with pseudo lifelink.
And can we pull Exalted Angel up?
Wall.
Oh, there
Yep,
it is.
here comes right now.
Okay. So also, because of the Morph ability, there is no response. Lewis cannot burn it with the Fire and Ice, because it doesn't actually go on the stack. It's kind of a weird ability. How would you describe Morph?
Yeah, it's a special action, and I think it was a decision to make the mechanic that way because Morphs would be a huge liability if you could dump a bunch of mana into them and your opponent could just disfigure it or lightning bolt it in response. So
Which figure it?
disfigure.
Oh, not that figure.
No.
Gotcha.
So now we're going to see an ice on the Exalted Angel. Tap it down, draw a card, just delay this a little bit. Even though Lewis has all these cards in hand, the board presence is firmly in Caleb's favor with the addition of this Angel. We had a really slow clock before with just, you know, the Ophidian blocking one of the Mana War or the Phyrexian Rager, but now Caleb putting the pedal to the metal, swinging in with the Mishra's Factory as well, and this Angel is going to demand an answer.
So I believe that is a Brain Freeze in Lewis's hand. It's
Brain freeze.
Yes,
Great.
it's possible that Caleb is just dead here. That's the great thing about Brain Freeze in this format, is that you can be ahead by so much.
Yeah.
But even if we're dead in like 1 or 2 turns, this might just be the spider spinning its web before the prey.
Because I'm also seeing Daze, Gush, and Frantic Search.
That's a lot.
All instants.
Yep.
Lewis can even try and daze his own spell and just pay the 1
or
if he wants.
And also not pay, because you get it's a free card.
Well, right. So because it's an instant, because of the way the storm count works, if Caleb has a turn where Caleb plays 2 or 3 spells.
Okay, here we go.
We're just doing it. That's high tide.
That's
we're doing it right
high
now.
tide. All right, we're storming. And Caleb used his counterspell already, so we can't stop the storm.
We're paying some mana.
tapping the land ahead of time, so losing a blue, which is really good heads up play by Caleb. But this is huge.
We're getting to actually see what this deck is about now. It is
Yes.
not a control deck. We have a sort of explosive combo deck on Lewis's side of the table, looking like maybe a Storm deck trying to win with explicitly Brain Freeze.
Okay, so we've got
Because
one
Gush,
red.
Brain Freeze, Frantic Search, these are not cards that you play fairly.
That's true.
These are cards that you only think impure thoughts about when you're trying to cast them.
That's right. So we've got one red, one blue floating. That's what the 2 dice represent. The blue is just going to be hanging out on the mat for those watching. We are tapping for approximately a Kajillion here.
That's 8 mana.
All right.
And we've got some dice here keeping track of that mana.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
9 total mana in blue, and I think 1 red floated from that volcanic island in response to the Rishadan port. And that's a Treachery. That's going to untap all these lands.
Wow.
What an
That's
incredible
huge.
answer.
Hachi-machi.
Treachery, a control magic. It's also going to untap 5 lands.
Is that the storm count? Maybe that's storm count.
I
Maybe
think
this
the
is all-
second dice is Storm Count. We
Okay,
have 2
so it's
Storm
not-
Count at the bottom from High Tide Treachery.
Okay.
That's blue mana up top.
So it's all blue, no red mana floating.
I guess so, you're right.
Wow. This is bonkers. Okay, so this is exactly what Cube is all about. You got
Ooh,
someone.
There's a snap, too.
Oh, wow.
What did we just cast Mystical Tutor, going to get snap.
That's
Now
a-
we're going to Frantic Search.
The
We're
ga-
going to draw the snap. We're going to untap more lands.
and this
What are we
is-
going to do with all this mana?
We are going
Do
to.
we have a Stroke of Genius or something?
We have Gush in hand. We have Brain Freeze. I think this is just it because this is not Moto, so you can't count immediately how many cards. But I think we're pretty close to just death here. I think this is it.
Caleb starting to furrow his brow.
The body language suggests Caleb knows what's up. I mean, he either has or he doesn't.
The body
It's-
language suggests Caleb wishes he was doing this.
Yes, but it's interesting because even now, if that snap resolves, it's possible that we could even take one more turn, untap with a 3/4 angel, and still just win. Even if it's not a full decking here, we might just be able to win another way. We might be able to get close enough.
Sure.
And then have a 3/4 flyer with
Sure.
not lifelink, but with angel lifelink.
We can put Caleb to 2 cards in library or something.
Yeah,
and,
that could also be a line here. We could see that.
Frantic Search going to dig pretty deep here to find more cards.
So we're at 6, which is 18 because it's times 3.
Future Sight is in hand.
So currently at
Pretty
18.
good thing to do with a million blue mana is play Future Sight.
Yeah, this is
Also,
this
I
is
see an
it.
Incinerate in there as well. A little bit of burn, perhaps. We could even see like an Urza's Rage, for example, out of this deck with all this mana.
And we can see
Make a
Urza's
couple red,
Rage.
take 10, uncounterable.
Sometimes you gotta rage. That's just it. Do be that way sometime though. Okay, we're seeing. Okay, this is all over, but the Grover. We're
Fire Diamond on top. We'll see that played off the top.
Yep.
Huge credit to Lewis for drafting this deck. This is not an easy deck to draft in this cube. You
No.
really need all the pieces, and you got to know exactly how this deck ticks. There's Brain Feast on the stack. Storm count is 9. I'll mill you for 27.
This is pretty cool.
27, not going to be the whole library, though, I believe.
Oh, we are. It's so powerful. It's shaking the camera. This is huge.
Caleb counting Lewis's library there.
So what could Caleb have? Why he'd want to? Oh, it's nothing. It's a concession.
Caleb could
okay.
have a reason to concede and go to game 2.
So again, that's the beauty of this cube, right? And beauty of cube in general is that things are going so far one way, and then it's just a spider setting up the web.
Well, yeah,
And now
Lewis was just waiting for their opportunity to strike. I'll play an Ophidian. I'll play a couple little value things, make you
Yep.
think I'm playing a fair game here, but I'm not. I'm thinking next level.
just setting up every single turn. It's just one step closer, one step forward. When can I go off? And he really knocked out of the park. That was fun to see. We also are in a cube format. Normally you see Brain Freeze. You see the counterpart, Eldrazi. But there are no Eldrazi sideboard into here. It is one and done. There is no protection.
There are 2 Gaia's Blessings. There is some protection in this cube. There are 2 Gaia's Blessings, and it's a draft package. You draft
That's
one, you
true.
also get the second copy.
And that was actually that was at my behest.
Oh, interesting. That's because of you?
Yes, that's because of me. When Jeff first presented this, this was initially presented to me by Jeff, and he said, "Well, CubeCon sounds really fun. I'd like to go there, but I would like to go if I could bring my cube and show it off because it obviously is like amazing."
Oh, gosh.
And I said,
twist our arm, Jeff. Bring your beautiful cube.
well, he said, well, the trepidation was not that. It was more so that he was not sure what it would even be like to have all these people around, and it's a very expensive cube, and he just didn't want to bring it for that reason. But I told him exactly. We have a lot going on that I don't want to get into, but there's a lot of reasons why I think it would be okay to do it, and I explained that to him, and after hearing that, he was willing to bring it, and it turned out to be the hit of the season. And after showing it to me initially, he said, "What changed me?" I said, "This is beautiful, but instead of one Gaia's blessing, I think we need two. I think there needs to be multiple Gaia's blessings."
Interesting.
So that was and he abided, and I think it's a great addition. But it's just such an amazing cube. He's such an amazing guy. I'm so happy it's here, and it is one that inspired your cube, right?
Absolutely.
Can we show? Okay, is it okay to show us on stream?
If you want to, why don't you go find something to pull off? And while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about our next sponsor here. CubeCon would not be possible without the generous contributions from our great sponsors. And the next one I want to talk about is CubeHeads.
Yes.
This is a YouTube channel run by our friend and acquaintance Steve. And Steve is doing something really interesting. You know, there's a lot of Cube content out there, Jay Bro. You can find a lot of people listing their favorite Cube cards from each set, talking about strategy. What there's not a lot of is people talking about the beautiful people that make up this community and telling the human interest stories behind the Cube community, like Jay Bro, for example, like me. And that's exactly what Steve is doing. You know, Steve just bought a camera this year and decided this is what he was going to do, try and tell the story of this community. And that's what he's doing on his YouTube channel over there.
Absolutely.
You can find interviews with T-Pug, who you may not know by name, but is a pillar of this community,
Yes.
organizer of the Cubeoki event here at CubeCon, owner of the Jun Cube.
Yep.
You can find interviews
And the Jun Cube is going to get some very special treatment later today. I'm planting the seed. Keep your eyes out for that.
All right. I'm not sure what that's in reference to. I can't wait to be surprised,
It's going to be amazing.
We also got interviews with Parker Lamascus, Cube Theory Extraordinaire, others on there as well. So make sure you check out that YouTube channel. It is
CubeHeads.
youtube.com/CubeHeads.
And I will say that Steve, that CubeHeads was one of our first sponsors. I was in charge of
Just
sponsorship
jumped
this year,
on it.
and he was a huge supporter right away. He saw exactly what the vision for CubeCon was. That's exactly what he did. We talked last night at length at the bar, and he was saying, you know, my vision is this community has given me so much. I want to give back to it. And I can do a lot of things in my life right now, but I want to give something of value back to community. And that's exactly my vision with CubeCon. When I first had the idea for this, the first seed of an idea, it was only because Magic in general and Cube in specific has given so much enrichment and community to my life. And while, quite frankly, a lot of my friends were going out doing lots of drugs and engaging in really bad behaviors as youth and all sorts of other troublesome stuff, instead of being engaged with that, I was playing Magic, and I was then would matriculate to cubing, but Magic could just give me so much. And
Would you say Magic saved your life?
I don't think that's a stretch, quite frankly. And that story for another day. But we're back to the action. So Caleb's on the play. You know what? As Chad pointed out, it's possible Caleb was holding on to Stroke of Genius, which is especially close because the islands produce all islands with
true.
High Tide produce additional mana.
Yes.
The High Tide is across the beach.
Yes.
It's the
going to
whole
affect Caleb's islands too, and Caleb's got a lot of them in his deck.
Yes.
So we're getting back from sideboarding. Caleb looks like he's going to 5. You hate to see it. Caleb just spent the last 10 minutes looking through his sideboard for any copies of Gaia's Blessing he might have to try and get to the bottom of this.
And Caleb, if anyone can pull off a 5-lander, it's him. So Gaia's Blessing, 1 and a green for sorcery. Target player shuffles up to 3 cards from the library, and then from up to the graveyard into the library, then draw a card. But if it's put in your graveyard from your library, you shuffle everything back. So it's a good way to kill the mill. We're drawing again our 7. We'll see if this is acceptable. Looks like it is. Looking for 2 to put back.
You know what I'm going to check right now, Jay Bro?
Yes.
Is Brainstone targeted card draw, which would actually allow...
Oh, interesting.
No, it is not. They don't do targeted card draw anymore. Brainstone
No.
is just you. That could have been a way that, for
good-
example, in response to the trigger from Gaia's Blessing, trying to reshuffle the library, if Lewis has instant speed targeted card draw, can force Caleb to draw from that empty library and lose the game on the spot. But
Fantastic.
not with Brainstone, it turns out.
No, but good thinking. So we've got Merfolk Looter, which is quietly one of the most powerful cards in the format, especially if there's not a lot of ways to take care of it. This is going to let you... This might be the best turn 2 Caleb's got. This is incredible. We're back in the saddle. Even though it's a mull to 5, we're going to find our card advantage cards. We're going to find our... exactly what we need, or we're just going to beat down for 3. It also is a 1/1.
You know,
statistically speaking.
I was going to ask Jay, bro, how do you feel about looting a bunch in against your Brain Freeze opponent?
I think it's a very good question. I think it's the most important time to loot. Because the looting has you need to get to your answers. It's not about if they're gonna brain freeze you, they're gonna brain freeze you. You need to be able to answer it or to get ahead of time. So
a few extra cards looted away is well worth it if you can find the cards that are going to answer that brain freeze or get your opponent dead before they have a chance to do it in the first place.
That's right. Now, how has the mulligan rule affected the cube?
Yeah, so we see Caleb here on a mull to 5, which historically going to be a huge nightmare in a lot of situations. But the London Mulligan, which we're still calling it the new Mulligan rule. I think it's been 4 years now. It's been a while. Still calling it the new Mulligan rule. This allows Caleb to draw a full 7 after he's decided to keep his hand, puts a card on bottom for each time he's mulliganed. So much better for Cube and Singleton Draft, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Because we just want less non-games. How do you like it for Cube?
I think it's even better in Cube in such a high variance format with such powerful cards. Usually, it's fantastic. So the Ophidian gets in for a card. Wow.
Yeah.
That is now on a mull to 5 and the extra card. That is huge.
I mean, we see Caleb going aggro here, just getting into the red zone with this Merfolk Looter, even willing to trade the crackback with the Ophidian, which is going to give Lewis Kaplan more cards. Caleb has made the assessment that this match is about me getting your life total to 0 before you get your engine together.
Yeah, it's interesting because with the crackback, we could either sacrifice the looter or double block with the Fairy Conclave, but I think it's likely we're on... Oh, there's a Terror. Never mind. There's a Terror for the air. Okay. So we have Counterspell Magic up, which if we see a Prophetic Bolt or something like that, we might want to use, but Lewis is not going to play into that. He's got too much going on. It's also interesting. We've got Brainstorm in hand and Brainstorm on the table.
Yeah,
Don't see that every
Brainstorm
day.
and Brainstone.
Sometimes you got to double Brainstorm. I don't know. That's just what's got to be. So what's going to get us out of this? I guess a big Decree for Justice could be huge.
Decree of Justice could be a quick clock. That's true. Now, we saw, correct me if I'm wrong, no stack interaction out of Lewis in game 1, right? No counterspells, despite all his blue mana.
I do not think so. I don't believe we did, no.
That's the kind of thing that is Caleb, makes you start thinking about just hard casting that Decree of Justice, give you a faster clock instead of that relatively safe cycling mode.
That's right. And we see more islands. Every island, to me, looks a little bit more intimidating when we know High Tide's in the deck.
It is interesting that Lewis has opted to play the Shivan Reef. Just going to cycle that Decree of Justice for 1 here, make that 1 soldier token, which, I definitely trust Caleb's evaluation of this board state and what matters in this game a lot more than mine. There's a reason I'm in the booth.
Caleb is good at the magics. Statistically speaking, no slouch. Caleb also, like Sky, one of our previous year's Cube for Charity teammates, and just amazing person, great. The reason I'm a streamer is actually because of Caleb.
There you go.
He showed me the way.
Caleb opting to activate the Merfolk Looter now. Pitch that Mana War. Not really going to matter much in this matchup based on what Lewis is up to, which is nothing nice.
The Mana War does also get back some of your ETBs. It could be relevant for that, such as the Rager or something else.
That's true.
Interesting.
Now this might be a sideboard card we see here. This is Cabal Interrogator here. What this is going to allow Caleb to do is, if he untaps with it, dump a bunch of mana into Caleb Interrogator or Cabal Interrogator, and just take key cards from Lewis's deck. Lewis opting to activate the Brainstorm in response. We're going to see perhaps one of the, in my opinion, coolest uses of Brainstorm in this match, I think, which is hiding cards from your opponent's hand hate by putting them on top of your library so you can draw them when you're safe.
And we stand corrected that we did see Days last game.
Correct. That's right. We did see Days. That one, it's a counter magic, but it's also just going to give you free Storm when you want it.
Oh, wow. Okay,
a stacked hand here for Lewis, a bunch of unfair cards. So,
yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think we could maybe see this Cabal Interrogator becoming the entire plan for Caleb.
Yes, exactly.
Because we can activate for 4 and just this Storm plan, especially in the limitation of old border foil card pool, is going to fall apart very quickly if you take a couple of these key pieces.
That is the thing. It's not threat dense. It is a very easy to disrupt. Very powerful, but easy to disrupt. Oh, my. Well, that's pretty good. All right. That is a, it's a Drain Life. It's a black-white Drain Life. I can't remember the name. But
going to get rid of that Grim Lavamancer.
We're keeping Counterspell
keep this Cabal Interrogator alive. Opting to do that instead of activating the Cabal Interrogator this turn. Just keep getting it for some damage.
Yeah, I like that because it allows us to continue having Cabal Interrogator.
Grasp is the black-white gold card we just saw there.
That's right. Black-white gold. Sometimes old, but fantastic. There we go. So it's basically Drain Life, but you don't got to play black mana for it. Okay.
Now, we've been seeing Caleb just dutifully chipping away at the life total here and does have Lewis down to 10. Now, Lewis, I would imagine there's the high tide. No, mystical tutor. I'm sorry, mystical tutor.
That's but this is probably getting high. This might well be getting high tide.
May
This
well
is,
be doing that.
Yeah, that's a high
That's
tide.
your high tide
This
right there.
This is gonna be game. Caleb does have a counter spell. That's a question. But does Lewis have? Does he have the days?
He has days.
Oh
Days
no!
is in hand.
Oh,
We could
this
see
is
a
gonna
days
be
blowout here. It could be possible.
Oh, Gavalt.
I'm not even a good enough player to know. I mean, you're supposed to counter the high tide, right? Or do you let the high tide resolve, counter the next enabler, counter the frantic search with your additional
I
blue
think
mana?
you counter the high tide.
And there's the days.
Oy.
It
And
has happened.
Ironically, if he would have allowed the high tide to go through, he gets the extra mana
That's what
from
I'm
the
saying.
island
That's what I'm saying,
to
yeah.
have the days paid for with
Exactly.
the Fairy Conclave.
That's what I'm wondering, and I'm sure that Caleb made the right assessment here and realizes the high tide is what needs to be countered.
And I don't believe he saw Days last game, right? We just saw it in his hand. I don't think Caleb's. Or did he?
Think we. That's a great question. I may have been discarded to a
we did
frantic
see
search.
Days. Okay. Well, again, I mean, Lewis is one of the best players in Madden. Is an amazing player. There's a lot of good players in Madden, but pro player here, fantastic. He was one of my dark horse picks to win the whole thing.
All right, well, Lewis playing a little solitaire here.
Yeah.
Caleb is tapped out. All interaction is done, and Lewis is attempting to go off. So we're going to be along for the ride and see if Lewis can make it happen. Can we get to a high enough storm count, get this Brain Freeze on the stack, and make this happen? I don't think it's deterministic from what I can see in Lewis's hand. I think we're going to have to use our Frantic Search, our Brainstorm to find the cards we need, but Lewis seems confident that that's going to work.
Oy,
Here comes the treachery.
this is tough.
I once again have a gazillion mana.
Yeah, I think we are going to get there. But it's also interesting because you're right. He may not, but he was forced to action because of the creature. He cannot wait for Caleb to start getting some activations.
Looks like Caleb is just saying, hey, show me your hand. Are you going to do it? And yeah, the storm count is already 7. Caleb's counterspell going to counter that storm count.
Yeah.
The days counting towards the storm count. So yeah, Lewis pulling it off here.
But
a clinic on how to play a deck like this.
Absolutely, and because so those are 2 sideboard cards because of Caleb's ability to interact the turn before. Although I guess it didn't matter because Brainstorm's in hand. I mean, Brain Freeze is in hand, right? So
I think we found the Brain Freeze pretty quickly there. Brain Freeze was in hand.
Yeah, so it didn't matter. Well, either way, great magic. Bless up to Caleb, our Cube Trophy leader our winner from last year. But remember, this is only the way to get into the top 64.
Which Caleb is all but a shoe-in for.
Yes,
I
given his current
would be
record.
very shocked to see Caleb not make a top 64. Something would have to go horrifically wrong.
Yes.
So we will almost certainly see Caleb and our other premier players here in the top 64 on Sunday morning.
So who do we have here that is likely to make? We've got Caleb.
I mean, well, Reed Duke so far hasn't lost, unless he's lost while we've been on coverage. So
We've got Reed Duke with the undefeated day 1. Not too bad at the Magic cards.
some really incredible players. Reed Duke. We have Dom Harvey, recent Pro Tour top 8 in Barcelona. We have Melissa DeTorre is in the building. I'm not sure how much of the main event drafts Melissa's doing, but
another Pro Tour top 8er.
But absolutely an incredible player.
Yep.
We've got Caleb, obviously. We've got David McDarby. Similar situation. Not sure how many drafts David's going to get in, but a fantastic player. A lot of professional pedigree there.
Yep. Jarvis Yu.
Jarvis Yu is in the building.
We've got Theo Zhang. We
also got Theo McGrath,
Yep.
who you may not know that name, but this is a real young kid that has been playing with us for a while. And also,
you're talking about double staff McGrath? Oh, we know Theo.
Theo
the Feldens Canes make it rains? Oh, yeah.
Theo last year on coverage put in some work and definitely expected to make top 8 from our play group this year. Also,
Theo's the tall fellow, you might remember. Good job, Lewis.
Very tall. Also, Jay Wachowski is the Legacy Eternal Weekend champion.
Oh, wow.
He's here this weekend.
That is a
He's from our local play group
for this.
He's a fantastic Cube player, plays a lot of Cube with us. So Jay, I think, also is shooting for top 64.
Okay, and we got Zach Hill.
Got Zach Hill, of course. We have Zach Barish, another name people may not know, but a great competitive grinder. We have
amazing guy.
We forgot about Ryan Sachs.
You got Ryan
We got Ryan Sachs in the building. It's just the list goes on. Tons of incredible players here. We expect to make top 64. The competition is fierce.
Yep, we've got Emma Partlow, although Emma's going to be doing commentating.
I think Emma's like us, just not going to have enough time to get in enough main event drafts to possibly make top 64, but that's okay. because she gets to be in the booth in Top 64 with me tomorrow morning to talk about her peasant cube.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. We've got, you two are going to be an incredible team. We've got, so definitely keep watching the coverage for that. We've also got Brian Koa, one of the best deck brewers of all time, who's also one of the organizing members of this whole event. We've got some amazing people. And we also, again, have Bob Maher, one of the
How can we forget
top,
Bob Maher?
Yeah, Hall of Famers, the Dark Confidant himself. Dark Confidant is quite confident. We've got also a myriad of people who have never even been to a Magic event before. This is their first time. So again, just love that we run the gamut. Just the through line is incredible people. All the people here are fantastic. Who is your pick to win it all at this point? Who would you say? Reed's got Sam Black.
I mean,
we also got Sam Black.
I think if you're a betting person, the odds got to be in Reed Duke's favor.
I am a betting person.
Well, there you go. So I think Reed Duke is probably the favorite.
Okay.
I am
You got the need for the Reed?
You could barely even call him a dark horse pick, but I think Dom Harvey has a really good chance to also bring this thing down.
Dom is good at the Magics. Beat me yesterday in the Wisconsin, or 2 days ago, Wisconsin versus England.
Dom, not only a seasoned competitive player, off a recent Pro Tour top 8, but among all these really skilled players that we're talking about, I also know for a fact thinks a lot about Cube and plays a lot of Cube.
He told me, I talked to him yesterday. He said, I can't believe I missed it last year.
Yeah.
I will never miss it again. He was like, Madison, Wisconsin, October, already in my in my calendar. So yeah, he's so happy to. We're so happy to have. But again, that's the thing about CubeCon. Everyone here,
so many people
is
could take this down
because of the love of the cube.
Yeah.
Like the people who are here really, really want to be here because it's awesome.
Right.
Because CubeCon.
And we're mentioning all the big names, but it is entirely possible this event gets taken down by some cube grinder you've never heard of from some of these cube play groups around the country.
We've got Derek
it could
Gallen,
be anybody.
Jean Baptiste. We got all sorts of amazing from all over the world, literally.
Yeah.
Jean Baptiste flew in from France just for this, from Paris, France.
And had to check his cube at the gate because they had no room for carry-on luggage, which is my personal nightmare. But the cube arrived safe and sound, don't you worry.
Thankfully, yes. Speaking of cubes arriving safe and sound, this is your inspirational cube. Can you talk about this a little bit?
This is a cube that I built last year after drafting the Old Border Foil Cube, the cube we are covering right now. I had such a fun time and loved my experience so much that I decided to build my own Old Border environment, and that's what we see in front of us right now. This is what happens when you come to CubeCon. You get inspired, you build a whole cube, and next year you come and bring it in tow, and you get to play with all your friends from last year.
And the best cubes are the cubes that make more cubes.
Of course.
They inspire the inspiration to the destination.
They're self-multiplying.
That's right. It's like that 1/1 for 3 that when you get 5 lands with landfall, whatever that card is. Pester Bester, whatever it's called.
I'll get there. Give me a second.
Green and 2 for
I know chat's posting it right now. Scoot Swarms?
Scoot Swarms.
Scoot Swarm. I got there.
Scooter Booter.
Yes, still got it.
That's right.
Still got it. Great.
We're like, I know what all the cards do, but none of their names. You know what all the cards do and all of their names. It's a good combination.
You're giving me a lot more credit than I deserve. That's Emma's role. Emma's the one that knows all the card names for she's the best on commentary team at this.
Melissa. So we also have Melissa Del Toro. We're going to have her hop in.
Bro, you're just dragging Melissa into the booth?
Yes, for a quick second. Can we pop these on? So we're talking about top 8 Pro Tour competitors. We have Melissa Del Toro here. How's your experience been at CubeCon so far?
Oh, it's been really good. It's been pretty chill, very casual, a lot of fun. I've been playing a lot of different cubes, which is like pretty interesting, different from like tournament Magic where you're just playing Modern or Draft or something.
And you've been to a lot of different Magic events over your career,
I have.
all over the world. How does this compare?
That's a really tough question. Wow.
Yes.
just put me on the spot. Like
J-Bro just teamed people up. J-Bro's like, would you like to compliment me right now?
Wow. Okay. How does it compare? Well, there's a lot of Magic playing. At other events, what I mostly notice is there's a lot of waiting around in between rounds.
That's a good point.
What a great observation, yeah.
Yeah, and then here you can just kind of hop in anything because there's just so many different cubes firing constantly. So if you're just into just getting right into a game immediately, then this is the place to do it.
Absolutely. And how has the cube experience been for you? Have you been exposed to some? I mean, you are Magic in a lot of way, but have you been exposed to some new stuff even for someone as seasoned as yourself?
Let's see. trying to remember what I did this weekend because there's been so
It's
many
all
things.
blur of
It's-
joy
It's been packed
and
in.
bliss.
I think this weekend for me, I've mostly played in normal stuff. Like
Mhm.
I played in one very old school cube. It was like Invasion Block, brought back a lot of memories.
Playing Konkavu.
Yeah, definitely. I played in Vintage Cube, which is my favorite cube probably. I did another cube that was on the Magic Online. It was one of the Magic Online featured cubes not long
Cartographia.
ago. Yep. Pretty normal. In a little bit, like I think it's starting in 5 minutes or so, I'm going to be doing an Oathbreaker cube. So that's
Ooh.
so
awesome.
that's going to be the most different thing I've done in terms of like what is a normal Magic experience like. And I signed up for another cube later on today, which is Chaos Cube.
Oh,
so
that's a fun
Ooh.
one.
every time you cast a spell, it has Cascade.
Yep.
Probably from your hand, I'm hoping. once
the
a turn.
Yeah, it's actually just a copy of the Maelstrom
Maelstrom
Nexus,
Nexus
but an
token.
emblem in play. So
Yeah.
yeah, first spell a
Okay.
turn, cast from hand, gets Cascade,
So
and you get to roll the dice.
So Solitude is really good. Any instant speed
okay.
free spells
Thanks
are
for the tip.
really good because the free spells are double. So anyway, that's my advice. But yes, we're looking forward to hearing more about
All
it.
right.
Thank
I
you
really
so much
hope
for
I
coming.
get in that.
Yes.
Like it's not like guaranteed because you only get 8 slots, right? So
Right.
if,
We do a
if
ranked
everybody
choice
is
voting
signing
system.
up for it,
Yep.
then I might
And-
be out of luck.
Well, good luck. I hope you get what you want.
And we do know the owner of that cube. So if you don't get in, we'll get you in.
I mean, you may not know the owner of the cube also works for WotC.
Yeah,
it's Zach
I
Barish
talked to
on the
him
arena team.
yesterday,
so
actually.
yeah,
Yep.
We know someone.
All right. Great. Okay. Love it.
just in case you, Melissa DeTora, need us to help connect you with Magic
Your
people,
coworker,
we'll
yeah.
we'll help.
Well, thanks so much for coming. Thanks for being here. We're really, really happy to have you and the rest of the WotC team here. And thanks for all you do for Magic and all you've done.
Thanks. I really appreciate that. And everyone out there, come to CubeCon next year because it's been awesome. So much fun.
And
Thanks
Cube.
for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yep. And good luck with Oathbreaker. It's going to be a lot of fun. And thank you, too. That's also through WizKids, so we're helping. That's kind of our charity thing for the year, so appreciate it very much.
All
Doing
right,
good while we're
cool.
doing well while we're doing good, all while doing Cube.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right, thanks,
Thank you so
Melissa.
much.
Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Yep.
We got
So-
to pan out there and see your banana peel on
Yeah.
on coverage. There's right outside of the camera. It's just pure chaos here at the coverage booth. But that's what the job is.
That is the it's quite appealing sometimes, but
Hey,
we
he's
do what we
always
can.
packing these puns. Production seems to indicate we are going back down to the next round fairly shortly here. So we're going to be seeing Lewis in the finals here with this Storm deck, this
Yes.
High Tide Storm deck. What kind of cards do you want against a deck like this?
Well, if we can get the Reanimator deck back that we saw in the first one, that is
Jeremy did lose, unfortunately.
Oh,
so
Jeremy lost,
we're going to
okay.
be seeing whoever beat Jeremy in round 2, who I believe it was Kenneth, is going to
Okay.
be going up against Lewis in this. I don't know what Kenneth is playing, but what kind of cards do you want to see against a unfair deck like this?
You want a lot of disruption, which is what we saw in Reanimator. You want duress. You want to be able to knock out the key cards. If you can duress away the Brain Freeze or even some of the important card draw spells or High Tide. So I think it's going to be very likely that Lewis. I'm calling Lewis for this one. I think it's very likely he wins, but I don't know against anything. I don't know what the other one is, but I can't imagine, especially since we also. I mean, maybe it's a really aggressive deck.
Well, what we haven't seen much of in any of our coverage matches is green cards. Maybe we'll see 2 Gaia's Blessings.
True.
And I'm really curious to see how
Gaia's
Lewis.
Blessing would be.
I'm sure Lewis has thought about it, so I'm curious to see what Lewis's response is to 2 Gaia's Blessings, if we in fact see it out of Kenneth. Going now to our final match of the Old Border Foil Cube. This is for all the marbles, and a Taiga on the top there for Kenneth.
Awesome. Okay, so we.
We're good.
Okay, so we have a mulligan. It looks like.
Yeah, it looks like Kenneth went to 6. We see Mountain, Taiga,
Okay.
Gaia's Cradle.
Oh, Gaia's Cradle is quite good, and might be the blessing. Someone has to have a blessing. We haven't seen it yet.
Well, yeah, we haven't seen any of the blessings yet. Maybe out of the sideboard at the very least, once Kenneth knows what Lewis's plan is.
Yeah.
Looks like still a land-heavy hand, even on a mulligan here from Kenneth. Not
Yeah.
sure where those last couple non-lands are. Leading off with a Taiga, and we don't have to worry about Wasteland. Wasteland
That's
was in
right.
the last match, so that is pretty safe.
And we see Lewis with the 2 brainstorms and the fetch on this time. Oh wow, that brings me back.
Fire Slinger here is a pinger that's also going to deal damage to Kenneth, and Whether Kenneth knows it or not, that's totally fine because your life total is irrelevant in this
Yes.
matchup, Kenneth. That is merely ammunition for your fire slinger.
Well, unless I guess we could treachery some Big Daddy Fatty, but it sans that this is a pretty free fire. Although it also doesn't do that much. Like being able to ping for one is.
Masticore, I see in Kenneth's hand here.
Oh wow, Masticore is quite a threat in this format. That is although it's also really good if we can treachery it. That's going to be really good against Kenneth's deck, I
True.
presume. So Masticore is a 4-mana 4/4, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice unless you discard a card. You can pay 2 to regenerate or to ping for 1. It used to rule the roost back in my day. When I was a young,
Card is still really good in this cube.
still quite good in this one. Yep. So again, I mean, this is basically just a 1/1 for 2 here, which
And I think here it comes right now, I would imagine.
yep,
Into open blue mana, no fear, jam that 4-drop, make him have it.
that's right. If there's a daze, we're gonna brainstorm here.
I
to
think we're
see
going to try and find a daze, is my
Yeah.
guess.
Yep, seems good to me. And we also have the fetch land again to shuffle away and find our volcanic island.
We also do have Brainstorm. We could dig even deeper for days here if we wanted to, because we have a shuffle effect off our wooded foothills. We could shuffle away those non-dazes, then cast Brainstorm with the volcanic island we get off of wooded foothills, seeing a total of 6 additional cards from our deck looking for days.
That seems very likely to exactly what's happening.
Someone can crunch the numbers here and figure out how likely you are to find a single one-of card if you get 6 additional looks in a deck like that. But it's not nothing. It's very worth digging for this answer here.
Well, and also this is
Brain
a
freeze. Start. Okay, no days.
oh, is that a storm that makes goblin creatures?
I don't think that's an Empty the Warrens. I think it's a Siege Gang Commander, I think.
Oh, it's Siege Gang Commander. Interesting.
Do we have Empty the Warrens in this cube? I am checking right now.
I don't know.
I do not see it. So
okay, so that is
Empty the Warrens not an option here.
okay. I misread it, but this is Luce did not find. It's also interesting because each one of this brainstorm being used here means it cannot be used in the ultimate turn.
That is true. We've seen no way for Lewis to get cards back from his graveyard, and in mono blue, there's not really many ways to do that anyway in this environment. So that Masticore does resolve.
So we've got 2 red up. We have 2 red spells in hand. Is that can't quite see. Is that Siege Gang Commander?
That's
Is that-
Siege Gang Commander, and I think
that Squee?
Starstorm, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, Starstorm. That's fantastic.
Starstorm, a board wipe if you have enough mana, but you're going to have to get quite a bit of mana before you could possibly kill a Masticore, and all Kenneth needs to do is keep a couple mana up to regenerate it, and that's not going to work. So
Yeah, Starstorm, great. I love the versatility of this card. This was one of my staples for most of my cubes. It's, I think, quietly fantastic. It does so much and asks so little. You can cycle it. You can sweat. You can Wrath of God your opponent with it. It's pretty cool. Okay, so we are in the tank. Lewis does have the Brainstorm, which
Brain freeze.
excuse me.
Sorry. A lot of Magic cards, J-Bro. A lot of
Can-
Magic cards this weekend.
Can you tell how little sleep I'm on? How much sleep did you get last night?
I probably got like 5 solid hours.
Okay, so we're on the
Not
same.
that bad, you know.
Not that bad. That's about what I got.
My secret though, J-Bro, is I am very sensitive to caffeine, so I have no coffee, nothing the rest of the
Oh,
year.
You play caffeine both ways.
Nothing the rest of the year. While I'm here though, give me a big old 24-ounce chai latte, and I am revved up and ready
I like
to go.
it. I like it. You make the caffeine count.
Yes, exactly. Now, Kenneth is drawing for turn. First has to discard a card to that Masticore. There is an upkeep cost every turn discarding a card, but well worth it in this situation. Lewis, the body language is showing it, under pressure for perhaps the first time we've seen today in this draft. Had things pretty well wrapped up against Caleb there. Had we needed it every moment, but now just taking 5.
Doon, 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 doon.
We
And
see
also-
the Cradle coming down as well. This is 6 mana.
Oh, and look what's
5
in his
mana,
hand.
sorry. 6 mana available.
Did you see what's-
Sapperling Burst. Is Pandemonium in there too?
Did you see what's in his hand?
I did not.
Oh my! It was. I believe that was a Gaia's blessing in Kenneth's hand.
Main deck, Gaia's Blessing, is a blowout, if that's in fact what it is.
If that's what's happening here, if he has it in his deck, Lewis cannot win this. Not about. It doesn't
Well-
matter. This game.
We don't know. I don't know what Lewis's backup plan is, or if Lewis has an answer to Gaia's Blessing. They do exist. There is Grave Hate in this environment, which gives you a second bite of the apple, if you can get there. There's
How
also
much grave hate is there in blue or colorless though?
colorless. There's a fair bit. We have
Felden's Cane.
actually, you know what? I'm thinking of maybe not in the foil card pool. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it,
Trying to remember what there is for it. Well, either way, this outburst is going to be amazing. So outburst.
no, you're
is
right. I'm thinking of stuff like Phyrexian Furnace, but that's not available in foil. So maybe there's actually not as much colorless Grave Hate here as I expected. Burst, going to make a bunch of big Saprolings and also a bunch of mana from that Guy's Cradle if there's a Fireball or something similar for Kenneth.
So Sapling Burst is one of the amazing cards from back in the day. It was a huge finisher, but also a great combo with Pandemonium because you can stack it such that you kill your opponent in one hit with it if they're at like 21 life or whatever. But now we see it just being used for its normal stuff, just making some Big Daddy Fatties and putting Lewis on a very aggressive clock. So
This is currently exactly lethal on board because
correct.
that
12
fading
plus
counter
1.
is going to come off at upkeep. So those Saplings, which are currently 5/5s, are going to be able to attack as 4/4s, +4/+1. That's 13 if I got my arithmetic right.
Kenneth is no slouch, and if those are Gaia's blessings in the deck, Lewis will not win this.
Well, just imagine, Jay Bro, if Kenneth can win this game without showing the Guy's Blessing.
oh my!
Then it's not even going to affect Lewis's sideboard. Lewis won't know. Lewis going for it right now. Lewis
Gotta
says,
go
look,
for it.
you got lethal. I got no answers for it. I might as well see what I can do here. And we'll see if Lewis can pull a rabbit out of the hat and somehow turn this game around.
Okay, so
I mean,
Storm at 1. Oh, go ahead.
Maybe.
Oh.
It's not out of the question that we could get to enough mana to actually Starstorm away this board.
That's
High Tide.
true, and he does not have 2
And we
blue
see
mana.
Lewis making 2 red immediately, which is the red you need for Starstorm.
That is a good call. You called
Yeah,
it.
the Frantic Search is going to do it. We are going to have enough
That's
mana to Starstorm away this board.
incredible.
There's no regeneration mana available. No, here's the thing. Look, Kenneth can actually make another Saproling at instant speed. Oh, no, the Cradle's already tapped. Yeah, you're right. We're not going to have regeneration mana up for Masticore.
This is huge. This is incredible.
So, but here's the thing. Once Lewis has used all of these resources just to wipe the board, is there going to be enough gas left in the tank to actually storm off on a later turn?
Well, it's interesting, and uses the snap
Yep.
too.
Snap just
So
Snap
it's
just a ramp
possible
spell right
Lewis
here.
is going for it.
There's a Brain Freeze in hand. I mean, I think
If
maybe
he's-
you're just going, and a Mystical Tutor. You've got everything you need access to.
Do we have something to draw cards? I guess you could cycle the brainstorm. That might be what he's considering now. He could just win here. Storm is at 3. We're tapping for 4 more.
It's going to feel real bad if you're Kenneth and you see the Starstorm that could easily wipe your board get cycled in this situation. You're like,
Although
well,
the cycling does not add to the storm count, though, importantly.
that's true. So it looks like we are just seeing the Starstorm cast here for 4.
Okay.
Kenneth's board getting wiped. Now, we do have a little bit left in the tank with this Saproling Burst. We can make 2 Saprolings on end step. They untap and be 2/2s. We can make 1, have it untap and be a 3/3. Not nothing. And we're going to do the slow mill plan here. We're going to Brain Freeze you for Storm equals 5, take a top 15 cards of your library, see if we can get you slow. Will we flip over
Interesting.
a copy of Gaia's Blessing here?
That would be
And
incredible.
how will Lewis feel about that?
there's a Fires of Yavimaya. Oh, one of my favorite cards. That is
Fires plus
incredible.
Saproling Burst is
Yep.
quite potent.
Oh, wow. This deck's awesome.
I'm glad that we in coverage get a little view of this deck here. It looks like a pretty fierce red-green beatdown deck on Kenneth's side of the table. Now,
Okay, so now we're casting something. Can't see what that is.
we've got a
um,
token of some...
Well, it can't be goblins because he doesn't have...
that
wait.
must be Empty the Warrens. Just Empty Warrens. I couldn't find Empty the Warrens in this list.
You tricked me.
I mean, I looked through. No, it is right here. I did.
Oh,
I
it
didn't-
is in
I did not recognize the.
I thought that's what it was.
I did not recognize
Your
the,
confidence
the
stumped
new
me.
art. The new art, which is which is different art than the original one. So
True.
yeah, actually, in a very commanding position now with 12 goblins, that is going to change
Yeah,
things dramatically.
That's it. I that's what I thought it was, and that makes a lot of sense why he's in green, why he's in red. Okay, now we are, and that's also interesting because now we do have a way to win around Gaia's Blessing. And there's a Blastoderm, one of the staples from back in the day, a common for 5/5 with fading 3, not
And Shroud.
vanishing. Fading and Shroud. This used to rule the roost back in the day. This was such a powerhouse. So such a cool card. That's the thing that's great about CubeCon is for us boomer magicians, and you're younger, but you're of the same. You know, you get the
You
reference
can call
points.
me a boomer. I was playing back in like Urza's Legacy block when I was a kid. I
Okay,
was
so
like 8, but
Yeah.
you know, I was playing.
Yeah, I was like 15, but whatever, who's counting? But yeah, so you get the references. So like for us who know about it from back then, this is such a pleasure to watch because there is so much fun interactions and interesting cards. It just takes you back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Looks like we got a judge call here from Lewis. I can't tell. Mystical Tutor still in hand. Trying to sort out something about this graveyard. Kenneth is hellbent.
Does graveyard the order of graveyard does not matter here though, right? What could he possibly have for a graveyard order would matter? Oh, Frantic Search. Oh wow. Oh, that's a big one.
Wait, what? We didn't discard the Frantic Search? Is that what happened?
Or did not discard enough to Frantic Search. That would be a blowout.
Interesting. Well, we'll see
Hopefully,
how our great judging staff will resolve this while they're figuring that out.
yeah, and it looks
Kenneth,
like Lewis called the judge on himself. So good guy, Lewis Kaplan, playing correctly, being a good guy. But this might have just been a mistake from a tired Lewis. That would be huge. So also another interesting thing is, like you pointed out correctly, Gaze Cradle plus Sapling can give you a burst of energy you might need. You might need that extra mana for something big. Although it looks like it's a little bit lower to the ground sort of deck, hey?
yeah, I probably wouldn't want to put Fireball in this deck because I just want more threats to get under my opponent. But
Now these are the colors for land destruction, right?
there
Do we
is a
have-
bit of land destruction floating
Do
around
we
in
have
this
some
cube.
Panzas Abanzia?
I believe we got a Pillage floating around in this cube. Let me confirm.
And what about do we also have Stone Rain?
No Stone Rain, and
Okay.
actually it looks like no Pillage. This list has changed a little bit since I played it last year, so I'm still
Okay.
getting up to speed on the latest version. Yeah, so once our judges figure out how to resolve this this situation, and our judging staff is fantastic, they will figure out the right solution here.
So we've
What
also,
does Kenneth need to draw? I mean, at this point, Kenneth's plan is laid bare. No cards in hand. This Sapling token is basically nothing anymore. I mean, it's a 3/3 now. It's going to be a 2/2 next turn. It's gone. We've got a 5/5 for a few turns, but not forever.
I don't know if Kenneth can come back from this sort of advantage. This is going to be tough. I guess you would. There needs to be just something that makes like multiple threats, because even if you have blockers, well, I guess this is the way you come back. You draw a couple big creatures, because swinging in and incrementally losing your 1/1s, he might be at enough life to just hold it off. And if that's the case, then both of the win conditions besides treachery have been blown.
Yeah, if I'm in Lewis's seat, do you even attack here and let some of these things get eaten? Or you just say, I've got card draw on my deck, you're hellbent.
I think
These creatures are going to go away naturally on their own. I'm going to wait until I can just swing in free.
I think with no card with Hellbent, I think you wait. That's
So,
which he is.
I don't know what's in Kenneth's deck. I think one card in this cube that he would love to draw, he just drew Anger. Not a great draw here. That's a 4-mana 2/2. One card that's in this cube that Kenneth would love to have in his deck and draw right now is Grizzly Fate.
Oh, that would be good.
Grizzly Fate would make a total of 8 bears
Grizzly Fate.
across 2 castings, which is going to really, really tangle with all those goblins.
That would be great. Plus, also with the Gaze Cradle, if there's any Fireball or X spells in general, can our staff, I don't know if we have the opportunity to do this, but can production get us a answer for what happened with the Judge Claw? I wasn't quite clear on exactly what happened. I'd like to see what that was. But yeah, I mean, it looks like Kenneth is gonna hold the fort for a while, but if we don't have something good here, then Lewis is gonna start being able to attack. Okay, so
So Lewis
Oh,
also was forced to
wow.
discard his last 2 cards, Island Mystical Tutor,
Wow.
also Hellbent.
Losing the Mystical Tutor is huge.
Yeah, the draw from Kenneth was Anger. Not great in this board state.
Actually, Anger's
Just a
pretty-
4-mana 2/2 right
4
now.
mana 2/2 is exactly what we want, though, right? Because at 19 life, swinging in with... Oh, wow. Kenneth is going on the offensive? Okay.
I mean, to be
That's-
fair,
that's
that
a way to kill a token.
to be fair, that Blastoderm is only going to prevent 1 damage anyway. You can only block a
Right.
single thing, so
I
either
would've-
way, I think it's fine to attack here. You're not really saving much life total by keeping it back.
Yeah, and actually, Anger being at... Because we have to be on life totals, so it's minus... Well, I guess it depends if he waits till it fades away, but this could be exactly what he needs to buy enough time to draw more threats to block more tokens, because if this goes long, Kenneth is now the control deck. Lewis is the beatdown. Lewis needs to be able to attack.
Lewis counting cards in libraries.
So I guess this could
Lewis
go...
saying, "Can I somehow chump block for 20 turns and somehow pull this game out that way?"
What's also interesting is if Lewis double blocks the Anger and puts it in this graveyard, that does present a significant credible threat moving forward.
I actually don't know. I mean, we saw the Anger. Anger has haste, and it did not attack last turn. So it could have come down pre-combat and attacked, and Kenneth chose not to do that.
Oh, wow. This is a lot of mana.
That's
Okay,
5 mana, 6 mana, 7 mana, 8. Do we have
7,
Fireball in the
8.
deck?
It could be 9.
Also, 1 more mana.
Hachi Machi.
I think it's more than 9. Just
Oh,
a Verdaloth the
wow.
Ancient kicked.
Oh, no!
Oh,
Last
the
card in hand!
days. The
Wow.
days. You drew days off the top.
Oh, my. Last card in hand.
Kenneth
Off the top
absolutely
rope.
kicking himself right now for not playing around that
Hachi-machi.
days. Didn't know about it, of course. This is game 1.
That is
So
bonkers.
Kenneth couldn't have known about the days.
That is bonkers.
Because that was, let's see, 1, 2, 3,
Wow.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That was 10 mana. That was a Verdaloth kicked for 4. Could have been kicked for 3. Still a very imposing threat.
Can you tell us what Vertaloth does?
Vertaloth is a large saproling-making creature with
It is a 4/7, and it is pretty dope. Can we bring it up on the screen, please?
yeah. So it's
Vertaloth the
a
Ancient.
4/7 that pumps all of your saproling tokens and has kicker X, and the X will make X saproling tokens. So basically, Kenneth was going to make 4 2/2s there, in addition to getting a 4/7. Which would have been, I mean, probably game, right? Like, I can't imagine what else Lewis has in this deck that can possibly answer that.
Let me ask you this. This is cubed. You know, it's about cube, 3x3, da-da-da. But would you say that the Vertaloth is to the nth degree?
Or X degree, perhaps.
No, get the like the creature in Lord of the Rings, the tree creatures?
Oh, the Ent. I see
The
what you're
nth
saying.
degree?
I didn't get there. You know what? You're galaxy braining me here. You're playing on a level that I'm not prepared for.
To the nth degree?
2 lands off the top for Lewis. 2 lands
That
off the top is not what Lewis wants to see.
That might have been the days of even if he loses this, that day still is a winner.
But so Jay Bro, what else? I mean, the days against Caleb might have won the match in the last round for all we know. What else could Lewis even have in his deck at this point? We've seen.
Well, I mean, Lewis can still win this, right? I mean, he's winning. He can win the fight. Like, he can definitely win the fight. So, okay, we're swinging in for...
What do we have? That's keeping 1 untapped.
Okay,
Looks like
swinging
to
for
chump block
7.
that Blastoderm
So
on
ca-
its...
well, the
Blastoderm's
Blastoderm's
going to
dying,
go
but-
away.
Yeah, I'm not sure why we don't swing all out here.
Maybe just afraid of a haste creature of
I
some
suppose
sort.
so.
I mean,
But-
there are a lot of haste creatures in this cube. You could draw Blistering Firecat, Ball Lightning, something like that off the top.
But those have trample. So
That is true. Those do have trample. Those are not good examples.
Although, I guess blocking the anger there might make the difference. You might want the extra life in that case.
Kenneth drew a land. Don't know what the last card in hand is for Kenneth.
I mean, Lewis is now in the driver's seat.
I mean, if Kenneth needs to draw something, but I imagine
here-
Kenneth has way more live draws.
I do not like this attack. I think you attack with all the goblins here.
You don't like keeping the 1 back.
I
just
don't like
just
keeping the 1 back.
mathematically speaking. You're getting
don't
6
like-
through no matter what.
Yeah, 6 goes to 6, but if we draw another creature here, if we draw a blocker here, this could be the
Oh,
difference.
just lands.
Oh,
Just lands in hand for
no.
Kenneth.
Oh, Vault, this is tough.
I believe that's 2 forests.
Well, Lewis pulled it out.
I mean,
wow,
Kenneth
what a
had so
game.
many live draws in this deck. I mean, I got to imagine his deck is just chock full of creatures. So
Just
many cards
flooding
you could
out.
draw. Lewis, on the other hand, drew exactly days.
Wow. That is, I mean, that's the reason for the season, right?
And now
what
this is
Cube's all
lethal
about.
if Kenneth doesn't have anything. Kenneth indeed scooping it up. That was 1 more forest in hand.
Wow.
Very little ability to control your draw step if you are playing red-green in a cube like this.
That's incredible. What a game.
Every single piece of cardboard mattered in that game. Every single piece of cardboard mattered. And boy, I mean, Kenneth has got to be kicking himself about that days. Couldn't have known about it. You know, you'd have to really be foreseeing the future to play around that days. But
That was incredible.
yeah,
And not only that, it was exactly the top deck that Kenneth needed to exactly the top deck that
Right.
Lewis needed.
and if that Vertaloth had been
'Cause they were
anything
both
else,
hellbent.
if Vertaloth had been any other big
Yes.
threat that doesn't tempt you to literally spend every last one of your mana, the days wouldn't have worked. If that had just been a Kamal Pit Fighter, if that had been a Sylvos Rogue Elemental, anything else
Yep.
that doesn't have kicker X, and we almost certainly see Kenneth taking that game down, but
Don't
that's not how it worked out.
Don't daze me, bro. So
One more sponsor here
one more
to
sponsor.
thank
Thank you very
during this
much.
draft, and that is Card Conduit.
Yes.
Jay, bro, you mentioned you have like 10 or 11 cubes. I got to imagine you also have quite a few boxes of
Oh, yeah.
unsorted bulk
What am I gonna
in
do?
Casa J, bro.
What can I possibly do with all this stuff?
Well, you can turn all that unsorted cards into money, into cash.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And then
How-
turn that cash into more cubes,
how do
which
I
I
do
know is
that?
what you want to do.
Yes.
And that's by sending them into Card Conduit.
Cube to cash to cube. This is the line.
Card Conduit will take your box of completely unsorted cards. Don't you do
Okay.
any work. Just, slap a shipping label on it, send it to Card Conduit. They'll
Okay.
sort through it. They will shop around for the best prices on all your cards from their major network of retailers.
That's the part I hate doing the most. They'll do it for me?
They'll do it all for you
Golly.
for a very small fee, which you're willing to pay that fee. You don't want to do it yourself. You're busy out
Time
there.
is money. If you're not, if it's worth an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours of my time, I have 100 kids. I have CubeCons to put on. I have all sorts of important stuff going on at work. If I can ship that to someone else, that is saving me whatever the deal is. It's a good deal.
Time is money, and you know what? These professional card sorters are going to be way faster at sorting those cards than you are. So it might take you a few hours.
I don't
It's
care
gonna-
how fast I do it, how slow I do it, as long as it gets done, and I don't have to do it. I want these guys doing it.
Absolutely. So if you want your bulk sorted into cards, you can turn it into cash.
I want
which
that.
You can then turn into more cards or whatever you need.
Yes.
Go to cardconduit.com to get started. Big thank you to Card Conduit
Yes.
for helping make this event happen. We
Thank
couldn't do
you.
this event without our sponsors, so huge thank you to Card Conduit for that.
Absolutely. Yeah, Card Conduit was, they were thinking about actually shipping someone here, I think, for the event. We talked about that, but they were a great sponsor, great partner. And who knows, they might be at the next CubeCon, but they have been incredibly helpful to us. They also have a great product. And I will tell you, you never know. I just found out today how much Ristic Study's worth. And I've got to go look over. I did not know that because I have
You
no
know,
time for anything. So
Because of Commander, there's all sorts of old
Yeah.
cards that are totally unsuspecting that you would
Exactly.
have no idea are actually worth $5, $10,
Yeah.
$15.
And
It
some-
really adds up.
And sometimes you have just like tons of them all together because you just
Yep.
put them all away and forget about it. You know, there's Snuff Out apparently is worth a lot of money because of Pauper. So I've just found that out. So anyway, it's just worth it. Check it out. And thank you again to Card Conduit, our wonderful sponsor. CubeCon appreciates you. Bless up.
We are
Back to
going
it.
down to our game after sideboarding. I'm just picturing Kenneth very slyly sideboarding any guy's blessings that
Just-
weren't in the main deck. If they're in his pool, we don't actually know that for sure. We know that he didn't have one in hand. That was something else in that game
Yes.
because we saw the whole hand eventually. There were no guy's blessings. Turn 1 Birds of Paradise. Pretty good start, Jay.
Yeah, that's a good start. We also have Masticore again and Black. Oh my! Well, that's good against the birds. But we also it's bad against Masticore though, statistically speaking.
Not great against Masticore, and also unclear how quickly Lewis is going to be able to actually get 2 cards in the graveyard here
True.
to fuel that Grim Lavamancer.
Probably
not
not
going to
as-
want to spend that Brainstorm anytime soon. You want to save that for as late as you can.
That's right, and probably not as quick as the Incinerate for the birds. You bolt the birds here, right? Or you keep it for something.
You know,
for-
I know you're always supposed to bolt the birds. Are you supposed to incinerate the birds though? Is the
Ooh.
question. When you're
Yeah,
when you're
they-
not trading even on mana, when you're paying 1 more mana, I wonder if you're supposed to actually wait and worry about the things that are pressuring your life total.
Well, they can't regenerate.
That's
so,
true. They can't regenerate it.
Yeah, I say
Though,
go for it.
though we're going to almost certainly see. I mean, yeah, Incinerate is not going to line up well against Masticore, which
There we
is
go.
in Kenneth's hand.
That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Kenneth delaying that Masticore by a turn.
But does tap for mana.
Sorry,
I
Lewis
like it.
delaying that Masticore by a turn. Delaying Kenneth's Masticore by a turn.
I think that is a wise line. Yeah, he's seeing if he can have regenerated it. Nope, you cannot regenerate it. That's always the question.
There's also a Volcanic Hammer in hand and a Sapperling Burst and an Anger, it looks like, on Kenneth's side
Wow.
of the battlefield. So, looks like bolting this bird. Huge.
Yes, that
Because
is-
our next spell start at 4. If we don't top deck a land here, are we just on point of Volcanic Hammer at your face? What do we do?
I mean, if we are, was that a? Oh wow. Okay. So if we are stalled here, Lewis is in great shape. If Kenneth is stalled here, I don't know what we could possibly.
That is a land off the top for Kenneth. So, never didn't have it.
Never didn't have it. Okay. Well, things are looking pretty good for Kenneth now. The Blastoise is top choice.
Choosing to start on Blastoderm here instead of Masticore, if possible. If you have stuff to do on curve,
Yes.
you would love to play Masticore when you're on 6 so you can hold up regeneration. Though, not a lot of burn spells are going to deal 4, to be frank. In
But
this
we
queue.
saw one yesterday.
We saw the Starstorm
Or
in this first game.
in the first
that
game.
got up to enough to actually deal with that Masticore.
Well, it's also important because you don't have to discard the additional card. That might well be relevant here to keep the Masticore alive. Being able to get your other threat out. Oh, we missed it. Okay, there we go. And we are keeping a...
No land there. Not sure what that was. Looked like maybe a goblin of some renown.
Yeah, we're keeping up the options for Lewis. Is this a Factor Fiction or what are we seeing here? Because we did not
There's
play
definitely a
the-
Factor Fiction in Lewis's hand. Factor Fiction and
Okay.
Brainstorm,
So
along
that's-
with another card there.
Is that the draw 4 cards, the Deep Analysis? I think that's a Deep Analysis.
Could be.
Okay, so... Oh, wow. Oh, my.
Is that Goblin Goon we're seeing right now?
That is a goon, baby. Oh, wow.
Now, some of you kids at home might not know Goblin Goon. That's a 4 mana 6/6.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Whose Goblin Goon is that? That is not a loyal Goblin Goon. That is a treacherous Goblin Goon. This is going to be huge. Hachimachi. We also see a Gitu Fire Slinger. Pretty dope. Was that featured back in your days?
Yeah.
You familiar with the 2/2?
Fire Slinger's good. Yeah, it does work.
too?
So, tough Factor Fiction here. You got to imagine that the Treachery is what's going to get taken almost no matter what.
Do
Do you just go Treachery and 4 here? Is that
I
your
can't
pile?
imagine a 4 for 1. I think you go Treachery Land, but this is tough.
Well, Well, I guess we have Fire Diamond. Never mind. I was going to say you might not know if Lewis has access to 5 mana, but the Fire Diamond is in play, so the 5 mana is
I
guaranteed.
think this will not be. I can't imagine a 4-for-1 here. I think this will be Treachery Land, but it's going to be tough no matter what. This is.
Frantic Search, also a very key card in
Yeah.
this Storm deck. Is that also High Tide in there?
I can't.
Or I think it's a
Cannot
Fidian.
see.
I got a little tiny corner of the yard. I think it might be a Fidian.
Okay. Okay. This is. This is pretty rough. I'll share a quick story while we're looking this over. So I was talking to Bob Maher yesterday about how he designed Dark Confidant, and he told me about Finkel's design, which was a very powerful 1/3, a Fidian-like creature. It has fear.
Shadow Mage Infiltrator.
Shadow Mage Infiltrator. Okay, so we're going for Treachery in 1, but it's not the land.
Treachery.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, I like the. Not the.
Treachery and Frantic
It
Search?
can't
That
be
would
Frantic
be
Search.
wild to
I think
give
it's-
Lewis Treachery and Frantic Search in the same pile.
But the
Forbid. Forbid is the other card we see
oh,
here.
Forbid. Okay. Okay. So I think it's got to be Treachery Island. I mean, that's what I would do. I don't know. I mean, this is tough no matter what.
This
Like,
is a really tough spot for sure.
but he was saying that unfortunately, he pointed out Shadow Mage Infiltrator came out when another powerful 1 black-blue creature came out that completely overshadowed Finkel's card.
Which one was that?
I'll give you a hint. You can discard to pump it. You can remove from graveyard to dump it.
Dr. Teeth.
Dr.
Teeth.
Teeth.
himself.
Yes.
Psychotog.
Psychotog. Oh wow, we're going with the Frantic Search.
Wow.
And
Frantic Search and Treachery. Got to be the pick here. Can't
that
imagine
is
that.
a huge gift right here.
Yeah, not sure what the logic is there. I mean,
If anything,
we don't know what else is in Kenneth's hands, so
Right. Yeah.
but giving one of the key combo cards that will help Lewis go off,
I mean,
and also this Treachery, which is going to immediately stabilize here.
yeah. This is that was a really powerful factor fiction. That was a no matter what, Kenneth is in rough shape. But
And that
yeah.
Grim Lavamancer, if we do see a Treachery on this Goblin Goon, its biggest job is just being one more creature
Yes.
count, so the Goblin
can
Goon
still
can
block.
actually block.
Or possibly attack sometimes.
Or
Who
maybe
knows?
not block. If Kenneth untaps and plays 2 creatures, then the Goblin Goon that gets Treachery, if that is what happens,
Yes.
would not actually be that powerful.
And, well, it does still serve as a kill spell for a 6/6, which is definitely relevant in the situation.
Still removing the 6/6, yes, which is pretty key.
Yeah, that
And
is
we are in
not
fact going to
nothing.
see that.
That is not nothing.
Just
Okay.
came down last turn too, so it is untapped, which is nice. Get a block of its next turn
And
cycle.
let's pull up Goblin Goon again, just to make sure folks who are not as familiar with it might know. Goblin Goon is one of these many cowardice goblins. They're
Mhm.
big and angry and powerful, but they need friends. They get afraid to go into battle alone. So Goblin Goon
Okay,
can't attack
wow.
unless unless you control more creatures than defending player. Can't block unless you control more creatures than attacking player.
Sorry to stop you here, Jay Bro, but I
Yes.
think that Goblin Goo might not matter much at all. We have High Tide, Snap, Frantic Search
Oh
in hand off that deep
my.
analysis.
Oh my.
We could see Lewis attempt to go off maybe next turn, although, importantly, if you're not under any pressure, there's no reason to go off next turn necessarily.
True.
You
true.
can pretty safely rely on the fact
You
that
can
this
just
red-green
make
deck has no way to interact with you except for maybe Guy's Blessing.
Yes. Which is
Which
another
doesn't
reason to
actually
wait.
matter when you go off if there's Guy's Blessing, right? It's going to get you if it's going to get you.
Well,
So
it might be another reason to wait because then you might want to go for your goblin strategy instead of your mill strategy.
that's true. That is true. If you can do both, that would be the best. The best
Yes.
what we saw last game was a sort of like half-hearted attempt at both. But the best thing would be try and mill you out if I can't.
Okay.
Now this is going to make it so the Goblin Goo
Okay.
won't be able to block.
Not too shabby tappy, but it also means we can't get a Master Core on the table this turn.
That is true.
And Blastoise dies next turn.
Yes.
So this is actually.
Well, fading is actually when you can't remove a counter. So you'll get one more hit with that
Oh, I'm
Blastoderm.
sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
You're
it's
right.
the most
I'm
confusing thing on the
thinking
planet,
of-
Jay,
yeah,
bro.
you're
Vanishing and fading are
I
so
should-
confusing.
Yes. 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 This is bonkers.
All right, so this Volcanic Hammer pointing at this Grim Lavamancer. Lewis is just going to take 2 off Kenneth's life total for his trouble. Might as well on the way out. Had an opportunity to decide to maybe snap this Blastoderm and save the life total right now, but that snap is so much more valuable
Once-
on your High Tide
And
turn.
Blastoderm, remember, has hexproof or has a
Oh, you're right.
shroud.
I'm sorry. Correct. It has Shroud, so you do not have an option to snap that.
But he could have
that
snapped
Blastoderm.
I guess the 1/1.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. We're definitely the snap. The creature bounce feels almost incidental.
Yeah, because the Goblin Goon, your opponent's going to be playing more creatures, so it's not gonna that balance ain't gonna matter.
Well, I just mean what really matters about that card is untapping 2 lands on your High
Right,
Tide turn.
right,
The fact
right.
that it bounces a creature, fine, whatever, cool.
Right.
What you really care about is just making that a big ritual.
For sure. And thanks, Jadapro, for your sub. Appreciate you. Appreciate the support. This is CubeCon, the best 4 days in cubing, one of the best Magic experiences of all time.
Oh, I mean, the best as far as I'm concerned.
Thank you. And we are now
Are we
looking
going to see a Brainstorm or High Tide and go off here?
It looks like we're looking to go
That's
off.
a High Tide. We're going
Yep.
off.
You can tell by the body language. Whenever,
But I think he's going off with a little bit of trepidation. This is definitely not a given.
well, it's interesting to go off here because we do have time to wait. Whenever Lewis's whiskers start to furl, that's how you know he's getting ready to go off.
Well,
That's his tell.
I would like to say we have time to wait, but we saw anger last game. We saw the Fires through Yavimaya. We saw a number of haste enablers in the last game from this deck. So at 9 with a 5/5 staring you down, I'm not sure that you can necessarily guarantee you're going to untap next turn.
Well, I would be more concerned, I suppose, with a combination of maybe hasters and burn or burn.
Oh, Mystical Tutor and Prophetic Bolt off the top. An incredible Frantic Search
Wow.
from Lewis Kaplan here.
That's
This
game.
will likely make this work.
That's game. Yep.
I think
This
we'll have
is-
enough Storm Count with the combination of Frantic
But
Search,
the-
all this mana, go use Mystical Tutor, go get Brain Freeze.
So he's counting the cards in the library. He's trying to count by negative, by how many
Yes.
cards have we done, but he's going for the whole thing because he might have sideboarded in 41 cards, 45
That
cards. You
is
never know.
technically allowed by the rules of Magic the Gathering.
That's right. So, or you could go up to 100 cards with basic lands. That could have happened. Who knows? But we are.
Oh, they forgot to count the Goblin Goon, which was under control. They just missed it because it was across the other side of the battlefield. But yes, just got a library count there on Kenneth.
Right.
So Lewis doing the math right now. But I think with this Brainstorm, Mystical Tutor, Frantic Search, I think we're going to get there.
Yeah, I can't imagine how we can't.
Maybe Lewis trying to figure out if he can do both the Brain Freeze and the Empty the Warrens to have a backup plan in case something goes awry.
I love it, and I also again don't. Oh wait, Lewis is at 6, not at 9. Is that correct? Oh, we lost life from.
Maybe we flash back the Deep Analysis.
That would
At some point, that would be
sense.
3 life.
Yes, that is a very good call.
Oh, I guess we haven't even cast the Frantic Search yet. I'm sorry. That was just the flashback Deep Analysis that drew us those 2 cards. I thought he was trying to figure out what to discard. Frantic Search still in hand.
Oh, it's a brainstorm. Okay.
That was a Brainstorm. So
Gotcha.
so far this turn has been High Tide into flashback Deep Analysis
Wow.
into Brainstorm.
Wow.
Daze in hand now as well, which will just be a free Storm count because we'll have so much extra mana going around. We can just pay for that Daze, let our Storm resolve anyway.
This is just the cat's meow.
Feel like Lewis is going to get there unless, J-Bro, we see a Guy's Blessing, which could throw a wrench into all of this.
That would be amazing. If we see Guy's Blessing, I might just lose my marbles. That would be amazing. Although, at 5, you got to go for the mill, right? You're worried about the burn. You're not going to go for the goblins here.
I don't think you could afford to go for the Goblins.
I
We
think you
also
go
have
for
a
the
pretty
mill.
full hand on Kenneth's side. I think 4 cards in Kenneth's hand still, so
Yeah.
even
I
if you
think-
make 40 Goblins this turn, you could maybe just die to burn spells if you let Kenneth untap.
So again, I'll say my pack 1, pick 1, prophetic bolt. It looks like it's going to be in the deck that wins the game.
Well, will it even be cast, though, is the question.
It doesn't need.
It's
It
the
does
least
work.
least important card in Lewis's hand right now, I would say.
But it does work, and also having that goblin on the board is huge.
You
Being
need
able-
something to target with Snap. You
You
can't cast that into an empty board, so
Yep.
pretty essential to actually just get those lands untapped to actually have a target.
Wow, this is a thing of beauty. Good job, Lewis. This is fantastic, and this is right up his alley too. I know Lewis very well personally. Papa Bear. This is exactly what he wants to be doing while playing Magic. Okay, so we're mystical tutoring up the brain freeze,
I imagine this is going to be the Brain Freeze. Storm count 5.
or he looks at the goblins. He's looking
He's
at
looking
goblins.
at Empty the Warrens.
He's looking at the goblins.
There is also a Gush in the deck. I can't imagine rolling the dice that we might not find the thing we need, but Gush will draw you a lot of cards for sure.
I think you. I think
That's a Future Sight in hand, I believe, as well, which...
Yep.
Uh,
pretty good, but not great here. 'cause-
already played land for turn, I believe, so
Right.
that's not likely to draw a ton of cards.
Yeah, this is
So Storm counts 5. Let's work it out.
okay.
Storm counts 5. We put Brain Freeze on top. We cast Frantic Search. We get a couple of unknown cards. Do you daze the Frantic Search and pay for it?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
so you get that Storm count up? So
Absolutely.
that would be Storm count 6, Storm count 7, Storm count 8 for the Brain Freeze. 8 times 3,
24.
24. That's not the full library for Kenneth.
How much is the full library?
I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure that it's bigger than 24 based on, let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I think 11. I think we're looking at a 28 card library, 29 card library for
Okay.
Kenneth probably.
So we got to
So
go
trying to
higher.
get one more Storm out of this. Maybe Prophetic Bolt can find us something. Go
Well,
to Frantic Search first. I like this move. We want to see what we're working with first.
Yeah, the frantic search is going to do a lot of work here. I am confident. Okay, we can do that
Brain
for
Freeze
0,
and Star Storm.
which Starstorm can add to the count for 0. I think that might be
Well, you
better.
still got to spend red on it.
Oh, wow. Which we have with the volcanic. Wow, that is huge.
Discarding the Daze and the
I
Star
am
Storm.
Extremely
I'm surprised to see
surprised.
the Future Sight still in hand. Maybe here it comes. Lewis saying, I need one more Storm Count off the top of my deck.
Wow.
I'm rolling the dice here a little bit, I think. It's a land.
I mean, technically, he can brain freeze himself.
Can't imagine seeing that happen here. We do have access to red, so now I think we Prophetic Bolt. Hope we find something that is
What could we-
extremely cheap or free.
I don't
Like
know what we could find at this point, though.
Gush.
But that doesn't do anything for us.
Because
Because,
another Storm Count. Draw more cards.
but we have 6 mana up, right?
Oh, that's just a Storm Count. I'm sorry. I was getting that confused for mana and pool. Right, we have 6 mana.
Gotcha.
So we would have to find a mana-positive spell we could only cast for 1 mana. I don't know if there's any
I
of those
don't-
left in Lewis's deck. I think you're right.
I don't know how many of those, are even in the cube.
We
like,
could see Lewis. We could see Lewis. We could see this deck maybe failing here. So
This
looks like
is-
maybe going for the Prophetic Bolt.
This
Don't
is
know. Now, Lewis knows
wild.
the deck better than we do. Not sure what Lewis could find here.
And
He's
if he
going to have
would've- and if-
exactly a blue mana, I imagine. Yeah, exactly a blue mana left in the mana pool after this is
is
cast.
Lotus is Lotus in here?
No, no power.
No, I mean the one Lotus Petal.
Oh, Petal never printed in foil, so there's no Petal in here. No, never printed in foil.
So he
Oak
doesn't
Order.
actually get to see the cards. Kenneth is asking if this
Yeah.
allows him to see him. Prophetic
This is
Bolt-
looking at it while they're still technically on top of your
Correct.
library, so you're not going to see all those cards.
So it's interesting because if Lewis would have gone for the goblins here, he probably wins.
Well, it would definitely be better than whiffing. Fire Ice.
That's game.
Fire Ice is not going to do it unless we're missing something. I don't see how Lewis can't even afford to cast the Brain Freeze now.
And not only that, now he's at 5 life, and Blastoise is exactly 5 damage with 1 counter left, no blockers. This is it. This is it.
Didn't
Wow.
quite get there. Needed that Future Sight or Prophetic Bolt to be anything else. Anything else.
Wow.
Any cheaper spell. Any card draw. And I think we would have for sure gotten there.
Going to
That's
game
it.
3. Fantastic. Wow. Wow, wee wah. That was a wild ride. And
Yeah.
And again, if you would have been scared of the Gaze blessing, if you would have, or maybe he got it. He might have just taken it out of the pool just so that he didn't.
I don't
get-
know. I mean, we
he
didn't
hated
see it there, but we also didn't see much of Kenneth's deck. So
True.
we still had 28 or 29 cards left in the library
And
there.
maybe 1 or 2 in the hand we couldn't read. But
Yeah, so they
yeah.
could still be lurking around. That could be the invisible thing that decides this at the end of the day.
that's incredible.
While our players are doing their last sideboarding, let's do one last ad. Let's talk about Card Castle.
Card Castle.
Card Castle is a way to organize and sort your collection. Make sure you have all the cards that you know are in your collection at your fingertips. So you're not, I mean, how many times have you bought a single that you actually had sitting in a box somewhere that you couldn't remember or couldn't find?
So many times. Not only that, all the paper cuts, the cardboard cuts rather, all the, sorting and, all the work that goes into it, and then keeping track of it, and then you got to write it down on your, you get the abacus out, and you got your pen and paper. I'm not down with all that. It takes too much of my time. What else could I do?
Card Castle makes software that allows you to organize your collection and access it on your phone, on the go, on your web browser, back on your desktop machine, and see it all at your fingertips.
Do they?
They also even allow you to organize a cube on Card Castle if you want to hear people that are doing that. We're heading right back down to this game, though. It's time to settle this.
All right, so Card
Thank you to
Castle.
Card Castle, though.
Yeah, fantastic sponsor. Check them out, and you can basically get your whole collection on your phone and not have to worry about it anymore. It's incredible, and it's also a really, really, really good company. So check them out, Card Castle. Use them. It looks like we're going down, or not.
Kind of a rough opening hand here for Lewis. Island, Grim Lavamancer, Gush.
Do you keep this on the play? I think we go down.
I mean, the thing is,
Oh, never
looks
mind.
like we are keeping. The thing about Lewis's deck is that he has so much card draw,
True.
so many ways to find more things to do that
True.
I think actual just pieces of cardboard is going to matter eventually.
True.
Because you're going to cast Frantic Search. You need to have those cards to discard. So I think really just needs to buy some time here.
Okay.
That's a Goblin Sparksmith. I just Sparksmith, I think is the name of the card. It is a Goblin, though.
Not the best here.
Well, not right now, but this is the kind of card that also can eventually scale up dramatically.
Well, except it does not do it to player. Right?
You are right.
It is only to creature.
You're
so
right. Yeah, this card got to be
it's-
one of the weakest options in Kenneth's pool.
It is a 2-mana 1/1.
Actually, a little surprised to maybe not see it sideboard. Maybe Kenneth does not have his deepest sideboard option as we expected.
That seems likely. Oh my! Fires of Yavimana into Blastoderm. This is going to be incredible. Go, Gadget Blastoderm.
Is Blastoderm in hand? Did you get a peek at it?
I did not see, but
I see Vertaloth the Ancient. I see a couple forests. The next follow-up here could be Blastoderm.
what happens if we go Vertaloth If we get if we get a
Vertaloff
bunch.
is 6 mana. We got to get to 6 mana to cast that.
Was that a? Well, I mean, we want the full. We want the full Monty
Oh yes,
Vertaloff.
if we
want
manage
the,
if we manage to
10
find a
mana.
Gaia's Cradle,
Yeah.
do something else ridiculous to looks like we
Was that-
cycled a Starstorm on end step.
No red mana. Was that a? Is that a? What? I can't see. Kenneth's hand is a little bit.
I think I
hold it
might
close
have
to the
spied
vest.
an artifact there, maybe Masticore.
So
Though
no.
not a 4-drop creature, otherwise surely would have seen it before combat because it has haste. Thran Dynamo's what I saw.
Remember what I said?
Here comes the very, very big Vertaloff.
Yes.
And again, as far as I can tell, the only interaction we have in Lewis Kaplan's deck is that Daze. I've seen no other stack
And
interaction.
no days off the top.
This
Hachimachi.
is a
Wow.
interesting factor fiction. No
Wow.
huge bangers in this factor fiction, though Kenneth, reading the table, can surmise that Lewis is perhaps stuck on red. So that mountain, more than just a basic land, in
Yes.
this factor fiction pile. So while this factor fiction is being sorted out by Kenneth, next turn, we have a land drop, I'm pretty sure.
True.
That's going to give us 7, 8 mana. Do you cast the Vertaloff for kicked by 2?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
you
go
don't
for
you
2.
don't play around days.
Oh wait. No, I play around days.
You play around days.
Yes.
So you cast a
Although-
kick for 1, or
no,
do you
no.
wait till later on in the game?
No, go for 2. Go for 2. I'll tell you why. Because if you would have had days, he would have had it here. I would risk it for the brisket, the 1 in 27 chance or whatever it is. I go for days.
You think the days would have hit the Thran Dynamo?
Yeah, you factor fiction days of Thread Dynamo because Thread Dynamo makes days so useless in most case scenarios. So yeah, you definitely daze it.
All right. Our
Oh,
piles
wow.
are Fire Ice, Brainstorm Island, or Deep Analysis
And
Mountain.
actually, getting deep analysis in the graveyard
Deep
makes
Analysis.
it cheaper.
Deep Analysis, one of the great cards
Why
to
was
pair with
deep
Factor Fiction.
analysis in the land pile? That was an interesting choice because it's actually better in the graveyard. It only costs 2 mana. Interesting. Well,
Full grip here for Lewis Kaplan, though that 3 life might really matter.
it might matter. That's true.
That could be a whole turn, as far as we know. And
That's true.
Lewis will be basically biding their time, waiting until the exact last moment to go off because they want as many resources in hand when they go for it as possible. Discarding to hand size here, I believe. That's
Wow.
8 in hand.
Wow. And also,
You could just spend the fire on the Sparksmith and deal 1 to you if you don't want to discard to hand size, but no, just opting to keep that, save the ice for later.
well, the
Let's just
Sparksmith.
discard this mountain.
We do have the ability to save Sparksmith now, though. We have.
Oh, we're icing the Thran Dynamo on upkeep. No Vertaloff this turn, even if you want to.
Yeah, and once we go back to booth, we have a very special guest joining us. Once we get back into the coverage, we have a special secret guest joining us, and that we'll do for the winners interview as well. A little trickster of sorts, you'll see. Okay, so Thran Dynamo being tapped.
We're tapping mana
But-
before combat. Here comes, is this Sapling Burst?
Sapling Burst.
Oh, my
no!
goodness.
Had the days.
And the
Had
days.
Oh wow, that's huge.
I have never seen a Daze do more work in a match of Magic.
And the discipline.
Then-
not dazing the Thran Dynamo.
Yeah, Daze was not drawn for turn, I'm fairly
Wow.
certain. I believe we drew Island for turn, no, Mountain for turn. We drew Mountain for turn. So we had the Daze. We didn't Daze the Thran Dynamo. We saved it
Unbelievable.
for the Sapling Burst, which Sapling Burst combined with Fires of Yavimaya is terrifying.
Lewis's discipline is off the charts.
I
He
truly have
is-
never seen anybody get more mileage out of a Daze. We have never seen that card be dead in hand, do nothing. It has single-handedly turned around a lot of games here.
Lewis is ready for medical school with that amount of discipline.
And I think Kenneth is ready to go home and crumple up a bunch of Dazes and throw them in the garbage can as a little bit of catharsis.
Don't daze Kenneth, bro.
All
but
right.
Kenneth still has.
Gulping our hand here for Lewis. We've got Gush in hand. We've got Snap, Brainstorm. We've got Brain Freeze. Just looking for that high tide, and I think we are going to be off to the races.
Okay, so if that Verdant is in hand, how much damage is
Vertaloff is in hand. If this, I mean, it's going to resolve. We know that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If it's kicked for full value, which you do now because the daze is gone, you're going to get a 4/7 plus 3 2/2s. That's 8, 9 damage with the Smarksmith coming in this turn.
So that's actually almost lethal because remember, Yavimaya has another ability.
That's right.
Fires of Yavimaya can sack to give target creature +2/+2. So we are almost at lethal on board. And remember, there is a Misty
That's
that
true.
probably is going to get cracked.
So
because we
11
need to-
possible damage if the play is Vertaloff here, but Kenneth may
it's-
be waiting for Vertaloff to be literally lethal.
It's more than 11, right? Let's see. Let's do the math one more time.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kick for 3. So you're making a 4/7 with 3 2/2s.
So that's 10, 11, 12, 13. With the crack is 14. So it's lethal, right? Am I drunk?
4.
I'm on no sleep. I might be wrong. 4.
Sapling creatures, other tree folk. It's 4 plus 4. It's 8 plus
no,
1.
making making 3 saplings.
6. You're right. You're right. Math is so hard. Math is so difficult.
Your
You're right.
confidence is like throwing me off. But I'm like, yeah. Okay, so if we do that and the fetch is cracked, and that's the only red source too, and he might need it for the land. So this could be lethal right here. If this is the most heads-up play of the day, let's see if we can do it. Lewis is disciplined.
Will Kenneth go for it is the question. Or will you take a more conservative line, play a couple other creatures, still get in for other damage right now?
Well, is that what's the red card? Is that a burn
I don't know what the
spell?
red card is.
I can't see it.
Oh,
That's a goblin buck.
looks like another
That's
goblin.
the
Is that
goblin
Goblin Goon?
No, it's goblin. It's the one that I think it's that one. The discard and then cycle it and deal damage goblin. Okay, so we are at the precipice here. This is and if Lewis does get another turn to live, he has to absolutely positively go off this turn.
And I think that may be why Kenneth be making sure that this is going to be actually lethal. Don't give Lewis the knowledge that this is in fact their last turn.
I think we crack. I think we go for it to prevent the Kraken. Release the Kraken.
1, 2, 3. 4 mana.
Okay.
5 mana.
This looks like
6 mana.
we're getting some tree
7
folk
mana.
to the nth degree.
8 mana. Kenneth really drawing it out here. We're going to see it just kicked for 2, not 3 here.
Oh, no.
Saving a red mana.
Oh, no.
So this will not be lethal. Opting to use the Brainstorm now. So Lewis must have another answer in their deck. Otherwise, you would save this Brainstorm for your High Tide turn, for sure.
Oh, no.
We do have Snap on Lewis's hand, so that's going to buy some life. That's going to save some life here.
Wow.
What is the other answer in Lewis's deck for a Vertaloth on the stack? We already cycled our Starstorm, which can get rid of some of those Saprolings. Whatever the answer was, we didn't find it. We do have Mystical Tutor now, so we have everything we need, and we are going to get another turn. So Lewis is going to have a chance to try and go off on this next turn. Opting to keep this Future Sight in hand, not shuffle it away to the Misty Rainforest.
Wow.
Reading Yavimaya, fires the Yavimaya, make sure they understand how that exactly works. So to math it out, now we are looking at the number I thought we were looking at, which is 8 plus 9, a total potentially of 10 damage, plus the 1 from the Misty Rainforest. Lewis back at 14. Maybe we had the life total wrong. Looks like Lewis was actually at 14, not 13.
Wow.
Brainstorm is resolved.
And apparently my Twitter account got hacked. Do not buy crypto from me. Someone hacked my account just
Oh,
now,
no.
found out.
Well, I'm glad we're alive to say that. Don't buy any crypto from J-Bro now or ever.
And don't buy it
Getting in
general.
for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 damage here.
Wow.
10 with the Misty Rainforest. There is a Snap in hand if Lewis is worried about his life total. But if I'm Lewis, I'm not worried about my life total. You only got 1 red up. You're not going to be able to deal 4 damage off 1 red. Maybe you've got Bolt, which is actually a little bit concerning. It turns off the Misty Rainforest. But I think you need that Snap next turn to untap more lands.
Bolt could be good. If that's a lightning bolt in hand, that could be good. That would be very good because that's the 1 additional damage.
And you got to be asking yourself, if you're Lewis Kaplan, why didn't Kenneth kick for that extra amount to make this lethal?
It's got to be
One
Bolt.
explanation will be Bolt. I'm pretty sure that neither of those cards are Lightning Bolt, though. So
I couldn't see. I only saw the Goblin. I couldn't see the other one.
the other one is not a red card, I believe. And I don't even know if this is going to elicit the sacrifice of that Fires of Yavimaya. If it's not going to be lethal either way, maybe you want to keep the haste for next turn.
Is Snapcaster Mage in this?
No.
What could there possibly be to read days here?
Nothing
format?
that I'm aware of in this format, and certainly nothing we've seen out of Lewis's deck. I don't know if he was playing around Days. I don't know. I mean, obviously Days is already been spent, so maybe playing around some sort of follow-up recast Days. Don't know how that would happen. Looks like just taking the 10, taking 1 more from the fetch land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, that 10 is with the fetch land. Going down to 4. Shuffling away those cards that Lewis didn't like with that Brainstorm, and this is Lewis's shot. Lewis has got to go off now, and Lewis has, I think, everything they're going to need. I mean, we said that last time, and they fell short by like 1 or 2 Storm. There's still some mystery here in terms of what Lewis is going to draw, but we're going to get the Mystical Tutor. We're going to go and get High Tide. Brain Freeze is already in hand.
This is
Gush is already in hand. Snap is already in hand. I think we need to find Frantic Search. Frantic Search is going to help a lot.
this is pretty close. We are not there yet.
It's the classic, we're not there, but we definitely have enough tools that we may be there. We just don't know it yet.
Oh,
We
they're
are
going to do 0. Okay.
also at turns. Not that that's going to matter. This
Turn
game is
1.
for sure going to be over in 2 turns, one way or the other.
One way or the other. It's time for Lewis to discover. Okay, so we start off with a high tide. Don't play the land first because it doesn't actually matter when you play the island. It always taps for 2 this turn.
And Lewis opted to keep Future Sight on that Brainstorm, so perhaps planning, maybe knowing I need to get a little lucky on Future Sight here, otherwise I can't go off, and so
Yes.
keeping that Future Sight hand.
I like that. I like that.
Here we see the Future Sight perhaps coming down with
Yep.
1 additional blue floated.
Yep, I like that.
Here we go.
So
One time. Can we get Frantic Search on top? That's
okay.
Incinerate.
That's
Incinerate, you also have Gush to work with here. You have ways to manipulate the top of your library to find more cards
And
off
2
your Frantic Search.
and 2
or off
mana.
your
mhm,
Future Sight.
Yep, and 2 mana for a storm count's not the worst.
No, but certainly not what you want to be doing. Instead, let's see what we got on top now.
Ooh, that's interesting. That's 2 mana, draw 3, or 4 mana, draw 3 cards. That's not. I guess
You would need to draw exactly Frantic Search.
we need Frantic Search.
You would
off
need to
this.
draw exactly Frantic Search off that for this to work, I think.
Yes, which it's still possible we can do this. Okay,
Yeah,
Stormcrown goes
that
to 4.
is Concentrate there on
Correct.
top of the library.
So 4 mana draw. It's like Ancestral Recall, but different.
A little different.
Yeah,
Tiny bit different.
it's
It's a sorcery, not an instant. That's how it's different.
That's right. So we're up to Concentrate. Ah! It's I would love to see a concentrate with Yoda saying it to Luke when he's like falling down on Dagobah. Concentrate.
All
Okay.
right. So we are casting the Concentrate off the top. Storm
Well,
count is 5.
I think
1
you
blue
have
mana
to.
floating.
We need to hit here. We need
We
to hit.
do get to see these cards as they're drawn, do we not?
No, we don't see these. We just see the next one.
Really?
But I like the showmanship. Okay, we can still.
No, and we have a land drop.
We're
we haven't,
still
we haven't-
live.
we haven't spent land for turn.
Oh.
What did we draw off of it? We drew land.
Wow.
Brainstone, it looks like. No, Brainstone with Future Sight
Oh,
can
wait.
be very good.
Wait, is that the Goblin Maker in his hand?
I don't know. There's a lot of cards in there. There's definitely Incinerate, and is that the new Empty the Warrens art? Let
I
me check
think
that
that's
art
Empty the
again.
Warrens. Okay.
Yeah,
so
it is. That is the new Empty the Warrens art. So we do have that to at least
We can still
buy
do this.
time. Brainstone, very good with Future Sight here. Getting to
Yes.
stack the top of your library, basically just straight up draw 3.
Yes.
Though we are running out of mana here. We need to find a Frantic Search. Or not, we're just doing the Empty the Warrens.
Okay. For 13?
Empty the Warrens going to make...
I mean, for 7, for 14?
Yeah, so for 14 Goblin tokens. Those Goblin tokens don't line up great against the 2/2 Sapperling, or of course against the 4/7, but...
Or against the 1/1 Pinger.
But there's... yeah, you can also just chip one away every single turn.
Yep. This is rough.
Gonna get grindy here.
He does have
Cards left in
future-
hand, tons of lands, Brain Freeze, Incinerate is left in hand for Lewis Kaplan. So
But there's still Future Sight.
Future Sight
And
still
there's,
can
and
just
there's Brainstorm.
generate a lot of... Brainstorm's been spent. We have Brainstone,
no,
though.
I mean
Yeah.
the other one. Yeah. There is still a way to do this.
I honestly think this Incinerate might end up being relevant going face if we can sneak through the next 2 turns with enough of these Goblin tokens to just make that lethal.
True.
We need to keep back chump blockers for Vertaloth and potentially
that's what
potentially any other haste creature with you fires you off my. Here comes the Goblin Goon again.
makes the other goblin better, I guess.
Yeah, Goblin Goon not able to attack here because of all of the Goblin tokens on Lewis's side of the battlefield.
Goblin on goblin, goblin.
We also see Wall of Roots, just running it out there. I may be like holding that in hand, just so it keeps a mystery in my hand from Lewis. Make him play around something I might not have. So, let's try and figure out this math. You and I together, can we figure this out?
Okay.
You
so
got to keep
14
up chump blockers for Vertaloth.
Well, you
and-
have to keep up chunk blockers for anything for the other one too, right?
Well, the Goon can't attack.
But
so
the 2/2 is a 4/4 with the enchantment, right?
the 2/2 is effectively a 4/4, yes. So I guess you do kind of pretty much have to chump block everything.
Oh, interesting. Attacking with the goblin, not pinging with it. That's curious. The goblin's a 1/1, right? Or am
Goblin
I-
is a 1/1, but it could be a 3/3. So again, with that Fires Yama
Oh,
Maya,
if
you
for
can't
some-
you can't let it through. It's going to trade with a Goblin token though, which seems I agree. It seems weird to not ping with it.
I don't love this necessarily.
All right, so block them all. Now we're down to just 11 goblins.
Okay.
We can swing in and we get 1
So-
blocked. They take 10, but we got to keep at least. I mean, this is the reason I like keeping the Wall of Roots in hand. Kenneth is hellbent. Now Lewis knows that you got to draw a creature off the top with haste, and you're probably only going to draw one.
Oh, wow.
There's the Frantic Search. One card too deep.
Wow.
One card
That's
too deep.
wild.
Now,
Although
it's still going to be okay here because we have tons of lands to discard, so it's going to help us find more cards. And maybe honestly, can we possibly cobble
possible
together
we could still go
a
off.
like half storm turn here?
It's possible he could still go off. Yes, definitely still It's
It's going to require a lot of luck on a future set.
well,
I think.
we actually don't know how many cards do we reckon Kenneth has?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I think we're still at 26 in library.
Okay, so it's
No card draw on the red-green side of the table on the battlefield, so you got to do it all yourself.
That's tough.
Can't see the top card here. It's off the screen for us. Looks like Prophetic Bolt.
Prophetic Bolt, which is actually
I mean,
actually
again, the
could-
Incinerate plus Prophetic Bolt, like,
it's actually
we could maybe cobble together some sort of cheesy win here. But really, I mean, so many of these goblins are on chump block duty that we can get through with so few of them.
it is possible.
It's possible.
It is possible that we could go to a tie here. It is
I
possible
guess we
this
are on
goes to
turn 3. No, you're right. I
It
said
is
I was.
possible we could just draw this out and go. Lewis could just tie this right here too. Do you risk it or do you brisk it here?
Me, I'm never playing for the draw personally. I don't.
Lewis agrees. Okay, get it
In
for
4-8. So, Lewis opting to keep exactly the number. Well, I guess so. The Goblin Goon won't be able to attack still because nothing's getting traded
This
for.
is
So
correct. So the
Lewis
hasty
keeping
creature off the
one
top.
additional. So if you draw something, it makes 2 creatures. A Siege Gen Commander off the top immediately ends the
Blaster
game.
Lewis is gonna win this. He's gonna have the Prophetic Bolt. That's 7 damage. Lewis wins this. He wins on the last turn. Wow, this is incredible. Oh my, this is insane.
We also have Incinerate, right? We haven't spent the
Incinerate,
Incinerate.
7
so,
damage. This is
so
exact.
3,
This is gonna
7,
be enough.
and then we have 8.
Wow.
What? 8, 9, 10, 11.
Well done.
On turn 5, are we going to see Lewis pull this out? What did Kenneth draw for turn?
That's incredible. Wow. So, okay. So we're gonna see it, and in about as soon as this game is done, we're gonna bring in the winner and bring in a special guest. We're just going to turns right now. Going to turn 4. So next turn is it. It's time to fly or die. But with
just
that,
waiting to see. And Kenneth, that Prophetic Bolt is face up.
so he knows.
Was the Incinerate face up off the future site too? I think it was in hand before.
I think Incinerate might have been off of Factor Fiction. I think he might have Factor Fiction the Incinerate, if memory serves. There's
it was
also
definitely Mountain Brainstorm.
and there's also Get You Fire Slinger, so we do have another opportunity to do damage.
That
Lewis is going to win right here, because there's only 4 blockers. So 7 gets through.
there's only 3 blockers. Can't even block with a Goblin Goon.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm so tired.
No, I mean it's a creature in play. You'd think you
So-
could block with it, but
yeah.
that Goblin Goon's got some rules
That's a
text on it.
scary. That's a coward. That's a coward goblin. Wow. This
Still,
has been,
we still no tip of what that card is. Kenneth keeping that card to himself. Whatever he drew.
if it's a big trampler, we're in business. If it's a trampler,
It's
we're in
clearly not
business.
something that's ending the game immediately, or I imagine this would have been on the stack a while ago.
Yeah, he's tanking and banking. So, what trampler could there be at this point? What's the opportunities here?
I'm not sure what we've seen out of this deck.
What's even in the card pool at this point? I don't even know
All
what
right.
there could be.
Putting some mana in the mana pool here. Red, red.
Okay, 3 mana 4.
Goblin King.
Oh,
Wait, I'm very confused. Does-
forbid with.
Does Lewis not realize that also pumps his own goblins? Goblin King, I believe.
Oh wow!
I believe a symmetrical lord.
Wow, yes, you are correct. As we see on the screen, Goblin King, you're
Yeah.
right. Good call.
Why did Kenneth even put that on the stack, one must ask?
He's next level. He was leveling Lewis.
Really interesting interaction there
So
from
Kenneth
these
is-
top-level players.
This looks like a concede right here.
Because that would have made
Yeah.
Lewis's goblins enormous.
Yeah. Well, Lewis might also know that he's just got it, and this is just a flex. But either way, this is game.
And Lewis snapped off that forbid. Lewis
Yeah.
was like, whatever you do, I'm forbidding. I've
Whatever
got all
it
the
is.
extra cards in hands. The forbid was also bought back, so
Ken is like, aha! I tried to make you win.
no
This
mana
is
right
it.
now to
Whatever it
recast the
is.
forbid. Also, this does tap us out of Incinerate on end step.
But
we have enough mana. We have mana for Incinerate and
We have
Prophetic Bolt
exactly
next turn.
enough. Well, we have enough +1 when we play our land next turn. But yes,
Yeah.
we have Xaxes. which again is incredible. What a game! So he's trying to think. Okay, you block my two creatures. I pump one of them that doesn't have trample. Pump the other one that doesn't have trample. Can't attack with this one. That owns a wall. Maybe attack with this one. Maybe if he doesn't block, I can get in. See, I think the play was to go for the extra. If we had the extra one in play, we would have been there by now, and it would have. It was enough. It was the 2 damage plus the.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we determined that Kenneth was just playing around some sort of days gonna,
Snapcaster.
I mean, you get burned so bad by
Yeah.
days in a previous match, it makes you misplay in future matches.
This is like days with
This is it, folks. This is lethal right here.
Yep.
Kenneth has nothing in hand. We're going to see Incinerate and Prophetic Bolt end this game. Maybe just Prophetic Bolt,
Just
I think.
show. Just show. 'Em.
Flip him over.
Just flip him
This
over.
is going to be game. In turn 5.
Wow.
Could it have possibly come down more to the wire? I don't think so.
This is incredible. Oh, instead he's gonna sling it, for some reason.
All right, Fire Slinger,
Okay.
Prophetic Bolt.
Either way.
What
All right.
a match.
Good game.
Masterfully navigated by
Okay.
Lewis Kaplan. Incredible, incredible match of Magic. Love this old border foil cube. Getting to see some of these cards we haven't seen shine in ages really show off what they're used for. Special guest coming to the booth right now.
Yes, we are joined by the Crown Prince Oko, the trickster. Welcome.
Got a headset there if you don't mind. If you can maybe just talking to the mic if you don't want to take your crown off.
Oh my.
Oh boy. We needed to boost J-Bro's self-esteem.
Thank you. Oh. I am the Goblin King. So, welcome. How's your
Thank you.
trip?
It's been incredible. The bar opened at 9 when the con opened, so that's pretty fucking cool.
They know how to party here in Madison.
Sorry. Yeah.
We are so happy to have the trickster of Oko. And is there anything? And we are also going to be joined by Lewis Cap. So, Lewis, get in here.
Here, Lewis, take my seat. Get in here with J-Bro.
Okay. We're going to have a double interview for you.
Incredible. I'm in. I'm down.
And actually, this goes to you. You are the Crown Prince now.
A crown? Am I a thief of crowns here?
Well,
I suppose it was willingly surrendered, so probably not,
My
but
head's a little too big for this.
Don't worry
I
about
think,
so welcome, congratulations, amazing
you.
play down to
Thank
the
you.
wire. That was one of the most incredible ways we could have seen that match end.
that game too was pretty rough with the forgetting to discard there. That was
You needed
not
one
my
of these in
finest
play.
moment. Not my finest moment.
You needed Oko in play.
That's true. That would have been much better.
Yeah. Was there any thought about getting Oko in, or?
I thought about it. Yeah, if I had seen one in the draft, I might have spent a pick on it.
There you go.
You know.
So we also want to say big ups to you for being an amazing local coming down. Many people have called you the dark horse of the tournament, that you're going to win it all.
I've heard that.
What says you?
I think Dark Horse sounds right. I think I'm very unlikely, but I wouldn't count me out just yet.
Don't count them out. What do you say?
I'm more of an elk person than a horse person, but you could be a dark elk.
Dark elk, I like
Actually, I think I got a +1 that could make you into a dark elk. I think
into it.
so.
All
Like
right.
we can make that happen.
Can we reveal your hidden identity on here?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's not secret.
So
Like
you are?
I'm Tabby Toeclaws. Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah, in addition to being Oko, I am also Tappy Toeclaws. I'm that loud dinosaur from the internet that plays Magic sometimes. I haven't actually played any Magic yet because I wanted to. You were waving me over, so I had to come over and
Yes.
and talk on the thing. But I'm really excited to get in on some of these cubes. It looks incredible.
Very fun.
I just can't believe how efficient this is running.
That's right.
As somebody who bounces around at a lot of different Magic events, watching Magic players move and sit down as fast as I have seen, I believe in world peace now, actually, I think. After seeing this, I think we can make it happen.
Well, a huge thank you to Libby and to Rob and to all of our judge staff and our amazing crew here. It's all thanks to them. And speaking of efficiencies, how about that brain freeze deck? Wow. Right down to the wire. We were watching you like a spider with a web, getting Caleb closer and closer, thinking he was going to win the next turn, and then bam.
It was tough. I could use a nap right now. I'm not gonna lie. My brain is not meant for that. It's very frozen right now.
Yeah, well, on brand then.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with your newly acquired Victory Sprecher?
Oh, I'm gonna chug it and then probably make my way to the bathroom very shortly after.
Makes sense. Well, Lewis Kaplan, local favorite, Papa Bear, as we like to call you around these
do,
parts. We're so happy to see you play some amazing Magic. We're looking forward to you in the top 64, and I am just thrilled you're here. Congratulations.
Thank you, J-Bro.
Nice job. We'll see you soon. And Oko, Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
Let's go elk some people up.
Yeah, I wanna go pull myself in a draft and play myself, which is generally how I live my whole life. So I can't
Amen.
wait.
Well, thank you for checking us out. Thank you to Andy. Thank you to all the amazing people. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you to Nerd Rage Games. We are looking forward to more wonderful content from you from the best 4 days in cubing. CubeCon. CubeCon?
CubeCon.
CubeCon?
CubeCon.
CubeCon!
CubeCon!